In the year 2130 of the Blue Star calendar, Mei Huaxia Country, Hanyang Base City, Yuexia City, Furong District. At 6 in the morning, just as the sky was beginning to lighten, Yang Jin, who had just turned 18 not long ago, had already gotten out of bed. Tiptoeing through the living room, he gently opened the door and slipped up to the rooftop. Yang Jin's home was in an old residential area called Jinhua Garden. The building had 20 floors with outdated infrastructure and an elevator that was often unreliable due to years of neglect. For Yang Jin, who lived on the 10th floor, running up the stairs was much more convenient than taking the elevator. Whoosh! On the rooftop terrace, gazing at the rosy glow on the distant horizon, Yang Jin took a deep breath. He spread his legs, sank his shoulders, dropped his elbows, twisted his waist, and swung his hips, his right fist spinning like a drill as it shot out from his chest. Without letting the punch reach its full extension, he stepped half a step with his left foot, and his elbow swept upward like a sharp axe. The wind howled as his shadow darted back and forth. Yang Jin moved with agile grace, sometimes like a fierce tiger roaring through the forest, sometimes like a nimble monkey climbing a tree, sometimes like a crane spreading its wings. He roamed within a single zhang, striking with fluid power. The boxing he practiced was called Hua 100 Forms. It was a set of techniques created by the national government, gathering many famous boxing masters, integrating ancient Chinese boxing styles such as Taiji Bagua Xingyi and Baji, tailored to the characteristics of the Chinese people. This boxing set had a total of 108 forms. It served both to strengthen the body and to fight in combat. It was a one-star martial art, and every Chinese student began learning it in high school. As for Chinese elementary and middle school students, they studied basic body refining techniques, such as Wu Qin, Shi 5 animals play, and Ba Duan Jin 8 section brocade, used to stretch the body, strengthen bones, and promote growth and development. After completing several repetitions of the boxing set, Yang Jin exhaled, feeling refreshed and clear-headed. Beep beep. The electronic band on his left wrist vibrated. It was a call from his little sister. He pressed the answer button, and a sweet, soft voice came through. "Second brother, come down for breakfast." Right away. Yang Jin exerted force with his feet and reached the 10th floor half a minute later. Uncle, aunt, third sister. Yang Jin pushed the door open. Uncle Yang Tianhai, with slightly graying temples, sat at the dining table and beckoned him over. "Ah, Jin, your aunt made jajang noodles today, come eat." A 15-year-old girl handed him a towel. Second brother. The girl had a delicate face, a tall and slender figure, and her hair was tied in a neat ponytail. She was Yang Hui, Yang Jin's sister. Yang Jin took the towel, wiped his face, and casually draped it over his shoulder. Such fragrant jajang noodles. Swallowing the chewy and smooth noodles, Yang Jin praised endlessly. "Ah, Jin, ah Hui, come drink your milk." Aunt Xiao Ting looked somewhat frail, with crow's feet already creeping onto her eyes. She carried 2 glasses of warm milk and placed them in front of the siblings. "Ah, Jin, don't leave the wet towel on your shoulder, it's bad for your health." Xiao Ting picked up the towel from Yang Jin's shoulder and straightened his clothes. "And I'm strong and healthy, it's fine." Before Yang Jin could finish, Xiao Ting shot him a glare. "You're young now, so it's fine. When you get older and catch rheumatism, don't complain like your uncle moaning in pain at night." Yang Tianhai finished his noodles in a few big bites, cheerfully pulled Xiao Ting to sit down at the table. "Dear wife, come eat the noodles, I'll wash the dishes." Yang Hu's eyes curved into crescent moons as she secretly stuck her tongue out at Yang Jin. "Yes, yes." Yang Jin knew his aunt had a sharp tongue but a soft heart, so he nodded like a chick pecking at rice. "You two troublemakers finish your breakfast and go to school," Xiao Ting said with feigned annoyance. "Uncle and I'm heading out." "Dad, Mom, goodbye." After breakfast, Yang Jin and Yang Hui left together. When the siblings were gone, Yang Tianhai rubbed his hands together and walked over to Xiao Ting. "Dear, I want to discuss something with you." Xiao Ting looked at her husband. "What is it?" Yang Tianhai lowered his voice. "Ah, Jin has a few weeks until the college entrance exam. Besides cultural subjects, he also needs to practice martial arts. The pressure is huge. I want to buy him a bottle of cell nutrient fluid to supplement his body." Xiao Ting chewed her noodles, slowly not answering. Yang Tianhai paused, then said, "Dear, A Ning is in university, A Hui is in middle school. I know there are many places that need money. But Ah Jin's college entrance exam is coming up. This is his only chance in life. I don't want him to. Honey, buying cell nutrient fluid is a good thing. I support it." Xiao Ting said as she opened her electronic wristband and tapped a few times. 100 blue star coins transfer successful. Yang Tianhai saw the notification on his own band and was overjoyed. "Honey, thank you." Xiao Ting smiled subtly, deleting the balance message. Yang Tianhai didn't notice the fleeting bitterness in his wife's eyes. Second brother, bye. At the entrance of Jinhua Garden, Yang Hui boarded the bus and waved at Yang Jin. Yang Hui was in her 3rd year of middle school, while Yang Jin was in his final year of high school. Their schools were in different directions. Furong District No. 1 high school was about 10 li from Jinhua Garden. Since starting high school, Yang Jin had developed the habit of running to and from school every day. One reason was for exercise, the other was to save a few yuan in bus fare. Little by little, every bit saved counted. Since losing his parents at the age of 5, Yang Jin had been raised by his uncle and aunt. His uncle and aunt were ordinary workers earning money through manual labor. The family originally had 2 children, Yang Ning and Yang Hui plus Yang Jin. The burden was truly heavy. If I can get into a military academy, all tuition and living expenses will be waived, and the burden on my family will be much lighter. Joining a military academy was the choice Yang Jin made after careful consideration. Compared to the 21st century, 100 years ago, the world today has seen rapid progress in both cultural knowledge and technological intelligence, and even martial arts have flourished vigorously. Today's universities are mainly divided into 4 categories. First, academics studying languages, history, mathematics, science, physics, chemistry, etc. Second, technical learning, specialized skills to live by one's craft. Third, military academies after graduation join the army to defend the country. Fourth, martial arts academies enter a martial arts institute by relying on one's outstanding martial skills. Among these 4, the first 2 are easier to get into and are run by the government. As long as cultural knowledge meets the requirements, one can enroll, but tuition fees must be paid by oneself. The third type, military academies, require not only passing cultural knowledge, but also meeting standards in physical fitness and martial arts skills. These schools are run by the military, providing full board and lodging and decent benefits. However, they come with great risk, as graduates will almost certainly be sent to the battlefield to fight monsters or otherworldly creatures. In fact, deep in his heart, what Yang Jin most desired was to enter a martial arts institute. However, across the entire Blue Star, there were only 3 such institutes, each established by the pinnacle martial arts masters, recruiting students from all over the world, truly renowned. To enter the 3 martial arts institutes, cultural knowledge is secondary. There is one hard requirement that must be met. That is, to become a martial artist. Martial artists, 2 seemingly simple words, yet they contain a history of humanity's blood-soaked struggle. In the 2130s, spatial rifts of various sizes suddenly appeared all over Blue Star. Historical records call this event the starry confluence. During this process, Blue Star intersected with many planets in the distant universe, giving birth to countless temporal rifts or wormholes. Different space passages were opened, gases intermingled, and the Blue Star's atmosphere underwent subtle changes. Unbeknownst to all, the creatures on Blue Star began to undergo genetic mutations. The human brain's development, physical functions, reaction speed, in all aspects greatly improved. A healthy ordinary adult male could punch with over 500 gene of force and run 100 meters in under 10 seconds. Keep in mind, these figures were previously only achievable by top athletes. Yet more terrifyingly, trillions of animals also mutated. Birds as large as cars, enormous insects blotting out the sky, reptiles as big as tanks, and ocean sharks capable of swallowing a cruise ship whole. The term monster was born rampaging against humanity. And then there were the spatial rifts connected to alien planets from which otherworldly creatures would occasionally emerge. From then on, humanity began an unending bloody battle against monsters and alien beings. In nearly a century, countless cities were destroyed, and the population was nearly halved. The surviving humans gradually gathered to form 6 survivor nations, the only 6 countries left in the world. They were Huaxia, America, Western Europe, Soviet Russia, Tianju, India, and Alia, Australia. These survivor nations were composed of several base cities. For instance, Huaxia had a total of 9 base cities, each with a population of over 100 million, and each governed several satellite cities. During the bitter years of fighting monsters, countless heroic figures emerged, and many earth-shaking powerhouses. Some could shatter armor with a single punch, topple buildings with a single kick, leap 100 meters, or even fly through the sky, moving so fast they created sonic booms. Those powerhouses shared a common title: martial artists. Yang Jin adjusted his breathing and began a slow jog. When vitality reaches 2 and you pass the actual combat assessment, you may be granted the title of martial artist. Vitality, a comprehensive evaluation index of human strength, speed, agility, and other physical qualities calculated by scientists after countless measurements. In the 22nd century, the average vitality of a healthy adult male is 1. Last month's test showed my vitality was 1.7. It's very hard to reach 2 in a short time. Becoming a martial artist before the college entrance exam is basically hopeless. Pioneer Group sells a cell nutrient fluid. The first dose is remarkably effective, increasing vitality by about 0.1. But with continued consumption, the effect drops off sharply until it becomes negligible. Among our school's thousands of students, the one said to have the highest vitality is Tang Zhong. I heard he drinks 1 vial every week, each costing over 10,000 Blue Star coins. Truly wealthy. Forget it. I can't rely on cell nutrient fluid. With my current cultural and martial arts scores, getting into a military academy isn't a problem. Keep working hard. Yang Jin swung his arms evenly, unhurried. Help. At this moment, a cry for help came from a side alley, catching his attention. Following the sound, he saw inside the narrow alley two burly men with crew cuts wearing black t-shirts, shoving a bespectacled slim man against the wall. The Jinxiu Huayuan area was an old neighborhood. The streets on both sides were dilapidated, broken streetlights and cameras had long gone unrepaired, a true slum. Such slums had high population density, a mix of all sorts of people. Although the government had set up a police post, the limited manpower meant public security was relatively poor. Fights, robberies, scams were common. Nothing to be done. That's how it's always been for the bottom rung. Damn it, you're asking for trouble. Hand over the money. If you don't, I'll cut you. The two thugs twirled butterfly knives in their hands. The blades flashed, reflecting two vicious faces. Brothers, I just started my job. I really have no money on me. Spare me. The bespectacled man's knees trembled as he kept pleading. Damn, it's still whining. Looking for death. The two thugs glanced around nervously. Robbing in broad daylight, they just wanted to get it done quickly. One of the thugs caught sight of Yang Jin, standing at the alley entrance, his face instantly turning sour. Seeing the school uniform, clearly a student. The brute shouted harshly, "What are you looking at, you little bastard? Get lost." Yang Jin's brows furrowed, blood rushing up. Damn. As the saying goes, bearing a weapon breeds killing intent. Yang Jin had trained in martial arts for years, young and hot-headed. Hearing the insult, he couldn't hold back. And on top of that, witnessing such a despicable street robbery only fueled his rage. Not only did he not retreat, he took several steps forward, entering the alley. The two thugs froze in surprise, then flew into a rage. "Little bastard, you won't take the warning. They'll spill your blood first." The cursing thug, butterfly knife in hand, charged at Yang Jin with a sinister grin. Yang Jin's eyes were like lightning. His left hand rose slightly, trapping the thug's wrist, while his right hand clamped the opponent's elbow and twisted downward with force. The thug let out a miserable scream as the butterfly knife stabbed into his own thigh, hot blood pouring out, his face twisted in pain. "Old Kuan, get him. Kill him." Still talking tough. Yang Jin, not letting up, formed a tiger claw with his right hand and slammed it into the thug's back. The force vibrated through the thug's body, his vision went black, and he thudded to the ground. The other thug, never having seen such brutality, was terrified, his scalp tingling and lips trembling. You killed Yongji. Kill your mother." Yang Jin lifted his leg and kicked the other thug square in the abdomen, sending him flying 2 meters, slamming into the wall and rebounding, landing face first in the dirt. "Get out of here now." Yang Jin shot a glance at the bespectacled man and then turned to run. The man fought his inner fear and followed close behind. After running several blocks, the bespectacled man gasped, "Brother, should we go to the police station? I only knocked them out, didn't kill them. As for reporting..." Yang Jin chuckled twice. "Do you really want to face those 2 robbers in court and let them know who you are?" The bespectacled man's face turned pale. He thought it over and gave up on the idea of calling the police. "Brother, my name is Tong Yuanzheng. Thank you for saving me." Tong Yuanzheng's face was full of gratitude. "I just started a new job. I came here to look for cheap rental housing, but who knew?" Sigh. After this incident, he completely gave up renting in this area. Even if it cost more, he would rent in a safer district. "Brother, I never expected a high school student to have such skills. Truly impressive. Let's exchange WeChat numbers and stay in touch." They chatted a bit, then parted ways. Yang Jin hoisted his backpack and jogged leisurely toward school. As for the 2 scumbags passed out in the alley, they'd wake up in an hour or so, and he couldn't be bothered. Yuesha City, one of the 8 satellite cities of Hanyang Base City. The mighty Xiang River cut through the city, rushing endlessly, dividing it into east and west halves. Along the riverbanks, skyscrapers stood tall, colorful neon lights outlined the city's silhouette, dreamlike and surreal. At the Yida Plaza on Linjiang Road, there was a 30-story building. On the rooftop hung 4 large characters, Xinhua Martial Arts Gym, glittering under the sunlight. The gym was a branch of Xinhua Martial Arts Academy, one of the world's 3 great martial arts academies. Inside the gym building, a spacious meeting room seated dozens of people. These individuals exuded a deep mountain-like aura. Their silent presence alone gave the feeling of crouching beasts. Each and every one was a martial artist. At the head sat a sturdy, middle-aged man, his gaze sweeping over the crowd. "All present members here. Open the video." "Yes, sir." An electronic mechanical voice sounded, and a holographic projection appeared before the group. The screen showed a bald man with a gleaming scalp, his face even more sculpted and deep-set without hair. "Hall Master Nya." The group in the meeting room were all startled. Nya Jinxiu, the top leader of the Xinhua Martial Arts Academy's branch in Hanyang Base City. A man whose slightest move could shake the entire base city. What could have happened to bring the branch hall master here in person? Listen to the orders of Xinhua Martial Arts Academy Hanyang Base City sub-branches. The Blue Star Alliance has discovered an otherworldly demon. The creature is severely injured and near death, and has breached a space-time rift to infiltrate Blue Star. A few simple sentences made everyone's hearts tighten instantly. According to investigation, the demon is likely to have entered the territory of the Huaxia Empire. The dean is unable to attend due to other matters. He orders all martial artists under Xinhua Academy to intensify the search and find its hiding place. Note, although this demon is critically wounded, it may still have means of self-preservation. You must operate covertly and with extreme caution. Do not attack recklessly and be sure to avoid causing public panic. Deploy actions in all regions immediately. Report any leads to headquarters without delay. The command finished. The holographic screen dissipated. The faces of everyone still retained expressions of shock. They hadn't yet processed the news. After a few breaths, they exchanged glances, then simultaneously looked toward the sturdy, middle-aged man seated at the head, Gu Xing'an, the master of the Yuexia City branch of Xinhua Martial Arts Gym. Gu Xing'an's brows were tightly knitted, his expression solemn. Everyone follow orders. Move out immediately. Yes, sir. The group accepted the command and departed. In classroom 7 of the senior 3rd grade at Furong District No. 1 High School, Yang Jin sat upright. With less than a month remaining until the college entrance examination, the curriculum had long been completed, leaving only knowledge review and consolidation. High school courses were primarily divided into academic and martial arts classes, each accounting for different proportions of the total score, depending on the university applied to. For cultural and technical universities, academic scores comprised 80, while martial arts scores accounted for 20. For military academies, academic and martial arts scores were evenly split. As for the 3 major martial institutes, being a martial artist was a fundamental requirement. Thus, for high school students in Huaxia Nation, the vast majority pursued cultural or technical universities. A few managed to enter military academies, while those who became martial artists and enrolled in the 3 major martial institutes were far less than 1 in 10,000. Take Furong District No. 1 High School, for example. Among over 1,000 senior 3rd grade students, Tang Zhong, reputed to have the highest vitality, was said to possess only 1.9, still falling short of the conditions for martial artist assessment. The noon bell rang. It was Friday, and the afternoon was free for rest. A Faranda half-day work system was now in place, and the school followed suit. At the sound of the bell, students burst out of the classroom like released ducks, chattering noisily. Ajin, I'm not going to the beach this afternoon. My dad says my academic scores aren't good enough, so he's hired a tutor to give me a few extra lessons while the iron is hot. Hu Qinghua, handsome, with a neat middle-part hairstyle, draped his arm over Yang Jin's shoulder. The beach, a shallow stretch by the river on the city's outskirts, was where the two often went on weekends to practice martial arts. Yang Jin nodded. All right, I'll go alone then. There's something else, Hu Qinghua murmured, his usually lively demeanor. My parents think military academies are too dangerous and risky. They don't support me applying and want me to aim for a cultural or technical university instead. Yang Jin paused briefly. Qinghua, it's fine. No matter which university you get into, getting admitted is a success. Hu Qinghua came from a well-off middle-class family, and his parents had their own plans for him. For instance, tutoring sessions cost several hundred blue star coins per hour, a burden ordinary families simply couldn't bear. On life's journey, some can travel light because their parents and loved ones carry the weight for them. In contrast, Yang Jin aimed for a military academy precisely to study for free and ease his family's load. He had to rely solely on himself, trudging forward step by step, even if his pace faltered. Just then, Hu Qinghua nudged Yang Jin. Look, it's Zhao Qingtong from Class 1. Yang Jin turned his head. Not far to the left, several girls in school uniform skirts were walking toward them. Those girls radiated youthful charm, especially the one in the center. Her long hair cascading over her shoulders, her legs slender, and her eyes clear and bright, like a pool of pure water shimmering with lively innocence. Zhao Qingtong, acknowledged as the school beauty of Furong District No. 1 High School, excelled not only in academics, but also in martial arts. Yang Jin remembered that when they first entered high school, Zhao Qingtong was the one who gave a speech on behalf of the new students at the flag-raising ceremony. Her every smile and frown back then stirred something in his heart. Gradually, he learned more about Zhao Qingtong. Rumors suggested her background was extraordinary, with a private car picking her up and dropping her off daily. Yang Jin observed at the school gate for a few days, looked up the car model online, and was stunned by its price. The vehicle that Zhao Qingtong used for commuting could buy 3 or 4 of his uncle's houses. From that day on, Yang Jin completely abandoned any illusions. She was destined to be a swan soaring in the sky, while he was nothing but a toad. Jin, if you like her, just confess. Otherwise, after the exams, you'll go your separate ways and never see her again. You'll regret it. Hu Qinghua grew anxious beside him, itching to push his friend forward. Forget it. Yang Jin shook his head. He knew the gap between them was too vast. Why invite humiliation? Qingtong, so you're here. A gruff voice rang out as several figures brushed past Yang Jin. They were powerfully built with fierce eyes. The leader, with bulging muscles that seemed ready to burst his school uniform, stood like an upright bear. Yang Jin squinted at the back, blocking his view. Tang Zhong. Qingtong, I've got 2 VIP coupons for the Vienna restaurant. How about we go try it out this weekend? Tang Zhong brandished the gilded vouchers with great pride. The Vienna restaurant was a renowned high-end establishment in Furong District with a minimum per person spending of 5,000 blue star coins. higher than the monthly salary of an average worker. No need. I'm busy this weekend. Zhao Qingtong's tone was cold and indifferent. Tang Zhong's pupils contracted, but he still grinned. How about next week? Or the week after? I'm very busy lately reviewing lessons and preparing for exams every day. Zhao Qingtong frowned, unwilling to linger with Tang Zhong, and turned to walk in another direction. Tang Zhong stood frozen, his right hand slowly tightening around the voucher's veins bulging on his fist. With a snort of disdain, he turned and stomped off with his lackeys. As luck would have it, Yang Jin and Hu Qinghua stood like two wooden posts right in his path. Get lost. Without a second thought, Tang Zhong swung his large hand, sweeping toward Hu Qinghua, who stood in front. In his eyes, the person before him was like garbage on the road, obstructing his view and needing to be cleared away. Hu Qinghua's face changed slightly as he instinctively raised his arm to block. Kid, who do you think you are daring to block me? Tang Zhong, his pent-up fury seeking an outlet, released his force onto Hu Qinghua's arm. Hu Qinghua felt as if struck by a hammer, his body shuddering violently as he lost his balance and staggered. Just as he was about to fall, a hand pressed against his lower back. Yang Jin had steadied him. Humph. Tang Zhong sneered, his gaze landing on Yang Jin's face. Kid, who are you? Brother Tang, he's Yang Jin from Class 7, a lackey beside him said. Yang Jin. Tang Zhong cracked his knuckles, staring at Yang Jin. I hear you've got some skills. Want to spar? The commotion had drawn the attention of many students who turned to watch and whisper among themselves. Zhao Qingtong, who had walked away, hurried back upon noticing the scene. Tang Zhong, why take it out on others? Tang Zhong grinned, revealing stark white teeth in a chilling smile. Qingtong, I'm just sparring with this classmate. Zhao Qingtong took a brief look and immediately saw that Yang Jin was from an ordinary family. The school had a rule requiring students to wear uniforms to avoid comparison. However, many students made a statement with their electronic bracelets and shoes revealing their family's financial standing. For instance, Tang Zhong wore the latest Pineapple F11 bracelet costing 20,000 Blue Star coins and Asics high-end running shoes worth over 10,000. In contrast, Yang Jin's bracelet and shoes were the cheapest generic brands on the market, totaling less than 5. Knowing Tang Zhong's narrow-minded and vengeful nature, Zhao Qingtong wanted to spare Yang Jin and Hu Qinghua from trouble. You two, this doesn't concern you. You should leave. But Tang Zhong, still fuming, refused to let them go. No one leaves. Ignoring Tang Zhong, Yang Jin pulled Hu Qinghua to walk away. Seeing them disregard him, Tang Zhong was like a dog whose tail had been stepped on, his anger turning to fury. He raised his massive hand, fingers hooked like claws, and lunged viciously at Yang Jin's shoulder blade. This move was incredibly ruthless. If it connected, even a brick would be pierced with 5 holes, let alone flesh and blood. Watch out. Zhao Qingtong's expression shifted slightly. Just as she was about to intervene, she saw Yang Jin suddenly turn around. His sharply defined face bore a pair of crystal-clear eyes, their gaze cool and piercing. The mere glance sent a tremor through Tang Zhong's heart, causing his movements to falter. Yang Jin shrugged his shoulder to deflect the force of the iron claw, while simultaneously forming his right fist into a spike, thrusting straight at Tang Zhong's throat. Startled, Tang Zhong hastily withdrew his elbow to block. Slap. Their fists and arms collided, both bodies trembling slightly. Zhao Qingtong extended a hand between them. Tang Zhong, if you keep bullying others, I'll call the teacher. Though reluctant, Tang Zhong had no choice but to back down in front of Zhao Qingtong. Yang, for Qingtong's sake today, they'll let it slide. Next time you'll see. His voice dripping with undisguised menace, Tang Zhong spat out a few harsh words before leaving with his lackeys. Yang, I'm really sorry you got caught up in this. Zhao Qingtong said apologetically. Zhao Qingtong. If Tang Zhong gives you trouble, call me. Zhao, it's a pleasure to meet you. Yang Jin. A hint of barely perceptible nervousness flickered across Yang Jin's face. I have something to attend to. Let's talk another time. Watching Yang Jin's retreating figure, Zhao Qingtong smiled faintly. Yang Jin seems quite skilled. Qingtong, this is the first time I've seen you voluntarily give a guy your contact info. Yeah, that Yang Jin guy, was he too happy to even ask for your WeChat? Around Zhao Qingtong, a few female classmates chattered animatedly. Bro, that was brilliant. After walking a short distance, Hu Qinghua gave a thumbs up. What? Yang Jin was a bit bewildered. What a masterful play of playing hard to get. Hu Qinghua said. With a beauty right there, you pretend to leave, piquing her interest. She's bound to find you mysterious. Maybe she'll even dream of you tonight. What you think of by day, you dream of by night. Deep thoughts lead to deep yearnings. Hu Qinghua spoke with great animation, while Yang Jin listened in speechless exasperation. It wasn't that Yang Jin was being deliberately mysterious. It was simply his first time facing the girl he liked, and he couldn't help but feel a bit nervous. Such was the innocent, budding affection of high school students. On the banks of the Xiang River, a sandy beach. This place was located on the outskirts of the city, rarely visited on ordinary days. Gazing into the distance, one could see a winding, curved line stretching across the land dozens of miles away, with bulges spaced at regular intervals. Yang Jin knew that was the defensive wall of Yuesha City, and the bulges were the artillery towers standing tall. In this era, humanity lived concentrated in base cities and their satellite towns with sturdy city walls built on the outskirts. The areas beyond the city walls were called the wilderness, belonging to the monsters. Yang Jin took off his shoes, feeling the rough grit against his soles as he began his training for the day. Martial arts training was like climbing a mountain, a process of persistence and gradual progress. He came to this beach every weekend during his breaks. Huh. The mid-May weather was already quite warm. After practicing the Hua Fist 100 forms for less than 10 minutes, fine beads of sweat seeped from his forehead. Just as he was getting into the swing of his training, he heard the roar of motorcycles. Turning his head, he saw 3 motorcycles speeding towards him. Recognizing the 5 people on the bikes, Yang Jin couldn't help but twitch his eyelid. All 5 had crew cuts and wore short sleeves, their faces bearing a fierce and ruthless expression. 2 of them were unmistakably the burly men he had knocked unconscious in the alley that morning. Spare a snake, and it will bite back. They've come for revenge. Yang Jin stood with his back to the great river on the sandy beach, scrutinizing the rapidly approaching motorcycles. The motorcycles stopped about a dozen meters from Yang Jin, surrounding him in a fan formation. As they stopped, they deliberately revved their rear wheels, kicking up clouds of sand. The middle motorcycle was ridden by a man in his 40s with a livid scar on his face, like a centipede crawling across his skin, looking hideous and terrifying. Brother Scar, it's him, no doubt. Lao Kuan pointed at Yang Jin, gnashing his teeth. The bruise from being kicked face down in the dirt that morning still hadn't faded. The burly man named Yongji also glared as if he wanted to devour Yang Jin. Lao Kuan and Yongji were the 2 men Yang Jin had beaten up that morning. Scarface looked at Yang Jin, smiling without warmth. Kid, you injured 2 of my brothers. We need to settle this score. Yang Jin knitted his brows. What do you want? Simple. Scarface held up 2 fingers. They'll give you 2 choices. 1, pay 100 in cash as compensation for my brother's medical expenses. 2, will break your arms and legs, an eye for an eye. Pick one, it's up to you. Scarface sneered, coldly certain he had Yang Jin cornered. Yang Jin replied, 100. Do you think I can come up with that? His uncle and aunt worked hard all year, and together they barely earned 100 blue star coins, not even covering daily expenses. His family didn't even have a few thousand in savings, let alone 100. Even if they did, he wouldn't pay. Yang Jin lifted his chin. As for breaking my limbs, that's even more impossible. Scarface licked his lips, his eyes filled with icy malice. Kid, I gave you a chance, and you didn't take it. He waved his hand. Lao Kuan, Yongji, Green Turtle, Mad Dog, all 4 of you attacked together. Teach this kid a lesson. I want everyone to know that if you cross our brothers, you'll pay the price. Burning with revenge, Lao Kuan and Yongji whipped out 2 baseball bats. They'll break your legs today and wipe that smirk off your face. Green Turtle and Mad Dog also brandished bats and charged ferociously. The 4 surrounded Yang Jin like 4 snarling hyenas encircling a little white rabbit. Damn it, a bunch of lowlifes who bully the innocent and steal from others. You're just a waste of food. Having practiced martial arts for years, Yang Jin possessed a natural courage. Surrounded by 4 formidable foes, instead of fear, he felt a hint of excitement. 4 against 1. If I fight back and injure them, it's self-defense. With that resolve, Yang Jin struck first. He pushed off with his right leg, his body slicing through the air like the wind, his fist like a battering ram aimed at Lao Kuan, who was closest. Having suffered a major defeat at Yang Jin's hands before, Lao Kuan felt a chill run down his spine as he saw him charging like a tiger, descending a mountain, his momentum unstoppable. Die! Lao Kuan roared to bolster his courage, swinging his bat at Yang Jin's head. Yang Jin blocked with his left arm, while his right fist shot forward, striking Lao Kuan in the chest. With a thud, Lao Kuan was sent flying. Thump, thump, thump. Yongji, Green Turtle, and Mad Dog closed in on Yang Jin, raining down blows with their bats, causing him intense pain. Yang Jin covered his head with his left arm, crouched low, and swept his leg in a circular motion. With a crack, Green Turtle's shin bone was broken. Then, twisting his body like a cat, he darted to Yongji's side, clamped his hands around his arm like iron pincers, and wrenched it with force. Accompanied by a piercing scream, Yongji's arm was snapped by Yang Jin. Thud. At that moment, Mad Dog's bat struck Yang Jin's nose. Seeing he had landed a hit, Mad Dog's face twisted with wild cruelty as he raised the bat again. Burning blood streamed from Yang Jin's nostrils, the pain making stars dance before his eyes. This ignited a savage fury in Yang Jin. His eyes turned bloodshot, and he clenched his right fist, driving it like an iron spike. With a soft crack, his fist like a spear tip struck Mad Dog square in the throat. Mad Dog clutched his throat, his pupils dilating wildly as he staggered back a few steps, his eyes wide with terror. Cough, cough. He tried to speak, but no sound escaped. His windpipe had been shattered, leaving him only able to grip his neck tightly. His body toppled backward, collapsing limply to the ground, twitching and convulsing like a slaughtered pig. Mad Dog. Scarface had thought victory was assured with 4 against 1, but in mere moments 3 of his underlings were severely wounded and 1 was dead. How could he remain composed? Die, you little bastard. Scarface roared, reaching behind his back to pull out a sawn-off shotgun, its dark muzzle aimed directly at Yang Jin. No matter how skilled one's martial arts, they fear a blade. And even a blade pales before a firearm. Unarmed, how could Yang Jin possibly withstand Scarface's shotgun? Seeing the gun drawn, Yang Jin's scalp prickled with terror. This weapon, a relic from the last century, long since obsolete, still possessed devastating power. A single hit meant certain death. At such close range, Yang Jin had no time to think, instinctively dodging sideways in a desperate sprint. Bang! Scarface pulled the trigger and a spray of pellets shot out, grazing past Yang Jin. A searing pain tore through his leg. Yang Jin knew he had been hit, and a sense of dread flooded his mind. Scarface, consumed by bloodlust, had only one thought: to kill Yang Jin and avenge his men. Bang! Scarface fired again. With his leg wounded, Yang Jin saw the second shot coming and knew he couldn't evade it. Summoning every ounce of strength, he lunged desperately toward the river. Plop! Water splashed, violently churning up layers of white foam. Yang Jin's figure vanished into the waves, leaving behind a large crimson stain drifting on the river's surface. Scarface scanned the river, and after a long silence with no sign of movement, he spat onto the ground. Pack up Mad Dog's body and take it away. Gazing at Mad Dog's bulging, unseeing eyes, dead without closure, Old Kuin, Brave Chicken, and Green Turtle were all seized by a lingering dread. These students nowadays, they were vicious as hell. Thank heavens it was Mad Dog who died, not me. Brave Chicken, is our escape route clear? Having committed murder, Scarface, too, felt a tremor of unease. Brave Chicken, his arm broken and face pale, replied, Boss Scarface, I've checked the route we came from. No surveillance cameras. Even if the kid's family reports it, the police won't file a case for 12 hours. Scarface nodded. Good. You 3 listen up. Keep a low profile for the next few days. Let's move. The motorcycles roared to life, carrying 4 men and a corpse away into the night. The wind blew past, stirring faint ripples on the river. All around there was utter silence, as if nothing had ever happened. Only near the sandy shore a faint trace of crimson still lingered on the water's surface. Splash! Like a startled fish breaking the surface, Yang Jin emerged from the reeds 3 or 4 li downstream from the beach. That was close. I nearly got killed. Gazing at his bloodied left arm, Yang Jin winced in agony. Scarface's second shot had hit his arm. Luckily, it wasn't his back, or he'd be long dead by now. Damn it, revenge is a must. One day you'll take those scumbags down. First I need to hide. What if they're waiting for my corpse? That would be bad. My electronic bracelet was scratched by a stray pellet, short-circuited by the water. Can't even make a call. He tapped the bracelet's face, but there was no response. Yang Jin lay in the shallow water, listening to the motorcycle engines fade into the distance. He knew Scarface and his crew had left. Struggling to push himself up, he tried to stand. Suddenly, an icy hand seized his ankle, submerged in the water, and yanked with brutal force. Yang Jin was jolted with shock, his body uncontrollably dragged beneath the surface with a swift pull. Gurgle! Gurgle! Water flooded his nose and mouth. Yang Jin felt a massive hand gripping his heel, relentlessly hauling him deeper into the river. He struggled with all his might, but against that hand, he was like a frog caught by a human. Its thin leg held fast no matter how it thrashed, utterly useless. Who is it? With such immense strength? Is it a water ghost? Terror seized Yang Jin's heart. As time passed, his consciousness began to blur, his vision warped, and his body gradually lost control. Dimly, he saw 2 kind and gentle figures standing before him, beckoning him over. But their forms were hazy, their faces indistinct. Dad, Mom, is that you? Just then a blinding light pierced through his vision, erupting into brilliance. Blue Star Human. A voice like thunder boomed in his mind, shaking his very soul. Who? Yang Jin's spirit jolted. He looked around and found himself in a gray, misty expanse. The space was vast and boundless, with no sky above and no ground below. Only a few dozen meters ahead stood a brilliant, colossal orb of light. The scene was surreal, as if he were floating in space, facing a luminous star. Where is this? Yang Jin murmured to himself. Human, this is within your sea of consciousness. Time is short, listen well. A profound arcane wave emanated like chaotic notes, yet its meaning was unmistakably clear. I am the heavenly lord of truth, breaking from the great world of Luofu. I fought among the stars, but was ambushed and gravely wounded. While traversing space, I inadvertently entered your blue star world. My body is shattered, my soul crumbling. I have little time left. My end is near. Meeting you is a matter of fate. I bequeath to you 2 divine treasures to aid your transformation from fish to dragon. Should you achieve greatness, you must fulfill 2 tasks for me. First, my remains are scattered across Blue Star. Gather them and send them back to my homeland. Second, slay the treacherous one who ambushed me, the heavenly lord of night soul. This is merely my lingering spiritual consciousness. My life is at its end. I shall use the last of my power to heal your wounds. Remember, send me home and avenge my death. The voice grew fainter, laden with endless regret and unwillingness until it faded into nothingness. The orb of light before him burst apart. As the radiance dissipated, a colossal black gold sphere was revealed within. The sphere, as large as a house, rotated slowly. Its surface emitted streams of gray mist that swirled around it, dispersing into the void. What astonished him was that beside the black gold sphere floated a white object the size of a fist. It was pure as jade, exquisitely carved and translucent like a piece of white jade sculpture. Its silhouette resembled a silkworm curled into a ball. A house's-sized black gold sphere and a fist-sized white jade silkworm, one massive, one tiny, one black, one white, formed a surreal tableau. Could these be the two divine treasures the heavenly lord spoke of? His gaze fell upon the black gold sphere and the white jade silkworm. As if a flash of insight, rudimentary knowledge surged into his mind, revealing their basic nature. The black gold sphere was called the psychic orb, capable of releasing telekinetic power. This power was limited by the physical body. The stronger the body, the greater the psychic force it could contain. To put it simply, psychic power is like water, and the physical body is the bucket. The larger the bucket, the more water it holds, and thus the stronger the psychic power. The white jade silkworm was named the Primordial Divine Worm, an exceedingly rare cosmic beast. It possessed an internal space and could gnaw through space to traverse the void. Unfortunately, when the heavenly lord of truth-breaking obtained it, it was merely a very young larva, its soul long dissipated, leaving it only able to passively exert a fraction of its abilities. Yet even so, its functions were immensely powerful. How else could the heavenly lord, grievously wounded, have torn through the fabric of space-time to escape to Blue Star? Yang Jin came to his senses. Just moments ago, his consciousness had entered the sea of perception. He surfaced and gasped for fresh air. Dragging his drenched body ashore, he felt a tingling sensation in his legs and arms. Pulling aside his clothes, he saw that the wounds from the shotgun blast had scabbed over, ready to heal completely once the scabs fell off. Lord Pojian used his last strength to heal my wounds. He also said he would bestow upon me 2 divine artifacts and asked me to complete 2 tasks for him. Collect the scattered remnants of his body across the Blue Star, send them back to his homeland, and slay his nemesis, Lord Yeon. At this thought, Yang Jin let out a rueful laugh. Not to mention how formidable Lord Pojian's enemy was, even the location of the Luofu great world in the universe was unknown. How could he speak of revenge? I've heard that the government, military, and the 3 major martial academies occasionally battle against otherworldly beings. If I can get into one of the academies, I might be able to gather some information. With the psychic orb and the primordial divine insect in my possession, becoming a martial artist is within easy reach, and entering the 3 major academies is not a difficult task. For now, the priority is to rapidly enhance my strength, become a martial artist, find Scarface and his crew, and take revenge. As the saying goes, a gentleman seeks revenge 10 years later. A petty man does not let the night pass before taking it. Yang Jin considered himself neither a gentleman nor a petty man. He now had only one burning desire: to eliminate Scarface and his gang. Otherwise, his spirit would be unsettled and his thoughts obstructed. He walked back along the riverbank for a few miles, found his scattered backpack and shoes, and jogged home. Along the way, Yang Jin carefully sensed the changes in his body. He noticed that his eyesight, hearing, perception, and sense of smell had all greatly improved. This enhancement was not the result of physical strengthening, but rather a change brought about by his psychic willpower. Even when he closed his eyes, his psychic will radiated outward, revealing every detail within a 5-meter radius more clearly than his naked eye could see. How amazing! Yang Jin marveled in awe. By the time he got home, it was 6 in the evening. His uncle and aunt were crowded into the narrow kitchen cooking, while his younger sister sat at the dining table doing homework. Mom, Dad, second brother is back. Jin, take a rest first, dinner will be ready soon. His aunt's voice came from the kitchen, and for some reason Yang Jin detected a note of weariness in her tone. The house was small, less than 70 square meters in area. His uncle and aunt occupied the master bedroom, leaving 2 small rooms for the siblings to each take one. Yang Jin slipped into his own room, changed into dry clothes, and walked into the living room. Second brother, this problem is too hard. Can you explain it to me? Yang Hui was in her 3rd year of middle school this year. The young girl wasn't great at math and struggled with the final questions, biting her pen cap in frustration. This is a comprehensive quadratic function problem. First, use the parabola's equation to find its length. Then find the vertex coordinates of the parabola. Set up the equations. Yang Jin explained carefully, and Yang Hui listened attentively. Before long, the difficult problem was solved, and the young girl beamed with joy. Second brother, you're amazing. All right, go wash your hands and get ready for dinner. Yang Tianhai cheerfully brought out the dishes. Dinner consisted of 1 meat dish, 2 vegetable dishes, and a soup. simple yet delicious. Xiaoting's cooking was much loved by both children, and Yang Jin and Yang Hui ate heartily. After the meal, Yang Tianhai took out a palm-sized blue box exquisitely crafted and placed it solemnly in front of Yang Jin. Ah Jin, this is a cellular nutrient solution to nourish your body. Before Yang Jin could respond, Yang Hu's mouth fell open. A cellular nutrient solution. I've heard that drinking it can enhance one's vitality, and it's very expensive. Yang Tianhai ruffled his daughter's hair. Ah Hui, this is for your second brother. When you reach your senior year of high school, Mom and Dad will buy one for you. Uncle, Aunt, this is too expensive. Looking at his uncle and aunt's graying temples, Yang Jin felt a pang. Over the years, his uncle and aunt had deliberately taken care of his feelings, often treating him even more affectionately than their own biological children, Yang Ning and Yang Hui. For instance, with the cellular nutrient solution, Yang Ning had never received such treatment back in her senior year. Yang Jin understood deep down that this bottle of cellular nutrient solution must have drained the family's savings to afford. Yang Jin's lips quivered slightly. He wanted to say he didn't need the cellular nutrient solution and could return it for money, but when he met his aunt's gaze, he couldn't help but tremble. Ah Jin, I understand what you're thinking. Xiaoting stared at Yang Jin and said deliberately, I just want to tell you that since it's bought, it's yours. To get into a good school, you have to drink it. Second brother, drink it. Yang Hui pushed the box toward Yang Jin. After you drink it, tell me what it tastes like. Yang Tianhai raised his voice on purpose. A real man shouldn't be so hesitant. Drink up. Yang Jin nodded firmly and picked up the blue box. Though the box was light, it felt immensely heavy in his heart. Opening the lid, inside lay a glass tube as thick as a finger. The tube was filled with a blue liquid with tiny white particles floating within. He gently shook the glass tube, and it emitted a faint blue glow. Under the gaze of his uncle, aunt, and younger sister, Yang Jin unscrewed the cap and tilted it to his lips. The viscous blue liquid slid out and entered his mouth. He picked up a glass of water and swallowed it along with the blue liquid. Yang Hui rested her chin on her hands. Second brother, how does it taste? Sticky like eating snot. Yang Jin teased her on purpose. Ugh. Yang Hui made a gagging motion. According to the instructions, after drinking the cellular nutrient solution, one needed to rest quietly and let the body absorb and digest it. His uncle and aunt urged him to go to his room and sleep. Yang Jin closed the door and lay on the bed. After about 10 minutes, a warm sensation rose in his stomach. The cellular nutrient solution had begun to take effect. Gradually, it felt as if countless fine streams of heat flowed from his intestines into his blood vessels, spreading throughout his body. The heat radiated from the inside out, searing every inch of muscle and bone. Every cell in his body pulsed and danced, his temperature rising more and more with visible twisting and spasms on the surface of his skin. It really hurts a bit. The first absorption of the cellular nutrient solution had the most noticeable effect. According to official big data statistics, the effects varied from person to person. Good results could increase vitality by 0.2, while poorer results were less than 0.1. On average, it improved vitality by about 0.1. A healthy adult male has a vitality of about 1.1 vitality equates to a 10 improvement in overall physical fitness, an effect that was truly immediate. After more than 2 hours, the absorption of the cellular nutrient solution was complete. I've heard that the first time you drink the cellular nutrient solution, the effect is significant, but it's also very painful. Subsequent doses have much less effect and much less pain. Otherwise, enduring this kind of pain constantly would be unbearable. Yang Jin got up from the bed and clenched his fists, feeling a substantial increase in strength in his limbs. He'll go to school sometime to test it and see exactly how much my vitality has increased. Psychic willpower is tied to physical strength. As my vitality improves, so does my psychic will. With a thought, Yang Jin's consciousness entered the space of the sea of perception. Inside, compared to before, the airflow dispersing from the psychic orb had increased slightly. Unfortunately, although I possess the two divine artifacts, the psychic orb and the primordial divine insect, I don't have any specific corresponding cultivation techniques. Lord Pojian had died too quickly, merely transferring the two divine artifacts to him and leaving behind some basic information. As for how to cultivate the two divine artifacts, how to develop them, and how to use them, Yang Jin had no idea. He could only rely on that basic information to slowly explore and study. Go online and look up information. When in doubt, turn to the internet. He opened his aged laptop and logged into the Warrior Sky forum. There were numerous websites and forums related to warriors, such as those of the three major martial academies, the government, and the military, all of which maintained public-facing sites. These sites had high confidentiality, allowing ordinary people only a glimpse of superficial information. The Warrior Sky forum, however, was a community spontaneously founded by a group of martial arts enthusiasts. The forum was filled with a wide variety of posts, though of course the authenticity of these posts required the user's own discernment. He logged into his forum account and typed spiritual telekinesis into the search bar. Hundreds of posts appeared with the first one pinned and highlighted standing out prominently. Clicking on the post, he found it was written by a netizen named I Am a Warrior, with the general content as follows. As everyone knows, warriors are officially classified into 5 realms based on their strength: warrior, martial master, martial ancestor, martial venerable, and martial saint. Each realm is further divided into 3 levels: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. From warrior to martial ancestor, there is a substantial leap in vitality. However, starting from martial venerable, one acquires special attributes, such as controlling flames, manipulating water currents, or emitting lightning. Thus, a popular saying among warriors goes, only by becoming a martial venerable can one be deemed a true powerhouse. As for martial saints, they are supreme beings capable of single-handedly confronting an army of 100,000. Let's set that aside for now. Today I will explain a special existence among warriors, the spiritual telekinetic. The post's preamble was somewhat lengthy, offering a general introduction to warriors to provide readers with a basic understanding. Spiritual telekinetics are exceedingly rare. They possess a mysterious power known as spiritual telekinesis. According to official statistics, among all warriors on Blue Star, there are no more than 100 spiritual telekinetics. Unlike martial venerables who acquire special attributes, spiritual telekinesis can be possessed even at the warrior level. The strength of spiritual telekinesis depends primarily on 2 factors. First is the size of the telekinetic core within the sea of consciousness. The larger the core, the greater the total telekinetic power. It is said that a small telekinetic core is about the size of an egg, while a large one can be as big as a pumpkin. Upon reading this, Yang Jin's body trembled. The telekinetic celestial sphere in his sea of consciousness was as large as a house. Could it be that his spiritual telekinesis was the strongest among all warriors? He took a deep breath, suppressing the excitement within, and continued reading. Second is the host's own physical condition. The stronger the host's vitality, the more telekinesis they can sustain. Because telekinesis is incredibly versatile, the actual combat capability of a spiritual telekinetic often exceeds their rank. For example, if a spiritual telekinetic is a beginner warrior, their combat effectiveness might elevate to intermediate or advanced warrior, or even an entire major realm higher, reaching the strength of a beginner martial master. As you may recall, a few years ago in the wilderness of Jiangnan Bay City, our nation's martial venerable Qin Muyang performed a remarkable feat against the Eastern Island martial Saint Miyamoto Kensuk. That battle shook heaven and earth as Qin Muyang, with the power of a martial venerable, defeated the Eastern Island martial saint. The fundamental reason was that Qin Muyang was himself a spiritual telekinetic. Yang Jin was well aware of the event described in the post. It had occurred 6 years ago, by which time the Eastern Island nation had long since fallen. Countless Eastern Islanders wandered like homeless dogs, and among them the martial Saint Miyamoto Kensuk came to Jiangnan Bay City in Huaxia, visiting the Qin family. Unexpectedly, Miyamoto Kensuk, with his corrupt morals, made lewd remarks toward a female waitress during the banquet and even attempted to molest her. Witnessing this, Qin Muyang intervened to stop Miyamoto's shameless behavior. As a martial saint, Miyamoto Kensuk held himself in high regard and saw no reason to respect a junior. He erupted on the spot, arrogantly declaring, "To favor a Huaxia woman is my condescension and honor to her." Qin Muyang, enraged, retorted, "A slave of a fallen nation, how dare you be so insolent?" and boldly challenged him to a duel. The two immediately left Jiangnan Bay City and engaged in a fierce half-hour battle in the wilderness, which ended with Qin Muyang severing one of his opponent's legs. This incident caused a global sensation, with major media outlets vying to report it. Yang Jin still remembered the headline used by Huaxia's official media for that coverage: "Huaxia Martial Venerable defeats Eastern Island Martial Saint." It was at that moment, when he was 12 years old, that Yang Jin's heart surged with passion and his dream of becoming a warrior began to flourish. So the idol of my youth was also a spiritual telekinetic. But since then there have been no news reports about Qin Muyang. I wonder where he went. Scrolling down, the latter part of the post provided a general overview of the training path for spiritual telekinetics. Spiritual telekinetics primarily follow 2 paths. The first is object manipulation, controlling objects to attack opponents. The second is the spiritual stream, invading the enemy's mind, creating illusions to confuse, or launching spiritual attacks to turn them into idiots or vegetables. Each of these 2 approaches has its own advantages and disadvantages, and which is superior depends entirely on the warrior themselves. After browsing for over an hour, he had mostly finished reading the posts related to spiritual telekinetics. Next, he searched for keywords like stellar beast, but found no posts. It seemed that stellar beasts were too high-end for the people of Blue Star to even know about. I have to figure everything out on my own. Let me try telekinetic object control. Yang Jin sat up straight as his spiritual telekinesis surged and radiated outward. Instantly, he felt a peculiar sensation, as if invisible hands had sprouted from thin air, able to touch and control objects. "Rise!" His gaze fell upon a water cup sitting on the desk. The cup levitated into the air, wobbling like a drunken man, and slowly floated before him. The bottom of the cup tilted and water poured directly into his mouth. Refreshing, Yang Jin exclaimed in praise, then his expression changed. As he spoke, his mind wavered, and he lost control of the cup, which fell from the air. With a swift right-hand grab, he caught the falling cup. When using telekinesis, one must concentrate. With his thought, a pen flew out, darting and weaving around his body until it pierced the wall with a cheese sound. If I use spiritual telekinesis to control flying knives or daggers, they would definitely be more lethal than bullets. Bullets can't change direction, but flying knives controlled by spiritual telekinesis can. No wonder the Post says spiritual telekinetics can fight above their level. They are indeed terrifyingly strong. Moreover, my telekinetic celestial sphere contains an immense amount of spiritual energy. I only need to strengthen my physical body and enhance my vitality, and my telekinesis will continuously increase. Yang Jin clenched his fists, his heart boiling with passion. Right, let me see if I can use spiritual telekinesis to control my own body. He gathered his telekinesis, spread it over his skin, and the invisible force lifted his body, suspending it several dozen centimeters off the ground. Haha, I can fly. That night, Yang Jin was too excited to sleep and kept practicing until late before finally. The next day was Saturday, and Yang Jin woke up early. As usual, he went to the rooftop to practice martial arts. Compared to the previous day, he felt a dramatic improvement in his fist technique proficiency and power. This was due to both the cellular nutrient solution and the enhancement from his spiritual telekinesis. Yang Jin roughly estimated that his vitality was now close to 2. During breakfast, perhaps because of his greatly enhanced spiritual telekinesis, he could clearly sense that his aunt's aura was somewhat dispirited and disordered. Yang Jin asked, "And are you feeling unwell?" Xiao Ting was momentarily taken aback, then smiled faintly and said, "Jin, I'm fine." Seeing the hidden fatigue in his aunt's eyes, Yang Jin felt a surge of concern. Yang Tianhai leaned over and wrapped his arm around Xiao Ting's shoulders. "Dear, you've been sleeping poorly lately and coughing often. Why don't you take the day off work and they'll take you to the hospital for a checkup?" Yang Hui put down her food, her face tense with concern. "Mom, please go get checked. I'm really fine." Xiao Ting feigned displeasure. "They'll finish today's shift and then ask for a few days off. Is that all right?" Xiao Ting worked as a cleaner at a hotel with no concept of weekends or holidays and was only allowed 4 days off per month. Hearing Xiao Ting's words, the others dropped the subject. Yang Tianhai's gaze shifted and noticed that Yang Jin wasn't wearing his wristband. Jin, where's your electronic wristband? It got wet by accident and short-circuited. Bring it here, he'll take it to the factory for repairs. I'm an electronics worker. After breakfast, his uncle and aunt left for work while Yang Hui stayed home to do her homework. Yang Jin instructed his younger sister a few times before heading out for a morning jog. Running was a habit he had cultivated over the years, covering at least 10 kilometers every day. The area near Jinxiu Huayuan was a slum with mostly narrow winding alleys except for a few main roads. Passing by an alley entrance, he unexpectedly caught sight of a familiar figure, Scarface's henchman, Old Kun. "Damn it, I was just looking for you scumbags, and you deliver yourself to my doorstep." Yang Jin sneered, coldly slipping into the alley. Old Kun leaned against the wall, clutching a liquor bottle and waving it at the empty air before him. "Mad Dog, please stop following me. It was Scarface who ordered you to act, and that kid who killed you. Your death has nothing to do with me. Please just leave me alone." After Mad Dog was killed by Yang Jin yesterday, Old Kun had used a motorcycle to drag the body away and quietly disposed of it. Old Kun couldn't sleep all night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Mad Dog standing before him with bulging eyes and a shattered throat. He woke from nightmares several times, and only alcohol could calm his nerves. At dawn, Old Kun, emboldened by drink, wandered out and habitually headed to the slums, the very place where he often extorted money and collected protection fees. "Mad Dog, come have a drink." "Drink. Please let me go after someone else." Old Kun waved his liquor bottle, his eyes glazed with intoxication. Suddenly a figure appeared before him, its features strikingly familiar. "You are." Old Kun froze for a few seconds, then let out a blood-curdling scream, "Ghost." Before the cry could fade, Yang Jin pressed a finger to his brow, and Old Kun's scream abruptly ceased. Spiritual power surged from his fingertip, invading Old Kun's brain. This was a skill that had suddenly appeared in his mind during his relentless exploration the previous night. The ability to hypnotize others with spiritual power or create illusions to confuse them. "Tell me, who are you, what do you do, and where do you live?" Old Kun's eyes were dazed. He had been hypnotized. "My name is Old Kun. I work for Scarface. I collect protection fees, extort vendors, sell white powder, and live in the sewers." Yang Jin asked, which? Old Kun, dazed and foolish like a simpleton, replied, "A sewer in Furong District, Scarface's secret base. Yongji Green Turtle and I all live there." Yang Jin pressed on, "What's inside? Is it dangerous?" Old Kun's voice came in fragments. "There's a lot of money, all Scarface's." Scarface is the most dangerous. He carries 2 guns. Yang Jin continued to exert his spiritual power. How do I get to that place? Old Kuan answered, there are several routes. The closest one is the Jiuji Road intersection. The 5th manhole cover in the alley. Go down, walk straight ahead, and turn left at the 3rd junction. Through his questioning, Yang Jin extracted a wealth of information. He struck Old Kun's forehead with his right palm, the force carrying a tremor of spiritual power. The latter's brain shattered like tofu pudding instantly ceased to function. Staring at Old Kuan, who lay crumpled on the ground like a pile of mud, Yang Jin's body trembled slightly. After all, it was his first time taking a life deliberately. A mix of tension, palpitation, and an inexplicable thrill surged through him in that instant. Half a minute later, he steadied his breath. Spiritual power is useful, but it consumes too much. Wiping away a thin sheen of sweat, he sensed that the spiritual power stored in his sea of consciousness was nearly depleted. The spiritual orb could generate spiritual power endlessly, but Yang Jin's physical body was too weak to store much at present. First, go to the sewer and take out those scumbags. Fortunately, this is a slum with poor security. The nearby cameras have been broken for years. Yang Jin acted swiftly, hiding Old Kuan in a corner, and hurried toward Jiuji Road. The alley at the intersection, the 5th manhole cover. Locating the cover, he glanced around, and seeing no one, lifted it and slipped into the sewer. The sewer was dim and gray, surprisingly spacious, with a network of passages branching in all directions. It was the city's hidden veins lying silently beneath the bustle and clamor like a labyrinth. He wrinkled his nose at the lingering stench of cold, damp, moldy air that made him want to sneeze. Turn left at the 3rd junction. Then turn right at the 2nd junction. After walking in the darkness for over 10 minutes, he spotted a red mark on the wall ahead. This is it. According to Old Kuan, Scarface and Yongji went into the city on business, leaving Green Turtle to guard the place. So only Green Turtle is inside. After a moment's thought, Yongji knocked 5 times on the wall. A few seconds later, a hoarse male voice came from within. Who is it? Green Turtle, it's me. Yang Jin used his spiritual power to wrap his throat, mimicking Old Kun's voice. Old Kuan, you son of a bitch, out drinking horse piss and leaving me here alone to guard an empty house. Green Turtle grumbled as he opened the door, disguised as a wall. But when he saw the person before him, he was startled. Before he could cry out, a punch shattered his throat. Cough, cough, cough. He stumbled back a few steps and collapsed dead. Yang Jin killed Green Turtle without a flicker of emotion, slipping into Scarface's secret base. The secret base was actually a combination of several sewer sections divided into multiple areas, a living room, bedrooms, kitchen, storage room, all fully equipped. It spanned over 100 square meters, much larger than his uncle's house. The ceiling was crisscrossed with intricate pipes, cleverly concealing lighting and ventilation systems, both rugged and functional. What a great place. Yang Jin's eyes lit up with the idea of claiming it for himself. He searched the rooms one by one and found a thick notebook. After reading it, his face turned ashen. It was essentially an account book recording every income of Scarface and his crew. For instance, one day they injured a man and robbed him of 325 yuan. Another day they made a pure profit of 8014 yuan from selling white powder. Yet another day they robbed a couple on a date, getting 520 yuan. The pages were densely filled with thousands of entries. These scum deserved to be drawn and quartered. Yang Jin's murderous intent was unquenchable. Returning to the living room, he leaned back on the sofa waiting for Scar and his men to come back. To be safe, he retrieved a cleaver and a paring knife from the kitchen. He placed them strategically behind the door, setting everything up before waiting in silence. As time ticked by, Yang Jin's gaze shifted, sometimes resting on the dead Green Turtle, sometimes on the tightly shut iron door. After over an hour, there was a knock at the door. Yang Jin's psychic energy had mostly recovered. With a subtle gesture of his hand, the door swung open. Green Turtle, what the hell are you playing at, leaving the lights off? Scar and Rooster Chicken stumbled into the pitch darkness, unable to see a thing. Click. The room blazed with light, blinding Scar and his companion, who instinctively raised their hands to shield their eyes. Swish. Swish. A flash of white. 2 sharp boning knives shot out, spinning through the air to sever Scar's and Rooster Chicken's right wrists clean off. The sudden searing pain left them utterly bewildered. All they could do was clutch their arms, letting out heart-wrenching screams. You're not dead. Finally, Scar made out the young man sitting on the sofa. His gaze was clear, his eyes cold. It was the same kid he had attacked with a shotgun yesterday. Impossible, absolutely impossible. How are you still alive? Scar was terrified out of his wits, staring at Yang Jin as if he were a demon rising from the depths of hell. Because I'm here to kill you. With a thought from Yang Jin, the boning knife flew again, piercing through Scar's and Rooster Chicken's necks. In mere seconds, the two were slain without any resistance, like chickens, showcasing the terrifying power of a psychic master. He searched the bodies and found a pistol, a shotgun, a set of keys, and a considerable amount of blue star coins. He then walked into the largest bedroom and spotted a safe in the corner. It was an old-fashioned safe that required both a key and a combination to open. He inserted the key and extended his psychic sense, carefully feeling the dials turning inside. With a few clicks, the lock opened. So much money. Inside the safe were neatly stacked piles of blue star coins. Each stack was 10,000, and after counting there were 85 stacks. Adding the cash taken from the bodies, it totaled 9,000. Yang Jin had never seen so much money in his life. For context, even the apartment in Splendid Garden was worth less than 4,000 on the market. This windfall left the high school student momentarily unsure how to handle it. 9,000 is inconvenient to carry, and depositing it in a bank would attract attention. Then he thought of the ancient cosmic worm in his sea of consciousness. The worm's consciousness had faded into a mindless larva, but it should still possess the ability to construct spatial pockets. He tried to contact the worm, but got no response. The sky-breaking monarch used it to tear through space-time and reach blue star. Theoretically, it should work. Could it be that my strength is too low to activate the worm's functions? Yang Jin mused, finding this the only plausible explanation. This place isn't bad. Kinda like the sewer where Master Splinter and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live in the movie. Yang Jin decided to make this his secret base, naming it Safe House 1. But the 3 bodies on the floor were an eyesore. He rummaged through the house, found several oversized black plastic bags, and stuffed the bodies inside. He carried the bodies out, found a dark, secluded corner in the sewer, and discarded them all. Then he returned to the surface to retrieve Old Kun's body from the alley. Fortunately, there were few pedestrians on the street, and the broken cameras hadn't been repaired. Yang Jin quietly carried Old Kun's corpse back to the sewer. A family should stick together. Looking at the 4 upright plastic bags, Yang Jin clapped his hands. After finishing up, it was already past 2 in the afternoon. Little sister must be worried at home alone. I should head back. He pocketed a few $100 bills, left the safe house, and made his way out. Little sister, I'm home. Yang Jin opened the door to a silent house. Yang Hui was slumped on the sofa, her shoulders trembling as she let out soft sobs. Little sister. Startled, Yang Jin hurried to the sofa. Second brother. Yang Hui's eyes were red and swollen, tears streaming down her face. Little sister, don't cry. What happened? Yang Jin held his sister close, comforting her gently. It's mother. She collapsed and is in the hospital, sob. Her words struck Yang Jin like a thunderbolt. Auntie is hospitalized. Yang Hui wiped away her tears and explained. That morning she had received a call from the hotel where Qiu Ting worked. The caller said Qiu Ting had fainted at work and was taken to the hospital by ambulance. The hotel had tried the emergency contact number with no answer, so they finally reached Yang Hui. Yang Hui rushed to the hospital in a panic, where she met Yang Tianhai, who had also hurried over. Yang Jin couldn't be reached because his electronic bracelet was broken. After a series of tests, the news hit like a thunderbolt. Qiu Ting was in the advanced stages of liver cancer. Advanced liver cancer. Yang Jin felt as if struck by lightning, cold sweat beaded and trickled down his face, carrying a biting chill. Yang Hui sobbed. Father decided to sell the house to raise money for mother's treatment, but mother scolded him harshly. Mother said she already knew she had a terminal illness, but kept it hidden because our family didn't have that much money. She told me not to tell you and to act like nothing was wrong because you're about to take the college entrance exam and she didn't want to affect you. Father sent me back to get some clothes for mother and I. I just couldn't hold it in. Second brother, what do we do? What do we do? Yang Hui collapsed into Yang Jin's arms, sobbing uncontrollably, nearly fainting. Little sister. Yang Jin gripped her shoulders, looking her straight in the eye. Do you trust second brother? For some reason, the brother before her exuded an indescribable sense of confidence and courage, and Yang Hui nodded with hope. Good. Yang Jin asked, did the doctor say if this disease can be treated and how much it would cost? Yang Hui replied, the doctor said there's a nanomachine medical device that can kill cancer cells, but it's extremely to cure mother even after insurance would still need about $1 million out of pocket. Hearing this, Yang Jin's eyes red. $1 million. No wonder Auntie refused treatment. He thought of all the years Auntie had worked from dawn till dusk, toiling to raise her 3 children. As a woman, she had poured all her love and effort into her children, never thinking of herself, not even buying a single new piece of clothing. Even when terminally ill, she chose to bear the pain in silence rather than become a burden to the family. In Yang Jin's heart, though he called them aunt and uncle, they were no different from his biological parents. The bitterness in his heart welled up as tears, but he fiercely held them back. Little sister, let's go to the hospital. Second brother, what good will it do? We have no money. Even selling the house won't be enough. No second brother has money. Yang Jin's voice rang out with unwavering resolve. Yang Jin, with Yang Hui in tow, rarely opted not to take the bus or subway, but hailed a taxi instead. Over a dozen minutes later, they arrived at Yusha City People's Hospital. Third sister, which room is aunt's attending physician in? I need to find him. Second brother, follow me. The door to the oncology gastroenterology office was ajar. Dr. Zhang, wearing thick glasses, sat at his desk, shaking his head and sighing as he looked at the report in his hand. The illness can be treated, but they can't afford it. The tragedy of the common folk. The door pushed open and Yang Hui entered with a young man. Dr. Zhang asked, "Young lady, why are you here?" Yang Hui timidly replied, "Dr. Zhang, this is my second brother. He wants to consult about my mother's condition." "Young man, please have a seat." Dr. Zhang gestured for Yang Jin to sit down. Yang Jin said earnestly, "Dr. Zhang, please tell me how much will it cost to cure my aunt?" Dr. Zhang adjusted his glasses. "Young man, our hospital has a nanorobot medical device that can treat cancer. However, due to the high cost of materials, the fees are substantial. For Ms. Xiaoting's condition, including surgery and follow-up exams, a complete cure would cost around 1 million self-paid in total." "All right, 1 million it is." Yang Jin asked solemnly, "Dr. Zhang, when can the surgery begin?" Dr. Zhang was taken aback. "Well, as soon as the fees are paid, the surgery can proceed anytime." "Dr. Zhang, please give me an hour." Yang Jin pulled Yang Hui out of the office. "Third sister, go to aunt's ward first. They'll go pay the fees." Yang Hui looked at Yang Jin, still unable to believe it. "Second brother, can we really save mom?" Yang Jin's tone was resolute. "Absolutely." Yang Hui nodded firmly and pulled out an electronic wristband from her pocket. "Second brother, your wristband. Dad fixed it." Yang Jin took the wristband and patted Yang Hui on the shoulder. "Third sister, go now." After they parted, Yang Jin hailed a taxi and headed to the safe house. He currently had 900 blue star coins, 8500 from the safe, and another 500 taken from the bodies of Scar and his men. The medical fee is 1 million and I'm still 100 short. Where can I get it? Watching the rapidly receding street scenes outside the taxi window, Yang Jin's brows were tightly knit, each line bearing the weight of 1,000 pounds. "Short on money. Where can I find 100? Borrow it." After pondering for a long time, he dialed a number. Lushan Mansion, a relatively upscale neighborhood in Furong District. The neighborhood mainly featured low-rise buildings home to middle-class families with assets in the millions or even tens of millions. Yang Jin's close friend, Hu Qinghua, lived in this community. Hu Qinghua, with a stylish middle-part hairstyle, was sitting on the sofa in a huff. On the other end of the sofa, a middle-aged man with a similar look was equally fuming. Hu Qinghua's mother shot them both a glance. "What's with you two, father and son? Swallowed gunpowder. What are you quarreling about? This little brat is driving me to an early grave." Hu Qinghua's father pointed at his son, disappointed beyond measure. "Your grades aren't great, so I spent a fortune hiring a tutor for unknown lessons, and you're still unhappy. You'll be the death of me." Hu Qinghua retorted defiantly, "My bad grades are your inheritance." "You?" Hu Qinghua's father's chest heaved violently, barely restraining himself from hitting him. Beep. Hu Qinghua's electronic wristband vibrated. He kicked off the sofa and strode to the balcony. "Ah, Jin, what's up?" "Qinghua, I wanted to borrow some money from you." Yang Jin's voice came through the phone, laced with hesitation and reluctance. Hu Qinghua asked, "What's the matter? How much do you need?" "My aunt is hospitalized and needs surgery. I'm still 100 short." "Surgery?" Hu Qinghua was startled. With today's highly advanced medical technology, most illnesses could be cured with medication or IVs. Surgery was reserved for life-threatening terminal diseases. "Ah, Jin, is 100 enough?" "It's enough. All right, give me a few minutes." Hu Qinghua took a deep breath and returned to the living room. "Dad, I promise I'll fully cooperate with the tutor and study hard from now on." Hu's father looked surprised, not understanding why his son's attitude had suddenly done a complete 180. "But I have one condition." Hu Qinghua laid out his terms. "Give me 500 as my nutrition allowance. The sooner it hits my account, the better." In the taxi, Yang Jin clutched a bulging backpack. Beep, beep. 2 consecutive message alerts. Opening them, he saw transfer notifications from Hu Qinghua. Each transfer was 500 totaling 100 from 2 transactions. Yang Jin opened WeChat and sent Hu Qinghua a message, "Good brother, thank you. I'll repay you as soon as possible." Seconds later, Hu Qinghua replied, "No worries, it's all my savings. If it's not enough, I'll figure something out." Yang Jin was overwhelmed with emotion. Borrowing 100 plus the 900 in his bag, he had 1 million in hand. His aunt's illness could be treated. 3rd floor of the People's Hospital Intensive Care Ward. Xiaoting lay on the hospital bed, her face pale, eyes weary, and complexion shrouded in a grim, lifeless gloom. Yang Tianhai hunched over, silently peeling an apple for his wife. Yang Hui sat slumped by the bedside, tears glistening in her eyes. "Ah, Hui." Xiaoting struggled to open her eyes, reaching her right hand toward her daughter. "Mom." Yang Hui's small hand trembled as she grasped her mother's cold palm. Xiaoting whispered, "Ah, Hui, just your father can stay here. You go home first. Don't let your second brother know, or he'll worry." Yang Tianhai rubbed his eyes, tears streaming down his face despite being a grown man. "Ah, Hui, listen to your mother. Go back now. They'll take care of things here." Yang Hui wanted to say, "Second brother already knows," but the words stuck in her throat. She could only nod through her tears. Just then the door pushed open and a nurse leaned in halfway. "Are Xiaoting's family here?" Come sign the papers. Sign papers. Yang Tianhai looked puzzled. What papers? The nurse replied, the pre-surgery consent forms of course. Didn't you just pay the fees? Yang Tianhai was stunned. Pay fees. Qiu Ting's mouth fell open, her eyes wide. Yang Hu's eyes suddenly lit up. Second brother. Seeing Yang Tianhai still in a daze, the nurse frowned. Qiu Ting's family, come sign quickly. We need to prepare for surgery and proceed immediately. Dad, go sign. Yang Hui pushed Yang Tianhai's back, the young girl jumping with joy. Mom is saved, mom is saved. Yang Tianhai remained in a daze of confusion and shock until the nurse had wheeled Qiu Ting into the operating room before he could believe it was real. 1 million. Ahui, do you know who paid the surgery fee? Yang Tianhai looked at his daughter. The girl's expression clearly showed she knew. It was second brother. Yang Hui said with certainty. Jean, where did he get that much money? Yang Tianhai rubbed his face vigorously, his surprise tinged with worry. A few minutes later, Yang Jin walked to the operating room, carrying fruit. Uncle, third sister. Second brother. The sorrow on Yang Hu's face had visibly lightened. Yang Tianhai's expression was solemn. Hey Jean, how did you come by so much money? It was no wonder Yang Tianhai was worried. He toiled all year for a mere 60 or 70,000, yet Yang Jin, a high school student, had casually produced 1 million in cash. It was simply unimaginable. The air grew tense, and Yang Hui also looked nervously at her second brother. Yang Jin paused, already having prepared his story. Uncle, I'm sorry, there's something I've been hiding from you. Actually, my strength has already reached the standard of a martial artist. I just haven't had time to go to the martial arts hall for the assessment. Also, I've been fighting in underground boxing matches for half a year. Hearing the first half, Yang Tianhai showed an expression of disbelief, but when he heard the latter part, his face turned deathly pale. Hey Jean, do you have any idea how dangerous underground boxing is? In today's society, the martial spirit is strong, with the authorities frequently hosting various martial arts tournaments. Besides these, there are also many underground boxing matches known as black fights. Underground boxing brought quick money, but safety was not guaranteed. The rate of injury and disability was extremely high, and it was not uncommon for fighters to be beaten to death in the ring. Yang Jin said calmly, Uncle, I plan to go to the Xinhua Martial Arts Hall in Yuesha City in a few days to obtain the title of martial artist. If I pass, I promise I won't go back to underground boxing. Hearing Yang Jin's words, Yang Tianhai and Yang Hu's eyes widened. A martial artist was not just a title, but a symbol of strength and status. They were the favored children of this era, the elite of humanity, chosen 1 in 10,000, even possessing many privileges ordinary people could never enjoy. If Yang Jin became a martial artist, he could immediately change the family's impoverished circumstances. Hey Jin, are you confident? Yang Tianhai stared at Yang Jin, his voice trembling slightly. Yang Jin did not answer. He reached out his right hand and grasped the armrest of the metal chair. With a squeeze, he then removed his palm, leaving 5 faint fingerprints on the metal. Good. Yang Tianhai finally believed in his nephew's strength. Yang Hui touched the fingerprints and looked at her second brother, her eyes filled with adoring stars. An hour later, Qiu Ting was wheeled out of the operating room. She lay quietly with her eyes closed, sleeping soundly. The surgery was very successful. We'll do a full body checkup tomorrow, and then she can be discharged. Thank you, doctor. Both Yang Tianhai and Yang Hui cried tears of joy. At this moment, Yang Jin deeply understood the importance of money. If not for that windfall, his aunt would certainly have been unable to have the surgery and could only go home to wait for death. When the anesthesia wore off, Qiu Ting woke up. Yang Tianhai briefly told her how Yang Jin had earned money through underground boxing. After hearing this, Qiu Ting kept wiping away her tears. Hey Jin, your aunt is so useless, making you suffer. With Qiu Ting's illness cured, and tomorrow being Sunday, Yang Hui insisted on staying at the hospital to accompany her. The ward was not spacious, so Qiu Ting asked Yang Jin to go home and rest. Leaving the hospital at past 9 in the evening, walking alone on the street, he looked up at the gray sky, his thoughts surging like waves. Remembering the scene in the hospital of his uncle, aunt, and third sister embracing and crying, his heart roared within him. I want to become a martial artist. I want to become stronger. I want to earn a lot of money. I want to live in a big house. I want my uncle, aunt, eldest brother, and third sister, our whole family, to live a good life. A Mercedes-Benz convertible drove along the street, passing by Yang Jin. The driver recognized Yang Jin on the roadside, lightly braked, and stopped a few meters ahead. Classmate Yang. A girl with bright eyes and white teeth waved to Yang Jin. Zhao Qingtong. Yang Jin saw the girl in the car and was momentarily stunned. Zhao Qingtong asked with a grin, where are you headed? Want a ride? Thanks, they'll just walk. Yang Jin stammered. Zhao Qingtong patted the passenger seat. It's just me in the car, what are you afraid of? Get in, I'll take you. Yang Jin wanted to refuse, but for some reason the words changed as they left his mouth. Okay. It was his first time riding in a car with the girl he admired being so close to her, making Yang Jin so nervous his hands didn't know where to rest. He wanted to speak, but couldn't find the right topic. Zhao Qingtong drove while observing the boy beside her from the corner of her eye, finding his nervous demeanor. Classmate Yang, I heard you have the highest vitality and are the strongest in combat in Class 7 Senior 3. Mentioning martial arts techniques, Yang Jin found a topic. My vitality is only 1.7. I've heard from others that your vitality, classmate Zhao, is very high, no less than Tang Zhong's. Zhao Qingtong said deliberately, Classmate Yang, you seem honest, but you're not really, are you? I'm not honest. Yang Jin was stunned. You can fool others, but you can't fool me. Zhao Qingtong smiled. I have a device in my car that can roughly calculate vitality based on a person's breathing, heartbeat, words, and actions and posture. As she spoke, she reached out a finger and tapped the car's screen. A mechanical voice sounded. Preliminary detection, passenger in the front seat, vitality 1.9 with a fluctuation range of 0.2. Zhao Qingtong blinked her sparkling eyes and flashed a sly smile. See, I saw through you. So smart. Yang Jin exclaimed in admiration. Zhao Qingtong said, this device has limited use. It only works for those with vitality below 5. When a martial artist's vitality increases, they can conceal their aura and the device can't identify them accurately. After a pause, Zhao Qingtong asked, Classmate Yang, after high school, which school do you plan to apply to? Yang Jin thought for a moment and replied, I want to try for a martial academy. If it had been a few days ago, Yang Jin's answer would have been military academy. But today the thought of becoming a martial artist and entering a martial academy grew stronger. Zhao Qingtong sighed softly. Getting into a martial academy is incredibly difficult. Yang Jin asked doubtfully, isn't it said that once you become a martial artist you can enter a martial academy? Zhao Qingtong gave a faint smile and explained to him, being a martial artist is just the basic requirement. There's still a long way to go before getting into a martial academy. There are 3 major martial academies on Blue Star: Xinhua, Xinglian, and Xinguang. Each martial academy has branches in countries around the world. The branches in base cities are called martial halls, and those in satellite cities are called martial centers. Classmate Yang, if you want to get into a martial academy, you first need to become a member of a martial center, then advance to a martial hall, and finally to the martial academy. So for a high school student to leap directly into a martial academy is harder than winning the lottery. I see. Yang Jin felt overwhelmed. No wonder it was so rare for a high school student from Furong District, or even the entire Yuesha city, to enter a martial academy in a single year. He hadn't realized it was this difficult. However, where there's a will, there's a way. If you have astonishing talent and outstanding achievements, you might obtain a special admission spot from a martial academy and enter sooner. For instance, the renowned Qin Muyang. He displayed his talent in high school, was noticed by the Xinhua Martial Academy, and went straight there after graduating. Qin Muyang, the unparalleled figure who as a martial venerable defeated a martial saint, was also the idol of Yang Jin's youth. Hearing about his idol's deeds from Zhao Qingtong's mouth made his blood surge with excitement. Yang Jin clenched his fist and thought to himself, Qin Muyang is a spiritualist. If he could do it, there's no reason I can't. The Mercedes-Benz sped quickly and soon reached the outskirts of the slum. Zhao, classmate, let's stop here. I will walk the rest of the way myself. The slum is notoriously dirty and chaotic, and Yang Jin, feeling embarrassed, didn't want the girl he admired to see the conditions inside. All right, take care. Zhao Qingtong smiled faintly, taking out a card. Yang, classmate, this is the student card for the Xianghua Martial Academy's Yusha City branch. I don't use it much. You can try the physical fitness test when you have time. Thank you. Yang Jin solemnly accepted the card. Yang, classmate, I hope you become a martial artist soon. Zhao Qingtong waved as the car sped away. Watching the taillights of the car disappear in the distance, Yang Jin felt a rush of emotions. To Zhao Qingtong, encountering a classmate by the roadside and offering a helping hand was merely a trivial matter. But for Yang Jin, the support and encouragement from the girl he admired was the most powerful motivator. I will go to the Xianghua Martial Academy tomorrow. Yang Jin turned and ran toward the slum. Across the street, a youth resembling a high school student stared wide-eyed, forgetting to chew the noodles in his mouth. What's going on? Zhao Qingtong drove Yang Jin home, and they were chatting and laughing. I must tell Brother Tang immediately. This is explosive news. Dialing a number, a voice came through the phone belonging to Tang Chong. Gao Wei, what's up? Gao Wei replied eagerly. Brother Tang, I saw Zhao Qingtong driving a Mercedes. I know, that's the car her family bought for her. That's not the point. Gao Wei raised his voice. I saw her driving the car taking Yang Jin home. What a clamor erupted on the other end, as if a cup had fallen to the ground. Impossible. Qingtong has very high standards. If she wouldn't look at someone like Yang Jin. What is Yang Jin? He can't even sit in Qingtong's car. I've never even been in it. Tang Chong was unwilling to believe it. Gao Wei, are you sure you didn't see it wrong? Gao Wei replied, Brother Tang, absolutely not. I swear on my eyes. Tang Chong slammed his fist on the table, his face turning a shade worse than if he had eaten something vile, letting out an angry roar. Damn it, Yang Jin, I'm going to kill you. On Sunday morning, Yang Jin called his uncle and learned that his aunt was in good condition and would be discharged in the morning. Today I will go to the Yusha City Xianghua Martial Academy for the physical fitness test. If I pass smoothly, my uncle and aunt will be very surprised. Becoming an officially recognized martial artist requires passing 2 tests. The first is the physical fitness test requiring a vitality level of 2. The second is a practical combat test involving going out to kill a certain number of monsters. Yang Jin's current task is to complete the first test. After taking the subway for over an hour, he arrived at Yida Plaza on Linjiang Road. Looking around, he saw the magnificent Xiang River ahead and towering skyscrapers behind him. Among these skyscrapers, one building stood out prominently with the words Xianghua Martial Academy displayed. Blue Star has 3 major martial academies: Xianghua Xinglian and Xinguang Martial Academies. The founder of Xinglian Martial Academy is an American, the founder of Xinguang Martial Academy is a Western European, and the founder of Xianghua Martial Academy is Chinese. Therefore, although the 3 major martial academies have branches established worldwide, most Chinese people tend to choose Xianghua Martial Academy. At the entrance of the martial academy, 2 mechanical guards stood tall. The mechas were over 2 meters high, their bodies streamlined, made from high-strength alloys, and covered in dark armor that shimmered with a unique cold metallic luster. Yang Jin was envious. The black iron mechas produced by Stark Industries are said to cost over 10 million. Stark Industries is a large group specializing in weapon and mecha production, ranking among the world's top 10 companies alongside the Pioneering Group, producing cell nutrient solutions. Yang Jin's curiosity piqued. He took a few steps forward to observe the black iron mechas up close, only to see the mecha's eyes emitting red light. The black iron mecha issued a cold voice halt. The Xianghua Martial Academy is a restricted area for martial artists. Ordinary people are not allowed to enter freely unless they possess a pass or have made an online reservation in advance. Yang Jin took out the student card given by Zhao Qingtong and waved it. "You may enter." The mecha scanned the card and allowed him to pass. The first floor was a spacious hall with many people coming and going. Most were dressed in lightweight combat attire, carrying various weapons such as swords, axes, and forks. These individuals walked with steady steps, their breaths deep, indicating that they were at least beginner martial artists. Yang Jin felt like a country bumpkin entering a grand garden, looking around with curiosity. At the information desk stood a sweet-looking young woman who noticed Yang Jin's naive appearance and began checking on the computer. There was no record of Yang Jin in the computer, not even a reservation, which made the woman furrow her brow. Out of politeness, she approached him. "Excuse me, sir, is there anything I can help you with?" "Hello, beautiful. I'm here to participate in the martial artist physical fitness test." Hearing Yang Jin's words, the woman couldn't help but chuckle. The young man in front of her, at most 18 or 19 years old, looked like a high school student. He likely came out of curiosity to experience the physical fitness test. The woman's words were understandable. The procedure for martial artist assessments is complex, and it's impossible for just anyone to come in and take the test. Yang Jin thought for a moment and pulled out the card given by Zhao Qingtong. "Could you please take a look at this?" A senior student card. The woman saw the gold card in Yang Jin's hand and smiled politely. "Sir, with a senior student card, you can participate in the physical fitness test at any time. Please follow me." "Sir, please swipe the card and enter your personal information." Holding the student card, he scanned it over the electronic screen, which displayed Zhao Qingtong's registration photo. Under the slightly puzzled gaze of the woman, Yang Jin steeled himself and input his relevant information. Once the identity information was entered, the woman handed Yang Jin a test registration form. "Sir, your senior student card has 5 remaining uses. Since you are participating in the test today, I have deducted 1 use for you." The woman smiled sweetly. "Please take the elevator to the 3rd floor to start the physical fitness test. I wish you a smooth assessment and success." Yang Jin smiled back. "Thank you." On the 3rd floor of the Martial Academy was a large indoor training room. Divided into 7 or 8 zones, there were areas for practicing punches, speed training, and weapon training. Inside, over 20 people clad in uniform training attire were sweating profusely. These individuals were not martial artists, but students of the academy who paid for their student cards and came to train on weekends and holidays. Yang Jin's arrival attracted everyone's attention. "Yang Jin." In the training area, a woman's voice carried a clear sense of questioning. Following the sound, Yang Jin saw a tall girl in training attire looking at him. "Zhou Xiaoqin." Yang Jin recognized the girl, a student from class 1 of Senior 3, who often spent time with Zhao Qingtong. Zhou Xiaoqin hurried over to Yang Jin in quick steps. "Yang Jin, I didn't expect you to come too. Are you here to train in martial arts for the military academy entrance?" Yang Jin replied, "I'm here to take the martial artist physical fitness assessment." "What? You're taking the physical fitness assessment? Has your vitality reached 2? Zhou Xiaoqin thought she had misheard. That can't be right. The school's physical test records show that last month the highest was Tang Zhong's 1.9A, and among the few with a vitality of 1.8. You weren't on the list. Last month Yang Jin's vitality had only been 1.7. He didn't bother to explain further, merely offering a faint smile. Zhou Xiaoqin looked Yang Jin up and down. Could it be that you've been deliberately holding back, playing the fool to catch the tiger? No wonder Qing Tong said she had high hopes for you. So you're actually a master. Yang Jin had barely spoken a few words, but Zhou Xiaoqin had already filled in the gaps with her own imagination. She punched Yang Jin on the shoulder. Master, show us a good performance and open my eyes. Their exchange drew the attention of others in the room. Martial artist physical fitness assessments were rare with a low pass rate, so everyone was intrigued and gathered around Yang Jin. In the office at the eastern corner of the training ground sat a short-haired young man holding a cup of fragrant tea and taking occasional sips, looking quite at ease. He was the instructor on duty today, an intermediate martial artist named Linshan. Instructor, sure, someone is here for a physical fitness assessment. A student knocked, but Linshan couldn't be bothered. In fact, a few minutes earlier, Linshan had received the assessment request via computer and knew that a high school student named Yang Jin had come for the test. An 18-year-old greenhorn who can't even walk steadily yet wants to run. How utterly presumptuous. I wonder which rich brat is wasting money for fun. Let him cool his heels for a while. It wasn't that Linshan refused to serve him, but he had encountered this situation too many times. Quite a few wealthy youngsters holding student cards often came to take the fitness test. Taking the test was one thing, but the key issue was that they repeatedly failed, never passing, which was a pure waste of time. They'll wait 10 minutes before going out. Hopefully he'll back off on his own. Linshan crossed his legs, lounging leisurely. Great. Suddenly, a thunderous cheer erupted outside the office, startling Linshan. What's going on? Linshan pricked up his ears. Yang Jin, throw another punch. Punch force 1,125 kilograms, 125 kilograms above the standard. Too strong. Well done. Cheers rang out from the training ground. After hearing a few lines, Linshan could no longer sit still. Inside the training area stood a punch force testing machine. Yang Jin stood beside the machine, surrounded by a crowd of students. The electronic screen above the machine displayed red figures, 1,125 kilograms. Yang Jin shook his wrist, quite satisfied with his performance. Last month his punch force had been only 857 kilograms, but in less than half a month it had increased by nearly 300 kilograms, a leapfrog improvement. Instructor Shi is here. The crowd parted, and Linshan walked up to Yang Jin. He first glanced at the numbers on the punch force tester, then broke into a grin. Yang Jin, I'm Linshan, and he'll be in charge of your physical fitness assessment today. Let me explain the rules first. The martial artist physical fitness assessment mainly consists of 3 items: strength, speed, and agility. Strength refers to punching force. A score of 1,000 kilograms is the passing mark. Speed refers to running speed. 20 milliseconds is the passing mark. Agility refers to body flexibility and dodging ability. A dodge rate of 60 is the passing mark. The comprehensive conversion of the above 3 items requires a vitality of 2 or above to be considered a pass. Yang Jin, now we begin the first test. Please gather your strength and throw a punch. Linshan activated the indoor camera system to record the entire process from various angles. Martial artist assessments are very strict. Every step must be executed properly, and the entire process is recorded and archived. You have 3 chances. If any punch exceeds 1,000 kilograms, it's considered a pass. Yang Jin stood before the punch force tester, taking a deep breath. He pushed off with his feet, channeling force from the ground up through his spine to his arm, and then to his fist, which shot out like a cannonball. Boom. The target was struck violently, and red figures appeared on the electronic screen. 1,107 kilograms. Excellent. The students cheered in unison. Zhou Xiaoqin, standing on the periphery, activated her electronic wristband and made a video call. Qingtong looked quickly at Yang Jin. He's taking the martial artist physical fitness assessment. Upon seeing the force of Yang Jin's punch, Zhou Xiaoqin was stunned. Oh my god, over 1,000 kilograms. That could kill an ox. Yang Jin is definitely the top student in our school. Compared to him, Tang Zhong is nothing. Zhou Xiaoqin chattered on incessantly, while Zhao Qingtong smiled silently, her gaze fixed on Yang Jin. Next is the second test. Linshan led Yang Jin to the middle of the training ground and pointed to a track. This is a 50-meter track. The round trip is 100 meters. Completing it within 5 seconds is considered a pass. Dozens of students stood on either side of the track, watching Yang Jin at the starting line. Zhou Xiaoqin had already adjusted her camera and started recording. Linshan said, Yang Jin, you can start running whenever you're ready. The electronic instruments will accurately calculate your start and finish times. Starting on one zone was far more accurate than starting at a signal gun, and it also prevented false starts or missed starts. Yang Jin placed his hands on the ground, his legs like high-efficiency springs pushed off with force, and he shot forward like an arrow from a bow. The crowd saw a dark shadow speed into the distance, then make a sharp turn at the end, dashing back in the blink of an eye, crossing the finish line. They looked up at the screen, which displayed the number 21. 5 milliseconds. Excellent. The students cheered loudly. Shi Linshan nodded in pleased approval. 2 of the 3 tests were passed, only the last one remained. For the third test, agility, Shi Linshan led Yang Jin to the right side of the training ground where a ring stood about 10 meters in diameter and 1 meter high. Shi Linshan said, Yang Jin, please step onto the ring. Within 1 minute, 100 laser pulses will be fired at you. Dodging 60 of them without falling off the ring is considered a pass. Note that being hit by a laser pulse will cause slight paralysis. Therefore, the more hits you take, the more your body will be hindered, further affecting your dodging ability. The students saw Yang Jin leap onto the ring, and many cheered him on. Yang Jin, go for it. Zhou Xiaoqin waved her arm. Old classmate, keep it up. I believe in you. Some students were not so optimistic. This level is very tough. I tried it last time and got hit over 70 times. The worst part is that being hit by the laser pulses causes body paralysis, which greatly affects dodging. It's too difficult. As they spoke, 4 mechanical arms rose around the ring. Each mechanical arm had a metal probe with a faint blue cold light glowing at the tip, the laser pulse emitters. Begin. With Shi Linshan's gesture, the mechanical arms moved. Erratically blue light coalesced on the probes, and a pulse suddenly burst forth. Yang Jin stood in the center of the arena with 2 mechanical arms visible in front and 2 behind him out of sight. For anyone else taking the test, this level would indeed be extremely difficult, as it was impossible to keep an eye on all directions. However, Yang Jin was a spiritual psionicist. His psychic power radiated outward, allowing him to perceive the surroundings of the arena with absolute clarity. The movements of the mechanical arms and the firing of the laser pulses formed a 3-dimensional image in his mind, enabling him to calculate their trajectories with precision. He slightly shrugged his shoulders, and the pulse just grazed past him. Under the arena, Shi Linshan's eyes grew brighter and brighter. Yang Jin's evasive movements were not pronounced, yet they were highly efficient. The laser pulses brushed past him, each time appearing perilous, but in truth they could never strike him. It was like dancing on the edge of a blade of sight that made one's heart race. After dodging over a dozen laser pulses, Yang Jin's footwork faltered, and he took a direct hit from one pulse. A soft sizzle sounded, and the spot where he was struck felt numb like a mild electric shock. With this pause, another pulse hit him. Watch out. The students below cried out in alarm. Zhou Xiaoqin held up her electronic wristband, and on the other end of the line, Zhao Qingtong watched nervously as well. After 1 minute, the 4 mechanical arms ceased their attack. Everyone held their breath, turning their gazes to the electronic screen. 32 hits, 68 evasions, evasion rate 68. The electronic screen emitted a mechanical voice. Candidate Yang Jin, after the comprehensive tests of strength, speed, and agility, your vitality is 2. 1. Martial artist physical assessment passed. Excellent. The training ground erupted in enthusiastic applause. Everyone was thrilled, having witnessed the birth of a martial artist. Good, very good. Shi Linshan beamed with joy. The fact that Yang Jin had passed the assessment was secondary. The key was that he was only 18 years old. 18 years old, the golden stage of life's growth, possessing immense potential for development and cultivation. Yang Jin, congratulations. Congratulations. Brother Yang, please leave your contact info. ID. Love to seek your advice later. The students came over to greet him, offering their congratulations and blessings. The membership card for the Xinhua Martial Arts School was not cheap. Those who could become students here came from at least middle-class or affluent families, often wealthy or influential. These students were mostly the children of officials or the rich, yet they showed no disdain toward Yang Jin. On the contrary, they were eager to befriend him. Having passed the physical assessment, Yang Jin only needed to pass the combat assessment to become an officially recognized martial artist. The value of a martial artist far surpassed that of an ordinary student. Zhou Xiaoqin squeezed over to Yang Jin and shook her electronic wristband. Yang Jin, look who this is. The wristband displayed Zhao Qingtong's smiling face. Classmate Yang, congratulations. Qingtong, thank you. If you hadn't lent me your membership card, I wouldn't have been able to. Perhaps emboldened by his success in the assessment, Yang Jin's address for Zhao Qingtong changed from classmate Zhao to Qingtong. Qingtong. Zhou Xiaoqin never expected Yang Jin to use such an intimate term. She glanced at Yang Jin, then at Zhao Qingtong on the screen. Zhao Qingtong smiled faintly. You're welcome. I saw you were just one step away, so I considered it adding a touch of icing to the cake. No, this is not icing on the cake. This is fuel in a snowy day. Thank you. Yang Jin was genuinely grateful. They chatted for a while, and then Shi Linshan led Yang Jin to the 4th floor to complete the formalities. Unlike the training ground on the 3rd floor, the 4th floor resembled a large exhibition hall. Weapons, shields, armor, and various equipment were displayed in glass cabinets and on racks. Shi Linshan said as they walked, Yang Jin, now that you've passed the physical assessment, you can be awarded the title of Reserve Martial Artist. Yang Jin asked doubtfully, Reserve Martial Artist? Shi Linshan laughed, yes. Once you pass the combat assessment, the reserve part can be dropped. Yang Jin inquired, Instructor Shi, when does the combat assessment begin? Linshan explained the combat assessment is organized by the government, held on average once every 6 months, usually in June and December each year. Reserve martial artists within the jurisdiction can sign up to participate. In terms of timing, the first half of the year's combat assessment is in mid to late June. They'll send out a notice beforehand, and you can choose to participate or postpone. Perfect, by then my college entrance exams will be over so I can focus entirely on the combat assessment. Then Yang Jin remembered something and continued asking, Instructor, sure, what if I don't pass the combat assessment? Huh? Linshan laughed out loud at Yang. If you don't pass, no big deal. Just sign up for a retake next time. However, you'll have to pay for the retake yourself. For example, if you hadn't passed today's physical assessment and came back for a retake, it would cost you 100 yuan. As for the combat assessment, a retake costs 100 yuan. Yang Jin clicked his tongue. Wow. Yang Jin, your information has been entered into the Xinhua Martial Arts Academy's network system. A notice will be sent to the Yuesha City Military Affairs Hall and Public Security Hall today, and your personal citizen information will also be updated. Linshan led him to a cabinet. According to the joint regulations of the nation and the 3 major martial arts academies, newly appointed reserve martial artists are provided with the following rewards in one go. They are 1 1-star weapon and its corresponding martial technique, a set of primal energy breathing techniques, and 1 vial of cellular nutrient fluid. Now choose your own weapon. In the cabinet, there were all kinds of weapons: swords, spears, halberds, axes, hooks, forks, as well as bows, arrows, and firearms. 18 types of arms were all available. One cabinet displayed over a dozen thermal weapons. Yang Jin asked, a sniper rifle and a Gatling gun. Can I choose those too? Linshan smiled. You can, but I suggest you choose a cold weapon. Yang Jin was puzzled. Instructor, why is that? Linshan replied, for martial artists and martial masters, thermal weapons are somewhat useful. At the level of martial ancestor and above, ordinary thermal weapons are far less effective than cold weapons. For one, thermal weapons require a large supply of ammunition, which is inconvenient to carry. Secondly, their lethality might not match that of cold weapons. Imagine this: a martial ancestor's speed is comparable to the speed of sound, and their punches can create sonic booms. Ordinary thermal weapons can't even harm them. Yang Jin was profoundly shocked and couldn't help swallowing. Yang Jin, pick a weapon. Linshan gestured for him to make a choice. Yang Jin scanned left and right, his gaze settling on a tumder-long iron spear. I choose this. A spear? Good. Linshan introduced it. This is a refined iron spear made of high-grade alloy, 2 meters long and weighing 30 kilograms. The shaft is split into 2 sections so it can be disassembled and stored in a spear case. This spear is rated 1 star, and it comes with a set of martial techniques called basic spear art. As he spoke, Linshan pressed a few buttons on a screen. Before long, a barrel-shaped robot slid over carrying a black leather case. Yang Jin, these are your rewards. Please check them. Yang Jin rubbed his hands together in excitement. Instructor, sure, I'm truly grateful. Opening the chest, several items lay within a long, dark gray gun case, a delicate blue box the size of a palm, and 2 insertable electronic reading cards. Linshan remarked, the gun case contains an iron spear and the blue box holds cellular nutrient. The 2 electronic reading cards are the basic spear art and the primordial energy breathing technique. They are valid for 1 week of reading, cannot be copied, and will be automatically deleted upon expiration. You must cultivate diligently once you return. Linshan turned his piercing gaze toward Yang Jin. I hope you will participate in next month's practical assessment. If you pass, there will be a generous reward. Leaving the martial arts hall, Yang Jin was beaming, still immersed in joy. The gun case slung on his back weighed over 60 jin, but this amount of weight meant nothing to him. Uncle, I passed the physical assessment and am now a reserve martial artist. Yes, I'm on my way home. How is? Let Annie rest well. They'll be home for lunch. Yang Jin immediately called to share the good news with his family. At room 3, 10th floor, splendid flower garden. Yang Tianhai beamed with joy. I knew Ah Jin would. The young girl Yang Hui jumped for joy. I idolize second brother so much, he's my hero. What are you standing around for? Ah Jin is coming home for lunch. Take out that cured ham leg and cook it. Qiu Ting reclined on the sofa. All cancer cells in her body had been eliminated and the doctor had advised her to rest more at home. Yes, my dear wife. Yang Tianhai went to prepare the cured meat with great delight. A chime sounded from Qiu Ting's electronic bracelet. Seeing the caller ID showing Supervisor Wu, her expression shifted slightly. Supervisor Wu was the head of human resources at the hotel where Qiu Ting worked. This person was notoriously snobbish, relying on her looks to maintain an ambiguous relationship with the hotel manager. She was always obsequious to superiors, but tyrannical to subordinates, particularly bullying honest, simple bottom-tier employees like Qiu Ting. Qiu Ting answered the call cautiously. Supervisor Wu, you're looking for me. Qiu Ting. A cold voice came from the bracelet. According to company policy, you committed a major error during work hours, causing a guest to be frightened. Following a company office meeting, you are hereby terminated and 6 months performance bonus will be deducted. Xiao Ting felt a deep sense of malice. Am fired. Why? Supervisor Wu's tone was harsh. You frightened a guest, causing immeasurable damage to the company's reputation. Your behavior was extremely egregious. The company is already being lenient by not holding you further accountable. How dare you be defiant? Xiao Ting grew angry. Supervisor Wu have a conscience. I work hard every day, exhausted without even time to rest. Fainting from exhaustion should be considered a work injury. How can you say I frightened a guest? Supervisor Wu snorted coldly. Xiao Ting, I won't waste words with you. Starting now, you don't need to come to work anymore. If you're not satisfied, you can pursue legal action. With that, the call ended. Xiao Ting's lips tightened, her eyes reddening. This is too much. Yang Tianhai, overhearing the conversation, walked over and embraced his wife. Honey, it's okay. Forget that damn cleaning job. Xiao Ting felt so wronged, she could only cry. Fine, fire me, but why deduct 6 months of my bonus? That's thousands of yuan. Yang Hui said angrily. Mom's second brother is already a reserve martial artist. I'll be back soon. I heard martial artists have privileges. Maybe. Hearing that Yang Jin was coming home, Xiao Ting wiped the corners of her eyes. Silly child, your second brother just became a reserve martial artist. We can't trouble him. I'm fine now. When Ah Jin gets home, don't say anything. I don't want him to worry. Just then, heavy footsteps echoed from the hallway. Second brother is back. Yang Hui recognized the sound of her brother running up the stairs. Uncle, auntie, little sister. Yang Jin entered the house and placed the gun case on the table in front of his aunt. Xiao Ting asked Ah Jin what's inside. Yang Jin opened the case, revealing 2 sections of a spear shaft. Auntie, this is a reward from the Xinhua Martial Arts Hall. It's an iron spear, a 1-star weapon. The spear was entirely pitch black, its tip like a slanted, all gleaming coldly and exceptionally sharp. The surface of the shaft was engraved with fine patterns to increase grip and prevent slipping. He took out the 2 sections, aligned them in the middle, and twisted. With a click, they joined seamlessly. Yang Hui reached out, curiously touching it. What a cool spear. Yang Tianhai examined the sleek iron spear, a look of surprise on his face. A 1-star weapon. I remember seeing them for sale online. The price is at least 10,000. Yang Jin disassembled and put away the spear, then took out the blue box. The martial arts hall also issued 1 vial of cellular nutrient fluid. Little sister, you should drink it. Yang Tianhai and Xiao Ting said in unison. Ah Jin, no. Yang Hui looked at the box longingly. Brother drinking, it would be a waste on me. Uncle, auntie. Yang Jin said solemnly. I have already consumed cellular nutrient fluid. Drinking more wouldn't have a significant effect. I want this one for little sister. This? Yang Tianhai and his wife exchanged a glance, saw the firm determination in Yang Jin's eyes, and said softly, all right. Thank you, second brother. The young girl was ecstatic. Soon Yang Tianhai finished cooking, and the family gathered around the table filled with laughter and joy. Zhongliang Hotel, a well-known local chain in Furong District. In the hotel's office area, a seductive woman with a figure like a water snake pressed a button on her electronic bracelet. Phew, Popper. The company fired you, and you still dare to be defiant. That's against the heavens. Wu Renxin, as the hotel's HR supervisor, was extremely harsh with lower-level employees, secretly earning the nickname Wu the Skinner. Swaying her supple waist, Wu Renxin walked to an office door marked manager. She knocked gently, pushed it open, and slipped inside, closing the door behind her. In a soft leather recliner, the obese Cui Yongjun squinted. So did you make the call? Wu Renxin's voice was drawn out and syrupy. Manager Cui, that woman named Xiao Ting, is very unhappy. She might even sue us. Cui Yongjun snorted dismissively. Unhappy? She's just a woman from the slums. Who does she think she is? If she dares to sue our legal department, is ready to play along and drag it out until she's broke. Cui Yongjun chuckled lecherously. Xian Mei, you did a good job on this. Go out first. I need to call young Master Tang. He'll reward you handsomely tonight. Hearing the words young Master Tang, Wu Renxin obediently withdrew, not forgetting to throw Cui Yongjun a flirtatious glance. There were 3 Zhongliang hotels in Furong District, all owned by the local tycoon Tang Zhongliang. The young Master Tang Cui Yongjun referred to as Tang Zongliang's only son Tang Zhong. Dialing the number, Cui Yongjun spoke obsequiously. Young Master Tang, as you instructed, Xiao Ting has been fired. I also heard she was diagnosed with terminal liver cancer. She probably doesn't have long to live. Cui Yongjun's words were full of schadenfreude, unaware that Xiao Ting's illness had been cured. Tang Zhong's voice came through the phone. Manager Cui, well done. They'll put in a good word for you with my father. Cui Yongjun's face split into a grin like a blooming chrysanthemum. Thank you for your patronage, young master. If there is ever any need, please feel free to command me. Lanshang Mansion, a high-end residential area in Furong District. The entire neighborhood consisted of standalone villas with prices starting at least 10 million. Within one such villa lay a spacious indoor training ground. Bang! Tang Zhong swung his right fist, striking the bullseye of the strength tester. The electronic screen displayed 995 kilograms. just 5 kilograms short. A few more doses of cellular nutrient fluid, and I should hit 1,000 kilograms. Then I can register for the martial artist physical assessment. Tang Zhong clenched his fist, savoring the surging power, a cold smirk curling at his lips. Yang Jin, you country bumpkin daring to vie for my woman. First you'll have your aunt fired. Once she dies of cancer, you'll go after the rest of your family, slowly toying with you. Tang Zhong threw punch after punch, venting his resentment on the human-shaped sandbag. The sandbag's face bore the crude, bold character, Yang, written in marker. After lunch, Yang Jin assisted his younger sister in absorbing the cellular nutrient fluid. Yang Hui lay supine on the bed, sweat streaming down in large drops. Second brother, it really hurts. The young girl, only 15 and still a middle school student, clenched her teeth against the agony of bodily transformation. Third sister, perseverance is victory. Yang Jin, having experienced the absorption of cellular nutrient fluid himself, offered encouragement. Yang Hui gripped her second brother's arm tightly, her palms already drenched. After more than 2 hours, the pain gradually faded. The absorption complete, Yang Hui sprang up. Second brother, I feel so much stronger and my mind is sharper. There was this really tough math problem on the test. I could never solve it before, but now I think I know the general. Cellular nutrient fluid promoted cell growth, enhancing physical strength, while modestly unlocking intellect. Many affluent families had their children start taking the fluid after age 10, some even using it long-term. Hey-ha. Yang Hui assumed a horse stance, swinging her arms and throwing a few practice punches. Yang Jin deliberately sniffed the air. Third sister, go take a shower. You're drenched in sweat and stinking. Yang Hui puffed out her cheeks. I won't wash. I'm going to stink you to death. That evening, Yang Jin opened his old laptop, inserted the electronic card, and prepared to cultivate the primal energy breathing art. The primal energy breathing art was a breathing technique, its content a detailed video of light and shadow. The video's beginning provided a rough explanation of the art's origins. After this stellar conjunction, event changes in Blue Star's atmosphere caused genetic mutations to a certain degree in humans, animals, and plants. Through the joint efforts of countless martial arts masters and scientists, the root cause of the genetic mutations was discovered: a mysterious force in cosmic space, known as primal energy. Primal energy was omnipresent, yet ethereal and elusive. It could promote cell growth, strengthening mutation, and even the emergence of various incredible abilities. Through relentless human exploration and refinement, a cultivation method capable of absorbing primal energy was created, the primal energy breathing art. Ordinary people lacking a sufficiently strong physique could not sense primal energy. Therefore, the prerequisite for cultivating the primal energy breathing art was a vitality of at least 2. Consequently, upon passing the physical assessment to become a candidate martial artist, the authorities would bestow the primal energy breathing art free of charge. Reading this, Yang Jin couldn't help but admire the government's vision and generosity. Primal energy cultivation is somewhat akin to the Taoist meditation and qi circulation of ancient Huaxia. The AI figure in the video explained as it demonstrated. Following the video's instructions, Yang Jin sat down cross-legged. Head level, body upright, lips and teeth closed, tongue touching the palate, eyes half closed in a downward gaze. He relaxed his entire body naturally, hands resting on his thighs, palms facing upward. First, you must sense the primal energy in the universe, then draw it into your body, letting it flow through your blood vessels throughout your body to nourish your cells. After about half an hour, Yang Jin's thoughts calmed, his mind empty and undisturbed without a single ripple. Gradually, he seemed to perceive sparse specks of light drifting in the surrounding space. Those specks were minuscule, invisible to the naked eye, discernible only through a spiritual perception. Primal energy. Yang Jin realized these specks of light must be primal energy. It doesn't seem so difficult, he mused to himself. In truth, he was unaware that his rapid perception of primal energy was entirely due to the aid of his spiritual willpower. For others, achieving this perception after 5 or 6 hours would already be considered genius. As he circulated the primal energy breathing art, his body seemed to generate a faint magnetic force attracting those specks of light. Finally, a single speck drew close and was inhaled into his mouth. More and more specks gathered, swimming in from all directions, entering his body through his mouth and nose, seeping in from the ends of blood vessels and dissipating into his bloodstream. With the blood flow, his bodies cells, like ravenous beasts, voraciously devoured the primal energy. Yang Jin felt his body inflating like a balloon, a sensation of being blown up. He only ceased cultivation once his body reached a state of saturation. Idly swinging his arm, he felt a tremendous surge in strength. Roughly estimating, this session of cultivation had increased his vitality by at least 0.1 is surpassing the effect of a dose of cellular nutrient fluid. The first session of primal energy breathing art cultivation yielded the most pronounced results, with subsequent sessions tending to level off. Checking the time, it was already midnight. He prepared to shower and sleep. Stripping off his clothes quickly, he looked at his reflection in the mirror. broad shoulders, narrow waist, well-proportioned, outlining a perfect inverted triangle. His muscles were distinct, firm, and solid, brimming with vitality and exuding a wild beauty. It was strikingly similar to the scene in the century-old movie Spider-Man, where Peter Parker's body was enhanced after being bitten by a mutated spider. Awesome. After washing up, Yang Jin went to bed. Suddenly, he sensed a faint ripple in his sea of consciousness and delved his awareness into it. Within, the psychic orb continued its slow rotation, and the mist formed by his spiritual willpower had thickened slightly. Strange, I clearly felt a fluctuation. Yang Jin focused his gaze, his eyes settling on the motionless ancient divine insect. What's this? His gaze pierced through the ancient divine insect's body, revealing a dark, shadowy space. Could it be? An incredible thought surged in Yang Jin's mind. The internal space of the ancient divine insect. Examining the space closely, it was tiny, about 1 cubic meter in volume, completely empty, devoid of any objects. It really is a space. Yang Jin was overjoyed. Over the past century, human technology had advanced rapidly, yet spatial technology had remained in the exploratory phase with little success. Yang Jin had never expected to unlock the internal space of the ancient divine insect. Moreover, he had a faint premonition that as his strength grew, this space would expand. Let's test what this space can do. He took out the gun case, and with a mere thought, the case vanished, reappearing in the space. Then, with another mental command, the case materialized in his hand. Incredibly convenient and swift. I can store weapons like throwing knives and daggers in this space as a trump card. Also, I must never tell anyone about this. Not even uncle, aunt, or third sister. Otherwise, the consequences would be disastrous. Withdrawing his consciousness from the sea of perception, perhaps due to a surge in his spiritual, Yang Jin inadvertently extended his senses and overheard the conversation of his uncle and aunt next door. Dear, it's all in the past. Stop sighing and get some rest. This was Uncle Yang Tianhai's voice. They fired me for no reason and docked half a year's bonus. That's thousands of yuan. Aunt Xiao Ting's tone was filled with indignation and grievance. Our family had no savings to begin with. This time for my medical treatment, it was all paid for by A. Jin. It weighs on my conscience. Now that I've lost my job, where am I to earn those thousands of yuan? These few words sent a chill through Yang Jin. His aunt had been dismissed from the hotel and had half a year's performance bonus withheld. Yang Jin swept his gaze across the room. The keys of the laptop began to press themselves, opening a web page and bringing up a search bar. Soon a long list of information about Zhongliang Hotel appeared. Zhongliang Hotel, a local chain in Furong District, had 3 branches in the area. Its corporate legal person was Tang Zhongliang. Entering the name Tang Zhongliang, a new search brought up numerous news reports. Tang Zhongliang, a man of considerable wealth, was one of the notable rich in Furong District. He was passionate about charity and considered a fairly well-known public figure. Seeing Tang Zhongliang's picture on the webpage, Yang Jin was momentarily stunned. The man's appearance bore a striking resemblance of 70 to 80% to Tang Zhong. Continuing to browse, he found a news article about Tang Zhongliang attending a charity gala with Tang Zhong. They were indeed father and son. Yang Jin's mind raced, and he roughly pieced together the events leading to his aunt's dismissal. Zhongliang Hotel was part of the Tang family's assets, and his aunt happened to work there as a cleaner. Tang Zhong had discovered her information and in an act of tyranny had her fired and her wages docked. In the end, it was all a devious scheme by Tang Zhong to get back at him. Tang Zhong, you dare target my family. You deserve to die. Zhongliang Hotel, I'll go see it tomorrow. I'll find out if they're benevolent philanthropists or vile beasts. Yang Jin's gaze was murderous, chillingly fierce. At 18, he was full of youthful vigor. Since his aunt had been wronged, he would seek justice, even if it meant risking everything. An eye for an eye, and the sooner the better. That was his way of handling things. The next day was Monday. Yang Jin woke up early and went to the rooftop to practice his spear techniques. The basic spear art consisted of 13 forms: thrust, jab, lift, parry, block, intercept, twirl, pry, press, chop, bounce, entangle, and lock. Each form contained 10 variations, totaling 130 moves. Yang Jin stood holding the spear, feet shoulder-width apart, center of gravity, low eyes fixed forward. His left hand gripped the shaft, his right hand held the butt. The spear body quivered violently as the tip shot forward in a sudden thrust. This thrust gathered the full power of his body, guided by the spear point, forming a straight, sharp line. The spear strikes in a line. The wind howled sharply as if tearing through the air, demonstrating its formidable power. With the spear in hand, Yang Jin felt a surge of heroic spirit. His combat ability was at least 50% greater than with bare hands. After finishing his spear practice, he went home for breakfast. In front of the children, his uncle and aunt kept up cheerful appearances. They had no idea, however, that Yang Jin was already aware of the family's predicament. After breakfast, Yang Jin left the house. He sent a message to his homeroom teacher using family matters as an excuse to ask for half a day off. Yang Jin was known as a well-behaved and obedient student, so the teacher didn't suspect anything and granted his request. He jogged all the way, and after more than half an hour he arrived in front of a building bearing the sign, Zhongliang Hotel. As he neared the main entrance, he heard a scolding coming from the lobby. I have emphasized countless times the customer is God, they are our bread and butter. Some employees, due to personal issues, have frightened the customers, creating a very negative impact. Such individuals are dismissed without hesitation, and the company will also hold them accountable. I hope everyone will take this as a warning. Whoever dares to make such a basic mistake will find no mercy from the company. Watching the obese man lecturing the employees in the lobby, Yang Jin felt a wave of nausea. Cui Yongjun, hands on his hips, was spraying spittle everywhere, completely unaware of the person who had appeared behind him. Dozens of employees stood in neat rows, hands behind their backs, receiving the lecture. In the middle of the front row, the HR director Wu Renxin pursed his lips. Manager, Cui behind you. Cui Yongjun turned his head. At the hotel entrance, a young man who looked like a high school student was leaning against the doorframe. His face darkened. Kid, who are you? Manager Cui, am Yang Jin. Qiu Ting is my aunt. Yang Jin. The moment the name Qiu Ting was uttered, the employees all looked shocked. 2 days ago, Qiu Ting had fainted at work, and the company had fired her, citing that she had frightened the guests. Most of the employees knew that Qiu Ting had been deliberately targeted by the company. Though they were indignant, not one dared to speak up. They hadn't expected a family member and a high school student at that to come knocking. Truly, a newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. A sneer played on Cui Yongjun's lips. Of course he knew who Yang Jin was. This kid was the very person young Master Tang Zhong had singled out to deal with. Yang Jin, what are you doing here? Don't tell me you want to stand up for your aunt. Cui Yongjun crossed his arms, his eyes full of contempt. Yang Jin raised his voice. Manager Cui, my aunt fainted while working at Zhongliang Hotel. The hotel must bear her medical expenses. Furthermore, you fired her without cause. According to labor law, you must provide compensation. Huh? Cui Yongjun laughed out loud, as if he had heard the funniest joke. Labor law? Kid, who do you think you are? Get the hell out of here if you know what's good for you, or I'll sue you for trespassing on private property. Even if I beat you, it'll be for nothing. Yang Jin had intended to be civil first, but the other party's insolence, calling himself your father, ignited his anger. He stared straight at Cui Yongjun. Cui, you fat pig. If you short us a single cent, I'll sue you. You little bastard. How dare you curse me? Cui Yongjun's fury boiled over like oil hitting a flame, shooting straight to his head. His entire body of fat quivered as his 200 frame charged at Yang Jin like a wild boar. He'll make sure you never leave this building today. Cui Yongjun was of Korean descent and had practiced taekwondo since childhood. Though not a martial artist, he was quite skilled. His massive frame closed the distance in a few steps. His right foot tensed as he kicked towards Yang Jin's face. Is that all? Yang Jin let out a soft snort, shifting his body slightly to dodge the incoming kick. Hearing Yang Jin's laughter, Cui Yongjun became even more enraged. You little bastard, die. He planted his right foot, twisted his waist, and swung his left leg like a sharp axe in an arc aimed at Yang Jin's head. Taekwondo emphasizes leg techniques. Its moves are flashy and dazzling. For ordinary people without a martial arts foundation, it is both impressive and intimidating. The employees hadn't expected Manager Cui, who was as fat as a pig, to be so skilled. They let out gasps of admiration. Manager Cui is so strong. Incredible. Wu Renxin in particular was so excited he was practically drooling. Manager Cui, kill that kid. How dare you pit your mere taekwondo against the ancient boxing of my Huaxia? Yang Jin snorted coldly, tilting his head back to evade his opponent's roundhouse kick. He then stepped forward, his elbow like a coiled spring and his fist like a sledgehammer, striking with brute force and relentless aggression. Yang Jin executed the half-step collapse, a technique derived from the crushing fist within the 100 forms of Hua boxing. Fierce, ruthless, and overwhelmingly violent. As the gale-force wind surged with a roaring howl, his fist slammed into Cui Yongjun's chest. Boom! Like a fierce gale scattering fallen leaves, Cui Yongjun was sent flying through the air. With a clatter, his massive frame weighing over 200 Jin hurtled 5 or 6 meters away, smashing the newspaper rack against the wall into splinters and scattering books and pamphlets across the floor. All the employees stared wide-eyed, their mouths agape in perfect OS. The hall fell into a dead silence, so still that a dropping pin could be heard. After a few breaths, gasps of astonishment erupted. Oh my God! Manager Cui got beaten. That was brutal. The employees milled about in chaos, and several female workers let out shrill screams. Wu Renxin exclaimed, call the police. Get an ambulance. Yang Jin swept his cold gaze across the room and fixed his eyes on Wu Renxin. Under that piercing stare, her heart clenched and her legs involuntarily turned to jelly. This sharp-tongued, venomous woman trembled like a leaf in a storm, as if she had seen a ghost. A foul stench seeped from beneath her. She had been scared into losing control of her bladder. Wow! Sensing the disdain, disgust, and contempt in her colleagues' eyes, Wu Renxin was overwhelmed with humiliation and grief, covering her mouth as she sobbed. Chui Yongjun scrambled to his feet, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and glared like a venomous snake. Yang, you just wait. With that, he tapped his electronic wristband and dialed a call right in front of Yang Jin. Is this the Public Security Bureau? I'm Chui Yongjun from Zhongliang Hotel. Someone is committing violent assault here at the hotel and has injured me. Please come quickly. I'm afraid he'll continue and harm other guests. Chui Yongjun ended the call and flashed a chilling smirk. Kid, I may not be able to beat you, but I can ruin you. You're still wet behind the ears to mess with me. Damn it, so this is how you want to play. Maybe I should just go all the way and finish him off. Yang Jin stared intently at Chui Yongjun, his murderous intent surging. Chui Yongjun felt his scalp crawl under that gaze, a bone-chilling cold shooting up from his tailbone. This kid truly dared to kill. Not long after, a patrol car pulled up outside the hotel. Manager Chui, I heard there's a disturbance. A tall, lean, middle-aged man strode into the hall, followed by two uniformed officers. Chui Yongjun's confidence surged at the sight of the officers. Officer, it's this kid who assaulted me and threatened my life. Arrest him. The middle-aged man surveyed the scene of the fight, his gaze lingering on the shattered newspaper rack before shifting to Yang Jin. A flicker of surprise crossed his eyes. Young man, I'm Zhang Tongwei, head of the local police station. You are suspected of assault. Come with us. Chief Zhang will cooperate with your investigation. Yang Jin showed full respect to the authorities. Zhang Tongwei turned to Chui Yongjun. Manager Chui will need you to come along as well. No problem, I'll cooperate fully. Chui Yongjun looked at Yang Jin, a smug sneer curling his lips. Xiao Cheng, go retrieve the surveillance footage. As Zhang Tongwei gave the order, one officer immediately headed to the computer room to copy the video. Chui Yongjun instinctively looked up, for cameras were installed around the ceiling. It seems I struck first. A jolt of panic hit Chui Yongjun, but he quickly brushed it aside. What's there to fear? Even if it's ruled mutual combat, that kid will still spend a few days in detention. If this gets handled well, young Master Tang will be pleased. I don't mind a few days inside. About 10 minutes later, at the local station, Yang Jin was led into an interrogation room. The officer glanced at Yang Jin, who looked around with curiosity and tossed out a word. Reflect on your actions. Don't hide anything, or it'll only make things worse when we find out. The officer's words didn't faze Yang Jin in the slightest. Chui Yongjun had thrown the first punch at the hotel. He was merely defending himself. More importantly, his current status was that of a reserve martial artist. A grassroots police station had no authority to convict him. Having grasped the key point, Yang Jin relaxed, leaning back in his chair, stretching his legs out and closing his eyes to rest. In the station's information processing room, Zhang Tongwei and several officers were reviewing the surveillance footage. The sequence of events was crystal clear. First, a verbal altercation between Chui Yongjun and Yang Jin. Then Chui Yongjun launched a sudden attack, only to be sent flying by Yang Jin's single punch. Zhang Tongwei's eyes lit up. Impressive kid. One punch sent a 200 man flying 5 meters. That kind of strength should put him at the level of a primary martial artist. He asked an officer, Xiao Cheng, have you printed out the citizen records for both of them? Xiao Cheng replied, Chief Zhang just got them. Please take a look. Zhang Tongwei took the 2 documents. When he saw Chui Yongjun's record, he couldn't help but snort. A Korean expat, a stray dog daring to throw his weight around on Huaxia soil. After watching the surveillance video, Zhang Tongwei was already dissatisfied with Chui Yongjun's actions. Learning he was of Korean descent only deepened his contempt. Yang Jin's identity remarks are blank. Did he not take the martial artist assessment? That makes things a bit tricky. In his heart, Zhang Tongwei admired the high school student named Yang Jin and wanted to help him. However, the video footage didn't paint a favorable picture for Yang Jin. After all, the brawl was a fact, and both Chui Yongjun and Yang Jin bore responsibility. Both would face fines or detention. Chui Yongjun wouldn't care, but Yang Jin was a high school student. If this left a mark on his record, it could affect his college admissions and future job prospects. Let's try to mediate. The kid's education is no easy matter. He's about to take the college entrance exam. It would be a shame to ruin his future. A few minutes later, Zhang Tongwei walked out of Chui Yongjun's interrogation room with a grim face. He had intended to pressure Chui Yongjun into backing down, but the latter was stubborn as a mule, willing to have both of them detained for a few days rather than agree to mediation. This is tough. Zhang Tongwei rubbed his forehead. Chief Zhang, the district bureau has forwarded an official letter from Xinhua Martial Arts Hall. A female officer handed him the document. Xinhua Martial Arts Hall. Zhang Tongwei was startled. Any matter involving the 3 major martial academies was treated with the utmost seriousness by law enforcement. He took the letter, was stunned for a moment, then his face broke into a broad grin. This makes it much easier. He waved his hand. Let's go deal with that bastard. In the interrogation room, Chui Yongjun was whistling cheerfully. These Huaxiao people are cunning. They want me to mediate. Not a chance. A few days in detention is nothing to me. They'll treat it as a vacation. If that kid gets locked up for a few days, his college entrance exam will be ruined. Kimchi. Just then the interrogation room door swung open. Zhang Tongwei looked at him sternly. Manager Chui, I advise you to agree to mediation. Chief Zhang, I've heard your country is a nation of law with impartiality and fairness as your principles. But here it seems to have a different flavor, doesn't it? Chui Yongjun's words dripped with sarcasm. Or did he bribe you? Manager Chui, well said. Then let's handle this by the book. Zhang Tongwei raised his voice. Xiao Cheng, draft a report immediately. The content is as follows. Chui Yongjun, manager of Zhongliang Hotel, deliberately targeted the aunt of Yang Jin, a reserve martial artist of Xinhua Martial Arts Hall, unjustly firing her and withholding her wages. Yang Jin went to reason with him, and Chui Yongjun responded with abusive language and was the first to resort to violence. Chui Yongjun's behavior is extremely egregious. This matter is to be reported to the District Bureau and copied to the Yusha City, Xinhua Martial Arts Hall, for joint handling. Zhang Tongwei paused, briefly glancing at Chui Yongjun, whose face had turned pale and forehead was beaded with sweat. Xiaoqing, issue it as a formal redhead document and submit it immediately. Yes, sir. Xiao Cheng snapped to attention. Chui Yongjun's mind buzzed like thunder. A reserve martial artist. How is that possible? I've struggled for decades drinking a vial of cellular nutrient solution every month, yet my vitality is stuck at 1.9, never able to break through. That young fellow is only 18 and already a martial artist. Not just in Furong District, but even in Yuesha City with its millions he stands out. The one I'm up against is such a prodigy. The more Chui Yongjun thought, the more terrified he became. Cold sweat. When he heard Zhang Tongwei order the report to be submitted, his whole body trembled. Station Chief Zhang, let's talk things out. Am willing to mediate, willing to mediate. Chui Yongjun could imagine that once this report reached the District Security Bureau and was sent to the Xinhua Martial Arts Hall, he would face severe sanctions. Detention and fines were minor. But if he lost his job, where would he find another with an annual salary of hundreds of thousands? Zhang Tongwei asked with a half-smile. Manager Chui, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure, Imida. Chui Yongjun bowed and scraped his back, bent straight as a line. All right, I'll go ask the other party's opinion. Zhang Tongwei left the interrogation room with Xiao Cheng. As soon as the door closed, Xiao Cheng chuckled. Chief, that Korean is truly shameless. Zhang Tongwei shook his head. Arrogant to the core, bullying the weak and fearing the strong. It's their tradition. Still, this is fine. Yang Jin is only a reserve, not yet a full martial artist. There's no need to push things too far. Behind Chui Yongjun stands Tang Zhongliang. If Yang Jin provokes him, it would be like an egg striking a rock. Xiao Cheng clicked his tongue. Tang Zhongliang is a billionaire. I heard he has a martial artist as a bodyguard. Zhang Tongwei said indifferently, being a bodyguard for a nouveau riche who lives off a woman. I doubt that martial artist is much either. Pushing open the iron door of another interrogation room, he saw Yang Jin lying back. Young man, you've got a good attitude. Hearing the door open, Yang Jin opened his eyes. Zhang Tongwei smiled. Young man, I've checked your citizen information. According to national regulations, martial artists are managed by specialized martial affairs departments, not the security departments. However, since you're a reserve martial artist, we do have some authority. Zhang Tongwei continued. In today's incident, the primary fault lies with Chui Yongjun. I suggest you both. Yang Jin sat up straight. Chief Zhang, how would mediation work? Zhang Tongwei replied, accept an apology or financial compensation. Yang Jin owed a debt of 1,000 and was worried about how to repay it. An apology is just empty words. I want him to pay money. Zhang Tongwei nodded. All right, name a figure, and he'll ask the other party. Yang Jin's mind raced, and he asked with a smile, Chief Zhang, you have experience in this. Any suggestions? Zhang Tongwei chuckled and lowered his voice. In the official case database, there are plenty of precedents. On average, it's around 5,000 to 2,000. 2,000 is too little. Add more. Yang Jin said, 3,000, plus compensation for my aunt's medical expenses and severance. Zhang Tongwei signaled Xiao Cheng with a glance. Xiao Cheng left the room and soon brought Chui Yongjun over. Chief Zhang, Student Yang. Chui Yongjun clasped his hands and bowed repeatedly. Student Yang, well, strictly follow the rules for medical and severance compensation. But 3,000 is a hefty sum. Can we lower it a bit? Yang Jin glanced sideways at him. In that case, there's no need to discuss further. Fine then, Xiao Cheng, draft the report, Zhang Tongwei said. Chui Yongjun cursed inwardly, but forced a smile uglier than tears. Don't be like that. 3,000 is fine. They'll pay right now, I will. Soon the mediation agreement was finalized with the 3,000 coming from Chui Yongjun personally, and the money was transferred smoothly. When Chui Yongjun left the security station, his face was as dark as water, his teeth grinding audibly. Zhang Tongwei, hoping to befriend Yang Jin, handed him a business card. Xiaoyang, here is my contact info. Call me if you need anything. Chui Yongjun has suffered a big loss and might cause you trouble. Stay cautious and safe. Yang Jin clearly sensed Zhang Tongwei's goodwill and thanked him profusely. Watching Yang Jin leave, Zhang Tongwei sighed softly. Alas, for a child from a poor family to rise above, it's too hard. I hope he becomes a full martial artist. Yang Jin's background resonated with Zhang Tongwei. He too came from a slum, returned to his hometown after graduation to take the civil service exam, started as a low-level security officer, and now in middle age had only become the head of a grassroots security station. In contrast, his university classmate with the strongest connections had long been transferred to the Kyoto-based city as the deputy head of the municipal security department. Comparing the two, it was like heaven and earth. Zhang Tongwei sighed, inwardly exhaling a lonely breath. Master Tang, I have a new report for you. After leaving the security station, Cui Yongjun immediately called Tang Zhong. What did you say? Yang Jin became a reserve martial artist at Xinhua Martial Arts Hall. At Furong District No. 1 High School. Tang Zhong, smoking with a group of lackeys, choked on the smoke. Yang Jin, a reserve martial artist. Several lackeys heard Tang Zhong's words and showed disbelief. Tang Zhong angrily threw away his cigarette, and stomped on it hard. Damn it, that Yang Jin got lucky and became a reserve martial artist before I even passed the test. If this continues, and he becomes a full martial artist before me, it'll be hard to deal with him. I need to think of a way. After thinking for a moment, he found his brain insufficient. Tang Zhong looked at his lackey. Gao Wei, come up with an idea. How do we deal with Yang Jin? Gao Wei stammered, his face full of fear and hesitation. Brother Tang, he's a reserve martial artist. Tang Zhong was displeased and scanned his lackeys. Any of you give me an idea to deal with Yang Jin, and he'll give you 1000. With the heavy reward, Gao Wei's courage swelled. Brother Tang, after much thought, I've come up with a plan. When Yang Jin returned to school, it was nearly noon. He had lunch with his best friend Hu Qinghua and found a table to eat. Jin, you're paying back so quickly. Hu Qinghua eating was surprised by the balance notification on his phone. He had lent Yang Jin 100 and was prepared not to get it back, but within 3 days the full amount was returned. Hu Qinghua asked, where did you get the money? Yang Jin smiled. Bro, I passed the physical assessment at Xinhua Martial Arts Hall last weekend and became a reserve martial artist. A reserve martial artist. Hu Qinghua jumped as if pricked by a needle. Jin, your vitality is over too. Yang Jin said, my family bought me a vial of cellular nutrient solution and my vitality surged. Hu Qinghua shook his head in amazement. I remember your vitality was 1.7 last month. Even if it reached 1.8 this month, that nutrient solution would have to provide 0.2 vitality to be considered overperforming. I've taken 5 vials of nutrient solution in total, and they only raised my vitality by 0.13. Compared to your single vial, it's infuriating. Yang Jin, Hu Qinghua. 2 girls approached with trays, Zhao Qingtong and Zhou Xiaoqin. Yang Jin smiled slightly. Qingtong, Xiaoqin, come sit and eat together. Hu Qinghua looked at the 2 charming beauties and then at the calm Yang Jin, utterly confused. Brother Tang, they're over there. Not far away. Tang Zhong and his lackeys saw Yang Jin and Zhao Qingtong chatting happily and stood frozen. Yang Jin. Tang Zhong gripped his chopsticks tightly, jealousy growing like wild grass, eroding his sanity. He'll destroy you, destroy you. In the blink of an eye, several days had passed, and it was already the end of May with just over a week remaining until the college entrance exam. The compensation from Zhongliang Hotel for his aunt had been fully received, totaling over 100,000. His aunt had fully recovered and, unable to stay idle, found a job as a sales assistant at a supermarket near the neighborhood. By now, Yang Jin had become a prominent figure at school. First, the news of his becoming a reserve martial artist had been confirmed by multiple sources and was spreading like wildfire. During a flag-raising ceremony, the principal mentioned this matter in his speech, his words brimming with pride and honor. He even awarded Yang Jin a top-tier scholarship of 50,000 yuan. Yang Jin used the entire bonus to support his family, deeply moving and gratifying his aunt and uncle. If becoming a martial artist had made all the students envious, the second event made every male student burn with jealousy. Zhao Qingtong, the universally recognized school beauty, had an unusually close relationship with Yang Jin, especially when occasionally seen in the cafeteria. Zhao Qingtong, Zhou Xiaoqin, Yang Jin, and Hu Qinghua eating together and chatting cheerfully. A group of boys gritted their teeth in anger. Yang Jin has gone too far. I want to hit him. Go ahead if you dare. The other day, Tang Zhong brought a few lackeys 5 against 1, and he took them all down in under 10 seconds. You can try your luck. Get lost. My vitality may not be high, but that doesn't mean I'm stupid. During this period, Yang Jin trained diligently every day, his strength steadily rising. He took time to test himself at the Xinhua Martial Arts Hall, reaching a vitality level of 2.4. With my current strength, passing the martial artist practical assessment next month should be no problem. I'm going to walk the path of a martial artist. The college entrance exam no longer matters to me. In the night, Yang Jin jogged slowly. The empty road had few pedestrians, and some streetlights were broken, casting flickering shadows. Perhaps due to the recent rain, the ground was slick and slippery. Turning a street corner under a dim street lamp ahead, an off-road vehicle was parked by the roadside. A man and a woman were pulling at each other by the car like a couple arguing. Honey, listen to me. There's really nothing between me and that woman. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Yang Jin drew closer to the pair. His hearing was naturally acute, and he clearly caught their conversation. Shaking his head, he quickened his pace to pass by swiftly when suddenly his ears twitched slightly, catching a faint breathing sound from behind the off-road vehicle. His spiritual sense radiated outward like ultrasonic waves from a bat, precisely sensing a person hiding behind the car. Damn it, this is an ambush. Yang Jin's mind was crystal clear. The arguing couple was a ruse. Including the person behind the car, there were 2 men and 1 woman clearly sent to deal with him. The couple's quarrel grew fiercer, and the man raised his hand, pretending to strike the woman. "They'll play with whoever I want, you slut, mind your own business." The woman suddenly swung her arm and screamed as she ran toward Yang Jin. "Help." The woman's face was full of terror, her expression so lifelike that if Yang Jin hadn't sensed it in advance, he would never have guessed she was faking. "Handsome, save me, someone's going to hit me." Yang Jin said coldly. "He's right, you do deserve a beating." The woman showed a look of astonishment, then her foot slipped and she lunged forward. Her right hand swung with the motion, and a flash of black light shot from her grip. The black light came extremely fast, hard to see with the naked eye, but Yang Jin's spiritual sense perceived it clearly. He shifted his feet slightly, and the exquisitely crafted flying knife grazed his right shoulder. Yang Jin's anger flared. Without his spiritual perception, the knife would have struck him instantly, crippling an arm. "Bitch, die." Spitting out the words coldly, Yang Jin swung his fist at the woman charging toward him. The punch was fierce and violent, cracking like a firecracker, a terrifying sound. The woman felt a gust of fierce wind on her face. Before the fist arrived, the force was already there, causing the skin on her face to tremble violently. She was terrified as if seeing a ghost and instinctively dodged sideways. Bang! The savage force struck the woman's shoulder, impacting her body and sending her flying like a torn cloth sack. Midair, she spewed blood from her mouth, then crashed to the ground unconscious. With a single punch, Yang Jin had beaten the woman until she coughed blood and passed out. Chun Hu attacked together. The man from the couple, seeing the woman lying in a pool of blood, nearly glared with rage. He drew a dagger and rushed toward Yang Jin. The man called Chun Hu, who had been hiding behind the car, could no longer stay concealed. He sprang out like a large cat. "Kid'll kill you." The man from the couple closed in, his dagger stabbing like a silver flash toward Yang Jin. Yang Jin's reaction was lightning fast. His right hand shot out like a claw, followed by his left, and in an instant he seized the man's wrist and elbow, pulling and twisting with sudden force. Crack! Amid the sound of breaking bones, the man from the couple let out a wretched scream as his right arm was brutally torn off. "Kid, you're ruthless." Chen Hu's eyelids twitched wildly. In less than half a minute, 2 of their 3 had fallen. Yang Jin's combat prowess was terrifying. "If you come for me, you'd better be ready to die." Yang Jin tossed aside the severed arm, then kicked the wailing man's chin, knocking him unconscious. "Kid, we took money to settle a score. Nothing more to say." Chun Hu curled his fingers into a tiger claw and shot forward like a bolt, aiming straight for Yang Jin's face. Yang Jin met him heat in, stepping forward and throwing a punch. Chun Hu felt the overwhelming force of the punch suffocating him. He halted his advance, switching to offense as defense, clawing at Yang Jin's midsection. But just as Chun Hu's right claw extended, Yang Jin stomped the ground, using the force to spring diagonally upward. A groin kick aimed at the testicles, a deadly move from the 100 styles of Hua boxing. Chun Hu's face paled in horror. Even if he struck Yang Jin, he would surely be hit in the groin, leaving him dead or crippled. But Chun Hu was a seasoned veteran. He turned his claw into a palm, planted his hand on the ground, and rolled 720 degrees in the air, dodging the vicious kick. No sooner had he landed than another explosive punch came at his face. "This kid is too fierce, I'm no match for him, better flee." After a few exchanges, Chun, who was in constant peril, only able to take the hits. Terrified, he dared not block and hastily retreated. Bang, 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 bang. The punches thundered like drums, hammering close to Chun Hu's face, making his eardrums ache. Finally, Chun Hu's steps faltered, and a massive fist smashed into his nose. His nasal bone shattered, blood gushing out. Chun Hu's face looked like a paint shop exploded, red, white, salty, spicy, all rolling out together. The punch sent Chun Hu flying, crashing into the off-road vehicle, which beeped incessantly. Yang Jin wiped the blood from his fist and surveyed the 3 fallen figures on the ground. Of the 3, the couple was unconscious, and only Chun Hu lay on the ground, writhing painfully. Yang Jin strode over and crouched beside Chun Hu. His hands moved in a pattern as he began hypnotizing him. "Tell me who sent you." Chun Hu's eyes were vacant. "Zhongliang Hotel. Chui Yongjun. Paid 2 million to take your arm." Chui Yongjun. He must be connected to Tang Zhong too. Yang Jin's gaze turned icy. A faint sound rushed sharply into Yang Jin's ears. "Suppressed sniper." In an instant, Yang Jin's entire body tensed. His spiritual sense radiated outward, detecting a bullet hurtling toward his left arm. Dodge. His mental power surged slightly, deflecting the bullet aimed for his bone, embedding it into the muscle instead. A bloom of blood blossomed under the street lamp. "The enemy is in the dark, I am in the light. Disadvantageous for me. I must flee quickly." His feet scraped the ground, and with a leap he vanished over 10 meters away into the darkness. After a few minutes, a man clad in black clothes and pants, wearing a black mask and carrying a sniper rifle, rushed out from a distant corner. He first checked the breath of the 3 men on the ground, then carried them into an off-road vehicle, stepped on the accelerator, and roared away. 3 intercepted me hidden, while 1 sniped from the shadows. Chui Yongjun really spared no expense. This must be Tang Zhong's doing. Yang Jin's injury was minor, merely a graze, and the bleeding had already stopped. Yang Jin's murderous intent toward Tang Zhong and Chui Yongjun was hard to suppress. 2 despicable scoundrels causing trouble time and again. If he didn't kill such trash, the resentment in his heart would be unbearable. By the time he returned to Jinxiu Huayuan, a brilliant plan had formed in his mind. That's it. First feign weakness to the enemy, then find an opportunity to kill them both. Using his spiritual sense, he peeled open the wound, letting the blood flow, and casually made a call to the police. Then, clutching his arm, he returned home. "Ah Jin, what happened? Why are you bleeding so much? Ah Jin, does it hurt? Let Annie take a look." "Second brother, how did you get hurt? Don't scare me." His uncle, aunt, and younger sister were all shocked to see Yang Jin's arm drenched in blood. Yang Jin said, "On my way home, I ran into some thugs trying to rob me. I couldn't stand it and fought them. Got a cut, but it's nothing. Child, you should have just given them the money instead of getting hurt." His aunt, both angry and anxious, brought iodine and gauze to bandage Yang Jin's wound. "The security in our slum area is getting worse. The police aren't even patrolling more. How outrageous." Yang Tianhai glared in fury. Just then a knock sounded at the door. Yang Tianhai opened it to find several police officers outside, led by Zhang Tongwei, the police station chief, whom Yang Jin knew. Yang Jin waved in greeting. "Chief Zhang, sorry to trouble you. Xiao Yang, lie down and don't move." Zhang Tongwei was also startled to see Yang Jin's clothes stained with blood. "What exactly happened?" Zhang Tongwei asked. Yang Jin recounted the incident, omitting the part where he had hypnotized the assailants to learn that Chui Yongjun was the mastermind. After listening, Zhang Tongwei's brow furrowed into a deep crease. He preliminarily deduced that this was a premeditated, organized, and targeted attack. Moreover, the use of a silenced sniper rifle in such a formation indicated that the perpetrators were no ordinary people. In the outskirts of Furong District, a secluded house. In the dim basement sat 4 people, the 3 men and 1 woman who had ambushed Yang Jin. 3 of them were wrapped in bandages. The woman from the couple had her arm bound, as Yang Jin had broken her arm bone. The man from the couple had a stump where his right elbow should have been soaked in blood. A man named Chun, who had his nose shattered, his face covered in gauze with only his eyes visible. Damn it. The sniper slammed his gun onto the table and rubbed his face vigorously. "Fazai, what did Boss Chui say?" Chun, who his head wrapped like a mummy, spoke. Only his voice could be heard, his mouth unseen. "To hell with Boss Chui." The man called Fazai spoke with anger. "We agreed on 2 million upon completion, but now he's changed his tune. He says he'll only pay the balance if he sees Yang Jin not going to school tomorrow." The man from the couple was puzzled. "Isn't that nonsense? What does our dealing with Yang Jin have to do with him going to school?" Fazai said, "According to Chui Yongjun, tomorrow is the martial arts exam for the college entrance exam. If Yang Jin can't take the exam, he'll score 0 in martial arts. That Chui is malicious. He wants to make the kid miss 1 subject in the college entrance exam." The man from the couple raised his broken arm. "But we're taking a huge loss on this job. 2 million isn't even enough for medical expenses. We really shouldn't have taken this gig." Fazai opened his mouth, a look of shame on his face. "I originally thought that kid had just become a reserve martial artist with a life force of at most 2. The 4 of us against him. Wound his arm, make him lie low for a few days, and pocket 2 million. No matter how you look at it, it's a good deal. Who knew he'd be so fierce?" The woman from the couple, who had been silent all along, rubbed her forehead and spoke slowly. "I think that kid's life force is at least 2. 5. Given his strength, becoming a martial artist is only a matter of time. What I'm worried about is if he comes after us later, we'll die a miserable death." The 3 others exchanged glances at the woman's words. In truth, when they took this private job, they had thoroughly investigated Yang Jin's background. Upon learning that Yang Jin was from a slum area, they accepted the task without a second thought. They had assumed he was a powerless, resourceless, and backgroundless nobody, a country bumpkin they could bully at will. But when they got close, they found he was a fierce tiger with sharp fangs. "Since we've done it, regrets are useless." Fazai's tone was full of helplessness. "For now, let's get your injuries treated first, and we'll see how things go later. Also, we need to inform Brother TB about this, since he was the one who passed the job to us. Anyway, we're hiding in the black market. Even if the police want to investigate, they might not find us." The woman from the couple shook her head and sighed. "That's the only way. Alas, we really shouldn't have taken this job." In Yang Jin's room at Jinxiu Huayuan, although his left arm was wrapped in bandages, the wound had already healed. He lay on his back on the bed, deep in thought. Tomorrow is the martial arts exam for the college entrance exam. Tang Zhong, through Chui Yongjun, arranged for them to strike tonight. Their goal is clear: to prevent me from taking the exam. So ill feign weakness play along with their scheme and simply skip the exam to satisfy their wishes. When those two scoundrels are complacent, it'll deliver a fatal blow. And since I'm injured at home, it'll have 1,000 alibis. Haha. In Yang Jin's heart, Tang Zhong and Cui Yongjun were already dead men. The next day was the day of the senior class martial arts exam. Compared to the cultural subject exams, the martial arts exam received less attention. Although martial arts were prevalent, the number of ordinary people who could become martial artists was extremely rare, far less than 1 in 10,000. Thus, very few high school students could truly walk the path of martial arts. Outside the gymnasium of Furong District No. 1 high school, the graduating classes stood in neat rows. In Class 7's formation homeroom, teacher Tian Qin was calling the roll. Huang Feng. Here. You Lily. Here. In the queue, Hu Qinghua anxiously looked around. He didn't see Yang Jin's figure. We're about to enter the exam hall. Why hasn't Jin come yet? If he's late, he won't be allowed in. Because of today's martial arts exam, all senior students' communication devices had been collected, so Hu Qinghua couldn't contact Yang Jin. Hu Qinghua. At that moment, Hu Qinghua's name was called. Present, Hu Qinghua replied. Tian Qin continued the roll call. Yang Jin. The venue fell into dead silence. No one responded. Yang Jin. Has Yang Jin arrived? After several calls, there was still no answer. Why hasn't Yang Jin come? Tian Qin grew anxious. Yang Jin was a reserve martial artist with outstanding martial arts scores. If he missed the exam, it would mean 0 marks for his strongest subject, an incalculable loss. Huang Feng, take over the roll call. He'll make a phone call. Tian Qin handed the roster to squad leader. Huang Feng hurried to a corner and dialed a number. Minutes later, her face pale, she dialed another number. Principal Luo, I need to report something. Last night, Yang Jin from Class 7 was robbed on the street and injured his arm, losing a lot of blood. He's resting at home and cannot attend today's martial arts exam. Given Yang Jin's martial arts prowess, it's such a pity for him to miss the exam. As she spoke, sweat beaded on Tian Qin's nose. Teacher Tian, don't worry. Let me check the situation. If possible, I'll send a car to bring him for the exam. Principal Luo on the other end could not sit still either. At Jinxiu Huayuan, Yang Jin hung up the phone and murmured to himself, Principal Luo, Teacher Tian, thank you for your concern. I'm truly sorry. For Yang Jin, the path of a martial artist was inevitable. Whether it was a cultural technical university or a military academy, he had no intention of applying. Even the college entrance exam seemed insignificant. Tang Zhong let you have your day of joy. They'll show you what it means to die with eyes wide open. Yang Jin closed his eyes and silently practiced breathing exercises. He needed to adjust his body to peak condition, for tonight was the day he planned to act. At around 4 in the afternoon at Furong District No. 1 high school, over 1,000 senior students completed the martial arts exam. The gymnasium was packed with people, all waiting for the results. The martial arts exam primarily tested students' strength, speed, and proficiency in boxing techniques. The entire process was recorded by optical devices and results were announced collectively after the exam. Several female students, including Zhao Qingtong and Zhou Xiaoqin, found Hu Qinghua in the crowd and approached him. Qinghua, why didn't we see Yang Jin today? Hu Qinghua shook his head. I didn't see him this morning. I asked Teacher Tian after the exam. She said Jin was ambushed and robbed last night, injured his arm, and is resting at home, so he couldn't take the exam today. Zhou Xiaoqin asked in shock. Yang Jin was robbed. He's a reserve martial artist. Were there many attackers? Hu Qinghua replied. I'm not clear on the details. I only heard there were 3 or 4 people getting injured just before the martial arts exam. Coincidence or deliberate? Zhao Qingtong felt a pang of worry, her gaze falling on Tang Zhong in the distance. As if sensing her gaze, Tang Zhong looked back at Zhao Qingtong with a smug smile. Zhao Qingtong frowned. That fat bastard Tang Zhong. Could he have orchestrated this? Look, the martial arts results are out. A shout rose from the crowd. Everyone looked up at the electronic screen, which scrolled through the information. Dear candidates, the martial arts exam results have been fully tallied. The rankings and scores are as follows. First place, Tang Zhong, score 150. Second place, Su Qiming, score 146. Third place, Zhao Qingtong, score 145. As the scores were displayed, the gymnasium erupted in cheers and thunderous applause. Especially Tang Zhong's lackeys, who barked like mad dogs, spittle flying. Brother Tang, you're amazing. First, Brother Tang, formidable, perfect score. With Brother Tang's current strength, passing the martial artist fitness test will be a breeze. Exactly, Brother Tang. When you become a martial artist, don't forget us brothers. Tang Zhong was so flattered he felt like floating, his face flushed with excitement. Brothers, tonight at Zhongliang Hotel, I've booked the place. Let's drink until we drop. The lackeys swarmed around Tang Zhong, swaggering out of the gym. The group soon reached Zhao Qingtong and the others. Tang Zhong wore a smug expression, thumb pointing deliberately toward the electronic screen. Qingtong, I'm hosting tonight. I invite you to join. How about it? Do me the honor. Zhao Qingtong replied coldly. Sorry, I need to go home for dinner. Gao Wei Tang Zhong's loyal lackey sneered at the rejection. Brother Tang scored a perfect mark in the martial arts exam and will take the martial artist fitness test soon. Becoming a martial artist is a certainty. Miss Zhao, your refusal just now was a slight to a martial artist. Zhao Qingtong sneered in response. Oh my, a martial artist is it? This little lady is so scared. I dare not offend you. Tang Zhong's face darkened. Enough. Since Qingtong is unwilling, I won't force it. Brothers, let's go. Turning to Hu Qinghua, his tone dripped with sarcasm. Hu Qinghua, where's your buddy Yang Jin? Wasn't he supposed to be the school's top martial artist? Why didn't he show up for the exam? I think he was afraid of a poor score and played the coward. The lackeys burst into laughter at Tang Zhong's words. You? Hu Qinghua gritted his teeth, fists clenched. Tang Zhong sneered. What, you want to spar with me? Veins bulging on his forehead, Hu Qinghua swallowed his rage, facing Tang Zhong's mocking gaze and the looming lackeys. Coward. Tang Zhong spat out 2 words coldly and walked away with his entourage. Zhao Qingtong whispered, Qinghua, you. Miss Zhao, I'm fine. Hu Qinghua turned and walked toward the door, his shoulders trembling slightly. The slanting sunlight cast a lonely shadow behind him. At Jinxiu, Huayu and Yang Jin received a call from Hu Qinghua. Jin, teacher Tian said you were injured. Are you? Qinghua, don't worry, I'm fine. Good. The martial arts results are out. That bastard Tang Zhong took first place with a perfect score. His vitality must be at 2. You need to be careful. Qinghua, even if he's at 2 or 2. 1 or 2. 2. If he crosses me, you'll beat him like a dead dog. Good, that's great. Hu Qinghua's voice on the phone noticeably brightened. Also, Zhao Qingtong took 3rd place. My score was poor. Only 107, or ranked over 900. Yang Jin comforted him. Qinghua, for Cultural University's martial arts scores only count for 20. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I know. They'll focus on reviewing for the cultural exams now. They chatted for a while before hanging up. Yang Jin checked the time. Nearly 6 p.m. Qinghua said Tang Zhong took his lackeys to Zhongliang Hotel for a celebratory drink. Tang Zhong, tonight will be your death day. In the spacious and opulent private room of Zhongliang Hotel, Tang Zhong sat at the head of the round table with the hotel manager, Cui Yongjun, by his side. Manager Cui, come, let's have another drink. Tang Zhong downed the wine in his glass in one gulp, then pointed at his subordinates sprawled across the table. Manager Cui, my brothers here are drunk. Arrange for some cars and send them all home. Cui Yongjun, having drunk quite a bit, felt the alcohol surge and said, young Master Tang, there are plenty of empty rooms in the hotel. Why not let me arrange for you all to stay the night? That's not a bad idea. Tang Zhong felt tempted. A ringtone sounded from his electronic wristband. Seeing the caller ID, his expression shifted. It's my mom. He answered the call. The wristband projected a holographic image that coalesced into the face of a middle-aged woman. Tang Zhong, it's 11 at night, and you're still not home. Planning to spend the night out. Her shrill voice jolted some of the drunkenness from Tang Zhong. Mom will be right back. Cui Yongjun, you're there too. The middle-aged woman noticed Cui beside him and snorted coldly. You dragged my son out drinking. Quite impressive. Cui Yongjun's scalp tingled. Director Song, I order you to send my son home before midnight or else hand in your resignation. The holographic image vanished as she hung up. Someone get the car ready immediately. I'll drive young Master Tang back myself. Cui Yongjun took out 2 sobering pills, fed one to Tang Zhong, and swallowed the other himself. He then hastily helped the latter downstairs. The black convertible sped along the road, the wind whipping their faces, sobering them up a bit. Tang Zhong shook his head. Manager Cui, we didn't drink our fill today. We'll make up for it next time. Cui Yongjun could only force a bitter smile. He wasn't afraid of drinking, he was afraid of Tang Zhong's mother. Although Zhongliang Hotel was named after Tang Zhongliang, its true behind-the-scenes controller was Tang Zhong's mother, Song Suli. A street lamp by the roadside flickered, emitting a faint crackling sound. Damn, even the main road's lights are broken. Shoddy construction. Tang Zhong grumbled in dissatisfaction. Huh, what's that? He vaguely saw a figure standing in the shadows behind the lamppost. He blinked hard and stared intently, but saw nothing unusual. Am I so drunk that my eyes are playing tricks on me? Tang Zhong thought, then asked Cui Yongjun in the driver's seat. Manager Cui, did you see that? There's a person behind that pole. Cui Yongjun looked in the direction Tang Zhong pointed. A white figure flashed past behind the pole. His heart tightened, but when he looked again, the area under the pole was empty. Where was anyone? Manager Cui, you saw it too, didn't you? Even though Cui didn't answer, Tang Zhong could see the fear in his eyes. A chill ran down Tang Zhong's spine. He shouted, floor it. Let's get out of here. The car roared as he stomped on the accelerator, its speed surging. 50 meters flew by in an instant, and another lit street lamp on the roadside suddenly went dark. They both instinctively looked at the lamppost. Their scalps tingled and a wave of cold air shot from their tailbones to the tops of their heads, raising goosebumps all over. In the shadow of the pole stood a woman in a white nightgown, her hair disheveled. Her hair originally hung down, but as they looked it suddenly parted, revealing a ghastly pale face and a pair of blood-red pupils. The woman let out a sinister chuckle, her mouth splitting open to reveal a crimson tongue that writhed, making her look as terrifying as a vengeful spirit. Ghost. Both men in the car let out hysterical screams. Whether it was from sheer terror or panic-induced confusion, Chui Yongjun's hands turned the steering wheel hard. The car swerved sharply, followed by the screech of tires and the crash of metal as it slammed violently into the iron guardrail by the roadside. Both men were thrown from their seats, their heads smashing against the windshield with brutal force. The immense impact shattered the glass, sending them flying 7 or 8 meters before they crashed heavily to the ground. The air reeked of a pungent smell as Tang Zhong and Chui Yongjun lay motionless in pools of blood. Scattered debris and bloodstains mingled with the road's dust and leaves, forming a horrifying scene. No one noticed half a face peering out from the greenery by the roadside. The face had sharp features, a resolute gaze, and an air of cold indifference. It was unmistakably Yang Jin. "Two swine, you deserve to die. Creating illusions with telekinetic power is indeed useful." Yang Jin sneered coldly before vanishing into the shadows. At Longxiang Mansion, the Tang family's private villa, Song Suli, dressed in her pajamas, lounged lazily on the sofa in the second-floor living room. In her early 40s, she was well-maintained, exuding a mature charm. She glanced at the electronic clock on the wall and frowned. "What's going on? It's been over half an hour, and he's still not back. Chui Yongjun is getting bolder, tricking my son into drinking. Doesn't he know my son is still a child?" Just then the mechanical voice of the smart home assistant echoed in the living room. "Madam, I detect the young master's pulse is weak and slow with significant internal bleeding. He appears to be seriously injured." Song Suli sprang up from the sofa in shock. "Housekeeper, locate the young master's position immediately and call an ambulance. Hurry." She grabbed a coat from the sofa and dashed downstairs. Moments later, the roar of a car engine filled the air as Song Suli sped away. Late at night at Yuesha City's Hixia Hospital, outside the emergency room, Tang Zhongliang and Song Suli, along with many from the Tang group, waited anxiously. "That damn Chui Yongjun tricking my son into drinking and then driving drunk. He deserves to die." Song Suli's face was dark with hatred. Tang Zhongliang paced back and forth, sighing deeply. After more than half an hour, the emergency room door opened and a surgeon in scrubs stepped out. "Professor Li, how is he?" Tang Zhongliang and the others crowded around, asking nervously. Professor Li shook his head. "Manager Cui's injuries were too severe. We couldn't save him. As for your son, his injuries were lighter and his life is out of danger. However, the severe impact to his head makes it very unlikely he will wake up." Tang Zongliang's lips trembled. "Professor Li, are you saying my son will become a vegetable? Can't even modern medicine wake him?" Professor Li gave a wry smile. "Chairman Tang, our most advanced medical technology can use nanobots to kill cancer cells and even cure AIDS. But the brain is the most complex and delicate organ in the human body. Many of its mysteries remain unsolved. I'm afraid we are powerless." Song Suli's legs gave way and she collapsed into a chair. Soon several nurses wheeled out an operating table. "My son." Looking at her son wrapped up like a mummy, Song Suli wept uncontrollably. The next morning in the VIP ward, Tang Zhong lay unconscious, his body covered with various electrons. Tang Zhongliang looked at the doctor reviewing the data. "Professor Li, what are the chances of a vegetable waking up? His son's life was temporarily saved, but if he remained in a permanent coma, what difference was there from being dead?" Tang Zhongliang was deeply unwilling to accept this. Professor Li replied, "Chairman Tang, according to medical statistics, if a patient remains in a vegetative state for 6 months, the probability of regaining consciousness is about 50. If it lasts for 1 year, the probability drops to 10 to 15. In short, the longer the duration, the lower the chance of recovery." Tang Zhongliang inquired, "Professor Li, is there any method, such as external stimulation, that could help my son awaken sooner?" Professor Li pondered for a moment and replied, "Chairman Tang, we are old acquaintances, so I will be straightforward with you. Current medical technology lacks scientifically effective treatments for patients in a vegetative state. However," Professor Li shifted his tone, "medical case records document instances where vegetative patients were awakened through stimulation, primarily involving mental and psychological triggers." Mental and psychological triggers. Tang Zhongliang and Song Suli exchanged bewildered glances. Professor Li explained, "A vegetative state is not a physical slumber, but a coma of the spirit and consciousness. I have heard that among martial artists there exists a type known as spiritual psychics. If we could enlist such an expert to administer mental stimulation, it might awaken your son." Martial artists, spiritual psychics. Tang Zhongliang turned to Song Suli, his voice urgent. "Suli, I recall your father serves as vice president of the Korean Association and knows many capable individuals. Does he know any spiritual psychics?" Song Suli snapped to attention. "I know an Appa who is a spiritual psychic. He is actually a distant relative from our clan. I will call him immediately and ask him to come." Minutes later, Song Suli returned to the hospital room after finishing her call. "How did it go?" Tang Zhongliang asked, his eyes brimming with hope. Song Suli could barely contain her excitement. Appa agreed to come. His fee is 5 million. 5 million. Tang Zhongliang paused, gazing at his son lying in bed, and finally said through gritted teeth, fine. Yet inwardly, he cursed 5 million. Damn it, what kind of relative charges such a price? Seeing her husband's displeasure, Song Suli spoke slowly, her voice carrying a chilling solemnity. Zhongliang, I advise you to swallow your discontent. Appa is a martial master. 5 million is the family discount he offered us. If it were a stranger, the fee would be at least 10 million. Hearing Song Suli's words, Tang Zhongliang broke into a cold sweat. A martial master, a powerhouse with a life force exceeding 10 points, and a mysterious spiritual psychic at that. If truly provoked, eliminating him would be effortless. That afternoon, Song Suli's distant cousin Song Jiating arrived at Union Hospital from the Hanyang base city. Song Jiating appeared to be around 50 years old with a slender build, slightly sunken eye sockets, and exceptionally bright eyes that seemed capable of piercing through one's soul. Under that penetrating gaze, Tang Zhongliang felt a chill run down his spine, as if a frigid steel blade had scraped across his skin. He immediately bowed his head. Greetings, brother-in-law. Appa, you must save your nephew. Song Suli grasped Song Jiatang's arm, her demeanor despite being in her 40s revealing a hint of girlish vulnerability. Song Jiating patted Song Suli's hand reassuringly. Suli, don't worry. Let me examine him first. Watching his wife's hand being caressed by the older man, even though he was her cousin, Tang Zhongliang felt a bitter pang of unease. Song Jiating approached the hospital bed, eager to showcase his skill. He slowly extended his right index finger, the tip vibrating at a rapid pace, causing the air to hum faintly as he pressed it against Tang Zhong's brow. After a dozen seconds, Song Jiating stepped back, his eyes twitching and his expression darkening. Song Suli asked anxiously, Appa, is it possible? Instead of answering, Song Jiating countered, Suli, you said your nephew was injured in a car accident caused by a drunk driver. Yes, Song Suli nodded. Sensing something amiss, Tang Zhongliang interjected, brother-in-law, is there another explanation? Song Jiating ignored him, addressing only Song Suli. Suli, send someone to obtain a copy of the surveillance footage from the accident scene. I need to examine it closely. Song Suli glanced at Tang Zhongliang. You go. Get the footage. Over an hour later, Tang Zhongliang returned with the scene's video. The footage was projected onto the hospital room wall, and the three of them scrutinized it intently, missing no detail. In the video, Cui Yongjun was first seen driving a convertible with Tang Zhong on the main road. As they passed a street lamp with flickering light, the car suddenly accelerated. They soon reached the next lamp, which was off. Both occupants simultaneously turned their heads, and then the steering wheel was violently wrenched, sending the car crashing into a steel guardrail. Aunt. Seeing her son thrown from the vehicle, Song Suli covered her eyes and let out a piercing scream. Zhonger. Tang Zhongliang reached out as if to lift his fallen son, but his gesture was utterly futile. Song Jiating stared at the footage, his face impassive. Suli, President Tang, did you notice anything? Tang Zhongliang and Song Suli exchanged glances, their eyes filled only with grief and helplessness. Song Jiating rapidly scrubbed through the video and paused at a screenshot showing the car passing the first street lamp. Look closely. The light on this lamp was flickering. Both occupants glanced at it, and then the car accelerated abruptly. I suspect they saw something, were startled, and instinctively hit the gas pedal. Tang Zhongliang stared intently at the screen, puzzled. But the video shows nothing except the lamppost. President Tang, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it isn't there, Song Jiating said, opening another clip. This is the second lamp. As the car approached, its light went out. Both occupants looked toward it again, screamed, and then jerked the wheel, causing the accident. Song Jiating paused for a few seconds before delivering his conclusion. Analyzing the entire video, several suspicious points emerge. First, the two street lamps, one flickering, one extinguished, seemed too coincidental. Could this have been deliberately orchestrated? Second, both occupants turned their heads near the lamps, indicating they were frightened, leading to an overreaction and loss of control. What I want to know is, what did they see? Tang Zhongliang and Song Suli looked at each other, realizing from Song Jiatang's implications that their son's accident might have been meticulously planned. Yet no matter how hard they looked, the video revealed no clue. Tang Zhongliang had to ask, brother-in-law, please share your deductions directly. Song Jiating remained expressionless, pointing toward a corner of the room. President Tang, what do you see over there? Tang Zhongliang turned his head. The corner was empty. Song Jiating wiggled his finger. Look again. Tang Zhongliang's eyes widened in surprise, for a woman had materialized in the corner. The woman was translucent, completely unclothed, kneeling with her back to him, an image of seductive allure. Tang Zhongliang swallowed hard, finding the silhouette oddly familiar. It resembled his own wife, Song Suli. As he puzzled over this, Song Jiating waved his hand, and the translucent woman vanished. Brother-in-law, this is. Tang Zhongliang looked at him, his eyes filled with shock and confusion. Song Jiating explained, President Tang, this is the illusionary art of a spiritual psychic. It can create phantoms within your mind. In reality, what you just saw does not exist. I conjured that illusion specifically for you. No one else can see it but you. Hearing this, Song Suli was seized by a foreboding feeling. Appa, do you mean my son saw an illusion, was terrified, and that caused the accident? Song Jiating affirmed with certainty, precisely. Tang Zhongliang and Song Suli's faces turned ashen. This news was even more terrifying than a car accident. Their son had been attacked by illusions, meaning the perpetrator was a psychic. Offending a psychic who lurked in the shadows ready to strike at any moment made the couple's hearts pound with fear. Brother-in-law, please save us. Tang Zongliang's voice trembled with a hint of terror. Yes, he was afraid. What if that psychic held a grudge and sought revenge against other family members? Who could guarantee he and his wife wouldn't be the next victims of a car accident? At that moment, Tang Zhongliang felt a surge of impulse to beat Tang Zhong senseless. If not for this idle good-for-nothing son, how could they have offended a psychic? Brawling and bullying in daily life was bad enough, but the one thing he should never ever do was offend a martial artist, especially one of the most mysterious among them, a psychic. Appa, you must help us. Song Suli's face was pitiful, on the verge of tears. Suli, rest assured, I will definitely help. Song Jiating said. However, I must warn you of one thing. The attacker showed no mercy, even trying to kill my nephew. This means your son truly offended someone deeply. After this, you must conduct a thorough investigation to find out who the attacker is. In short, don't think about fighting back. Instead, find ways to apologize and seek their forgiveness. Cold sweat beaded on Tang Zongliang's forehead as he nodded vigorously. Once Zhong wakes up, we'll ask him who he offended and take him to apologize, bearing thorns on our backs as a sign of penance. That's good, Song Jiating said. I just did a quick check. My nephew's consciousness is trapped in a psychic prison. If I can break that prison, I can free him. Tang Zhongliang and his wife were puzzled. Psychic prison. What does that mean? Song Jiating explained. When an ordinary person suffers severe physical trauma, their mind builds a protective barrier to shield their consciousness. A person in a coma remains unconscious because their body is too damaged and their consciousness gets lost within that protective barrier, unable to escape. That's what we call a psychic prison. For example, in my nephew's case, his psychic prison is that stretch of road where the accident happened. His consciousness is trapped in a loop, endlessly reliving the crash. Unless his own consciousness grows strong enough or he receives external help, he will likely never wake up. After hearing Song Jiating's explanation, the couple seemed to understand, but only vaguely. All right, enough talk. He'll use my psychic power to break his prison now. Song Jiating sat down by the hospital bed, pressed his right hand against Tang Zhong's forehead, and closed his eyes. The couple watched Song Jiating, not daring to make a sound. Deep within Tang Zhong's mind, there was a strange scene composed of 2 street lamps and a stretch of road. On the road, a convertible sports car sped forward with 2 people inside. Chui Yongjun, you bastard, stop the car. Tang Zhong, sitting in the passenger seat, frantically slapped at Chui Yongjun in the driver's seat. Chui Yongjun's face was expressionless, like a zombie mechanically stepping on the gas and turning the steering wheel. Dad, Mom, help. Tang Zhong looked around in terror. Under the dark lampposts by the roadside stood a female ghost with disheveled hair, staring at him coldly. Bang! The car crashed into the roadside railing, shattering into pieces. Not far away at the starting point of the road, the car appeared again, repeating the same scene. Help! Someone save me! Tang Zhong cried out hysterically, tears and snot streaming down his face. Just then a figure flashed by, and Song Jiating appeared by the roadside. Catching sight of the female ghost under the lamppost, Song Jiating clasped his hands and bowed. Esteemed master, this child is young and ignorant. If he has offended you, please spare him. The female ghost turned and lunged at Song Jiating. Haha, I want him dead. Anyone who stands in my way will. At Huxia Hospital in the VIP ward, Tang Zhongliang and Song Suli were tense with anxiety. 10 minutes had passed, and Song Jiating remained motionless with his eyes closed. Suddenly his body jerked violently, and he opened his eyes. His eyelids drooped as if pulled down by a heavy weight, showing extreme exhaustion. The prison is broken. Your son will wake up in a few minutes. Song Jiating stood up, his weariness mixed with a hint of worry. The opponent is a psychic no weaker than me. He'll be going now. No need to see me out. Take care of yourselves. Tang Zhongliang and Song Suli's faces turned pale. The person their son had offended was on par with Song. Song Jiating was an intermediate martial master, and with his psychic power, his strength was comparable to an advanced martial master, making him a renowned figure in Hanyang Bay City. That their own son had offended such a terrifying figure was like looking for death, a lantern in a latrine. Tang Zhongliang stared at his son in the bed, his fear and terror transforming into a blazing rage. Damn it, you little brat, I really want to strangle you. I should have just. Bastard, what are you saying? Song Suli's eyebrows shot up as she scolded. Tang, if you're scared, you can get lost. He'll handle my son's affairs. Tang Zongliang's face reddened with rage. Song Suli, if you hadn't spoiled him rotten and made him so arrogant, none of this would have happened. So what? He's my only son. If I don't spoil him, who will? No sooner had Song Jiating left than the couple began quarreling. Yang Jin rested at home for 2 days, his body fully recovered. With his great revenge accomplished, he was in high spirits. Jin, you're finally back at school. I was so worried. Hu Qinghua punched Yang Jin lightly when he saw him. Yang Jin smiled. I told you on the phone it was just a minor injury. No big deal. Hu Qinghua winked. Did you hear? Tang Zhong got into a car accident. Yang Jin feigned surprise. Hu Qinghua said, it happened the night before last. Manager Cui from Zhongliang Hotel was driving him home. Both were dead drunk and crashed into the roadside railing. Manager Cui didn't make it, but Tang Zhong was lucky. He survived. Yang Jin was stunned. Tang Zhong, Hu Qinghua replied. Yeah, they spent millions on the best medical equipment to save him. Damn, I was too careless. If I'd known, I should have finished him off. Yang Jin felt a deep regret. Oh, and one more thing, Hu Qinghua continued. After Tang Zhong was discharged yesterday, his father dragged him around to apologize to everyone he had offended. Tang Zhong apologizing. Yang Jin was skeptical. That'll happen when pigs fly. Jin, believe it or not, it's true. Hu Qinghua said mysteriously. I heard Tang Zhong offended some big shot with connections everywhere, and that car accident was arranged by that person. The Tang family was scared out of their wits, but they don't know who it is, so they're apologizing to everyone they've ever wronged. Yang Jin couldn't help but laugh. Qinghua, I didn't know you were so well informed. Hu Qinghua said, one of the people the Tang family apologized to is a friend of mine. He called me last night and bragged about it for over half an hour. Yang Jin asked him with a smile, Tang Zhong has offended you too. Did he apologize to you? Hu Qinghua scratched his head. A nobody like me. He probably doesn't even remember. But you, Jin, he's targeted you many times. A cold, sharp smile curled at the corner of Yang Jin's mouth. Huh. Then he'll wait and see if he comes to apologize to me. Over a week had passed, and Tang Zhong continued to take leave from school, resting at home. During this time, Tang Zhongliang led him to personally apologize to over a dozen people. Even Hu Qinghua received a costly gift. Everyone except Yang Jin. Perhaps in Tang Zhong's eyes, Yang Jin was merely a poor nobody with a bit of martial talent, utterly unworthy of his time and impossible to connect to that mysterious psychic. Tang Zhong both feared and loathed that enigmatic psychic. He buried his hatred deep within his heart, training in martial arts fervently at home each day, swearing to become a martial artist. One day he would uncover the true identity of that mysterious figure, and blood must be repaid with blood. Time flew swiftly, and before long, it was June 7th. The day of the college entrance examination. Among the 6 surviving nations worldwide, whether in economy, population, military, or martial arts, the Huaxia Empire stood unrivaled in first place. Thus, the traditional Huaxiao examination dates of June 7th and 8th became the customary college entrance exam days across Blue Star nations. Outside Furong District's first high school, a sea of parents crowded around seeing off their children. A cordon was set up at the school gate with armed soldiers and riot-shielded security personnel. All safety measures were in place. At 8:30 the bell rang and examinees began to enter the exam halls in an orderly manner. Huang Feng, go for it. You can do it. Let's ace this together. Lily, don't be nervous, just do your best. Mom, don't worry. Remember to prepare my graduation 5-piece set. Qinghua, this is the moment of truth. Your test has arrived. Hu Mingliang patted his son Hu Qinghua's shoulder, his eyes brimming with hope. Mingliang, don't put so much pressure on him. Liang Feng looked at her son, cheering him on. Son, aim for an S9. Oh, and your dad, and I will reward you with 100,000. S9 stood for the top 9 universities in Huaxia 1 in each of the 9 base cities. If you can get into an A9 or B9, you should count your lucky stars. Hu Qinghua pursed his lips and said to Yang Jin beside him, Jin, let's go into the exam hall. Hu Mingliang fumed at the remark while Liang Feng looked utterly helpless. Uncle, any third sister, it's a bit hot out here. Maybe you should head home first. Today was the exam, so his uncle and aunt had taken leave and his junior high sister had a day off. The whole family came to see Yang Jin off. Yang Tianhai said, it's fine, we'll wait here for you. We'll go home together after the exam. Xiao Ting smiled. Jin will go back first to cook. Make your favorite braised pork. Yang Hui clenched her little fists. Second brother, stay calm and believe in yourself. Hu Qinghua asked as they walked. Jin, where's Zhao Qingtong? Yang Jin replied, all examinees in the district are shuffled randomly. Qingtong's exam hall is at the second high school. I hope I do well, or he'll feel bad about the tutoring fees mom and dad paid. Hu Qinghua acted carefree on the surface, but felt immense pressure inside. Examinees trickled into the halls one by one, and Hu Mingliang struck up a conversation with Yang Tianhai. You're Yang Jin's parent, right? Qinghua often mentions him. Yang Tianhai smiled. Mister Hu, nice to meet you. My Jin also talks about Hu Qinghua often. They're really close. Qinghua says Yang Jin is already a reserve martial artist. How enviable. Hu Mingliang shook his head with a sigh. That son of mine is hopeless. Lazy and good for nothing, neither in academics nor martial arts. If he can get into AB9, that's already a blessing. The college entrance exam consisted of 5 subjects. Apart from the martial arts exam taken a week early, the remaining 4 subjects were tested on June 7th and 8th. They were mathematics, science, and technology, humanities comprehensive, and sciences comprehensive, each worth 150 points. Compared to the three main subjects of a century ago, Chinese, math, and English, today only two main subjects remain: math and science and technology. Mathematics was the foundation of all sciences, and science and technology was the key to human progress. Nations around the world placed great importance on these two core subjects. Yang Jin had always performed well, ranking in the top 50 of the school, especially excelling in math and science and technology. With his greatly enhanced vitality, sharp mind, and quick reflexes, he answered questions with effortless fluency. Each subject allowed 2.5 hours, but he finished in under 2 hours. He idly twirled his pen, utterly bored. A sudden inspiration struck. He released his psychic power to survey the classroom. Holy crap! The answer sheets of dozens of examinees were vividly laid out before him, every word crystal clear. This was an absolute cheat tool for exams, perfect for any occasion. Yang Jin was at a loss for words to describe his feeling. He didn't even need to do the test. He could simply use his psychic sense to perceive other students' answers and copy them. Han Xuemei from class 2 is here too. She's consistently in the top 10. Let me check my answers against hers. First question A, same as mine. Second question C, also the same. Wait, this one she chose B, but I had D. Let me double check. Indeed, B is correct. They'll change it. I can't just copy everything from her. If it's flagged as identical, I don't mind, but it would be unfair to Han Xuemei. I need to differ on a few questions. After all, she's consistently in the top 10, while I'm around 40th. I can't jump too high. After the morning math exam, Yang Jin took the initiative to greet Han Xuemei. Han Xuemei, hello. I didn't expect us to be in the same exam hall. Han Xuemei had shoulder-length hair, thick bottle-bottom glasses, and worn-out canvas shoes. Han Xuemei's family situation was similar to Yang Jin's, as she lived in another slum area, always burying her head in books, with a reserved and introverted personality. Facing the smiling Yang Jin, Han Xuemei felt a bit nervous. Yang Jin's name had spread throughout the school, and he had many titles. The school's only reserve martial artist, the school bowtie's close lunch companion, the one who skipped the martial exam, the one who won an honor versus fight, among others. With all these accolades, he was undoubtedly the school's top celebrity. Yang Jin was tall and handsome, with a warm smile. Han Xuemei could barely stammer out a sentence in front of him. Yang Jin, hello. Hi. Yang Jin smiled. Do well on the exam, focus your mind. S9. No problem. Han Xuemei nodded, unsure why Yang Jin had come specifically to encourage her, but a warmth surged in her heart. Ah, Jin, let's go. My dad's car can give you a ride. Hu Qinghua walked out of another exam hall, and his eyes lit up when he saw Han Xuemei beside Yang Jin. The two close friends slung their arms around each other's shoulders, and Hu Qinghua nudged Yang Jin with his elbow. Ah, Jin, are you close with Han Xuemei? Yang Jin replied, same exam hall, we just exchanged a few words. Hu Qinghua lowered his voice. Can you do me a favor? Asked for Han Xuemei's WeChat. Yang Jin turned to look at Hu Qinghua, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. Qinghua, don't tell me. You like her? Hu Qinghua was frank. I don't know why, but I just love her simple, pure, and shy demeanor. But I've been afraid to confess, worried it might affect her grades. Saying this, Hu Qinghua sighed. High school is almost over. She's excellent. Getting into an S9 shouldn't be hard. I'm afraid I can't even make a B9. Yang Jin said, Qinghua, even if Han Xuemei gets into an S9, she'll most likely study in Hanyang Bay City. If you go to Hanyang Bay City too, being in the same place, you might still have a chance. That's right. Hu Qinghua's spirits soared. Ah, Jin, I've decided. We'll find a chance to ask Han Xuemei. No matter if it's A9, B9, or C9, wherever she goes to study, you'll follow. 2 days passed after the college entrance examination, and the results would be available in a week. During the exams, Yang Jin slacked off a bit, solving the easier questions himself, while copying the difficult ones from Han Xuemei, slightly altering the calculations to avoid similarities. Even so, due to missing one martial arts course, his final score would not be very high. That same night, Zhao Qingtong made a video call. Ah, Jin, my dad is here to pick me up. He's taking me to Jiangnan Bay City to visit my grandparents. Yang Jin showed a hint of reluctance in his eyes. You're leaving so soon. I was still hoping to treat you and Zhou Xiaoqin to a meal during the summer vacation when you have some free time. When will you be back? Zhao Qingtong shook her head. I don't know. Maybe I will stay by my dad's side and attend university in Jiangnan Bay City. Daughter, are you ready? We're about to board the plane. A middle-aged man's voice came from the video. Dad, I'm coming right away. Zhao Qingtong shouted towards the door, turned her head, and waved goodbye. Ah, Jin, I'm leaving, goodbye. Goodbye. After the video call ended, a wave of indescribable bitterness surged in Yang Jin's heart. Having known Zhao Qingtong for more than half a month, they mostly interacted during meals in the cafeteria, with little contact otherwise. Their relationship was more of ordinary friends, far from being intimate. Deep down, Yang Jin harbored feelings for Zhao Qingtong, yet he lacked the courage to take that step to confess. Yang Jin's mind was a bit chaotic, unable to settle down. Right, Qingtong is going to take a flight. He hurried out, climbed onto the rooftop, and gazed blankly toward the airport direction. In this world, humanity resides within cities surrounded by walls and turrets. Outside the city's vast areas are occupied by monsters referred to as the wilderness. Civilian aircraft cannot withstand the monsters in the wilderness and have long been phased out. The only operational flying vehicles are military planes equipped with weapons. Thus, flying is extremely expensive and ordinary people may not even get to board a plane in their lifetime. A plane has taken off, a Qingtong must be on it. A black dot rose into the sky from the airport more than 10 miles away, disappearing into the clouds. Qingtong, take care. Yang Jin waved at the night sky. On the plane, Zhao Qingtong leaned against the window, looking at the city beneath the night sky, her gaze falling on a dimly lit area. That area, lit much dimmer than the surroundings, was the slum where the Jingsua garden was located. Next to Zhao Qingtong, a tall, middle-aged man with meticulously combed hair was speaking. Daughter, I have everything arranged. As long as you score above the standard line in your college entrance examination, you can choose any major at Jiangnan University. Jiangnan University ranks among the top 3 in S9 universities. After graduation, entering government departments or large state-owned enterprises will be a breeze. Daughter, being with your father is much better than staying with your mother. Zhao Qingtong frowned and looked at her father. Dad, I understand all of this. But please don't speak ill of my mother, okay? The middle-aged man was taken aback and forced to smile. All right, my Qingtong has grown up and has her own opinions, but listen to you. On the rooftop, Yang Jin's electronic wristband buzzed as Zhou Xiaoqin was calling him. Yang Jin, did you know that Qingtong went to Jiangnan Bay City with her father? I know, as she told me. Did you say anything to her? What can I say? Yang Jin's voice was filled with Zhou Xiaoqin paused, saying, Yang Jin, I made this call after much consideration. I want to tell you something. Yang Jin replied, Xiaoqin, feel free to say anything. Zhou Xiaoqin slowly said, Qingtong's parents divorced when she was in elementary school. Over the years, she has been very withdrawn and has had a tough time. Upon hearing this, Yang Jin's heart tightened involuntarily. The bright and carefree girl had been pretending to be strong all along. Zhou Xiaoqin continued, others think Qingtong is aloof and cold, but I know she is very kind and caring towards her friends. Over the years, many boys have tried to pursue her, but she has ignored them all. Yang Jin, you are the only boy who has been closest to her. At this point, Zhou Xiaoqin smiled. Sometimes I wonder why she admires you when there are so many boys who are better looking and wealthier than you. Yang Jin, I know, and even Qingtong can see that you have feelings for her. However, you lack the courage to break through that barrier because you fear her rejection. You are afraid that after a failure you won't even be able to remain ordinary friends. Yang Jin felt embarrassed. Xiaoqin, don't deny it or just listen to me. Zhou Xiaoqin continued, let me tell you a bit about Qingtong's family background. Her mother's side is the Zheng family, the top family on the Yuesha city rich list. So it's the Zheng family, no wonder. Yang Jin murmured to himself. The Zheng family is a well-known family in Yuesha city with members in the military, politics, and business. They are an influential old family. Zhou Xiaoqin paused for a few seconds and said, that's not all. Qingtong's father's side ranks in the top 5 in Jiangnan Bay City. Yang Jin's head buzzed. He knew Zhao Qingtong's background was strong, but he didn't expect it to be this formidable. Jiangnan Bay City is one of the top 3 major settlements among the 9 base cities in Huaxiao, with a population of nearly 200 million. To rank in the top 5, there gives an idea of how prosperous her family is. Compared to such a family, Tang Zhongliang, who claims to be a wealthy man from Furong district, is nothing. Zhou Xiaoqin said, some might think that Qingtong born into such a wealthy family must lead a happy life, but that's not true. In fact, Qingtong is very much like the daughters of noble families in ancient times. Her career, relationships, marriage, and even her life are not entirely within her control. Therefore, she is indifferent to everyone. Even for you, although she might have feelings for you now, how long can that affection last with long-term separation? A few years later, after she graduates from university, her family will undoubtedly arrange a suitable marriage partner for her. Do you think you will still have a chance? At this point, Zhou Xiaoqin raised her voice. Yang Jin, I ask you, are you afraid? Yang Jin suddenly felt a jolt and replied loudly, what is there to be afraid of? Qingtong is my friend, and that fact will never change. Good. Zhou Xiaoqin said happily. Yang Jin, I called you not to ask you to confess to her, because that would be unrealistic. She has been living with her mother since childhood. This time she went to her father's side, and in a strange environment, she will inevitably feel lonely and helpless. I just hope you won't cut off contact with her and can encourage her from time to time. Yang Jin sincerely thanked her, saying, Xiaoqin, I understand. Thank you for telling me these things. Zhou Xiaoqin smiled slightly. Don't flatter yourself. Oh, I just want to ensure my cousin is happy every day. Yang Jin did not understand. Your cousin? Zhou Xiaoqin replied, Qingtong's mother is my aunt, so she is indeed my cousin. Yang Jin laughed. So you're my cousin, nice to meet you. Zhou Xiaoqin huffed lightly. Flatter yourself, will you? After chatting with Zhou Xiaoqin for a while, Yang Jin hung up and began composing a message. He meticulously drafted and rewrote it several times before pressing send. Qingtong, take care on your journey. One day I will come to Jiangnan to find you. After sending the message, his thoughts wandered, his heart pounding with anxiety. On the plane, Zhao Qingtong saw Yang Jin's message, her eyes glistening as if touched by light. After a moment, she solemnly typed a few words. A Jin will wait for you. That night, Yang Jin couldn't sleep. He held his electronic bracelet, repeatedly reading the message Zhao Qingtong had sent. Those 5 simple words held an inexplicable magic, keeping this high school student tossing and turning his emotions surging. On June 9th, the day after the college entrance exam ended, Yang Jin received a call from Zhang Tongwei. Zhang Tongwei said over the phone that after thorough investigation, they had identified the 4 suspects who had intercepted him last time and requested a face-to-face meeting. The meeting was at a cafe on Minan Road. In the quiet private room of Xinrui Cafe, Zhang Tongwei asked. Zhang Tongwei, dressed casually, appeared quite refined with his tall, lean frame difficult to associate with a law enforcer fighting crime. Thanks. Yang Jin took a sip from the cup. It was somewhat bitter. Zhang Tongwei placed a stack of documents on the table. This is the information we've gathered. Yang Jin read while listening to Zhang Tongwei's explanation. The 4 suspects who intercepted him were all from the underground black market. The couple pretending to be lovers were Zheng Wenchao, and Peng Jin. The sniper was Jin Rongfa, and the other was Chun Hu. Above these 4 was a boss named Liu Shanpao, who, having lost his left arm and replaced it with a metal prosthetic, was nicknamed Iron Arm Brother. The 5 called themselves the 5 Tigers of Dongshan, earning high rewards through underground boxing protection rackets and assassination contracts. Yang Jin flipped through the materials and asked, Director Zhang, this information is very detailed. Why are you showing it to me? The details on the 5 tigers were highly confidential, typically kept within the security bureau and not shared with a victim like Yang Jin. Zhang Tongwei smiled. Xiao Yang, to be honest, I want you to participate in this case. Me? Participate in the case? Yang Jin looked puzzled. Zhang Tongwei glanced around and lowered. I've been temporarily assigned to the District Security Bureau to handle a special case. I'm a bit short-handed, so I have to rely on civilian help to solve it. Xiao Yang, you're a reserve martial artist with good physical fitness and skills, so I thought of you. Yang Jin shook his head. Director Zhang, I'm just a student. Participating in such a case is very risky. Zhang Tongwei chuckled. Don't worry, there's a 10000 bonus upon completion. Director Zhang, we're old acquaintances. Talking about money is so impersonal. Yang Jin took a sip of coffee. Starting price 150000. Zhang Tongwei agreed without hesitation. Deal. Seeing Zhang Tongwei's prompt agreement, Yang Jin was momentarily stunned, wondering if he had asked for too little. Zhang Tongwei was secretly pleased, but remained composed, pulling a document from his bag. This is a confidentiality agreement. Sign it, and he'll brief you on the case. The confidentiality agreement was concise, stating that as an external member of the task force, he must keep the case details confidential, not disclosing them to anyone unrelated or face legal consequences. Yang Jin signed readily. Zhang Tongwei retrieved the agreement and produced another case file. The case originated from Liu Shanpao, the leader of the 5 Tigers of Dongshan. 3 years ago, Liu Shanpao passed the martial artist physical exam and became a reserve martial artist. But in his arrogance, he got drunk celebrating that night, brawled, and severely injured several civilians. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison, losing his chance at the practical exam. After his release, Liu Shanpao used his formidable martial arts skills to make a living in the black market, gathering Jin Rongfa, Chun Hu, and others into a small gang. A few days ago, Liu Shanpao and his gang went drinking in Yuesha City, got into a fight, broke several bones of an opponent, and then fled back to Furong District. Unbeknownst to them, the person they had injured was the son of a high-ranking official in Yuesha City. It was said the official was furious and personally ordered Furong District to handle the case swiftly and severely. Upon receiving the order, the Furong District Security Bureau immediately formed a task force and brought in Zhang Tongwei from the local precinct to lead the investigation. Zhang Tongwei gave a bitter smile. Xiao Yang, am under immense pressure. I have limited resources. I've got the budget, but I lack capable people. Zhang Tongwei looked at Yang Jin earnestly. I have no choice, brother. You have to help me out. Yang Jin frowned. Director Zhang, I have a question. The slums are lawless and the black market is a den of iniquity. Why doesn't the government shut it down or strengthen security to wipe out those scumbags? Zhang Tongwei replied, Brother, it's not as simple as you think. Take Yuesha City, for example. It has a permanent population of nearly 10 million spread across 8 districts, averaging over 1 million per district. Of that million-plus population, at least 300,000 to 400,000 live in the slums. The cost to renovate all those areas is incalculable. Moreover, the underground black market is deep with intricate networks. We security officers can catch a few small fish without issue, but if we stir up the big sharks, I'll lose my job tomorrow. Yang Jin said somberly, Is there no way to change this? Zhang Tongwei sighed. Unless a high-ranking figure with immense martial power takes forceful action to clean things up, that might work. But such figures are aloof and such action is extremely risky. Who would easily stand up for the common folk? Yang Jin felt a tightness in his chest, suffocatingly uncomfortable. He looked at Zhang Tongwei and said deliberately, "Director Zhang, I will give my all to this mission. Not for any other reason, but to eliminate scumbags one fewer at a time." Zhang Tongwei beamed. "Good brother, call me Brother Zhang from now on. Director Zhang is too formal." Yang Jin chuckled. "Brother Zhang, when do we move?" "Speed is key. We depart tonight." Zhang Tongwei took out a transfer card. "Brother, hey, race in advance of 10000. Go buy a suitable weapon and armor. Wait for my notice this afternoon." After Yang Jin left, Zhang Tongwei finished his coffee and sighed. "If the case goes well, I might get a promotion and a raise. If it goes badly, I might even lose my little precinct chief position. The mountain path is rugged, the road is hard to travel." When Yang Jin arrived home, his heart still felt heavy. He turned on his computer and logged into Taobei. Come to shop. The website offered a vast array of items from everyday necessities like oil, salt, and vinegar to martial artist gear like weapons, armor, and cell nutrient solutions. For weapons, Yang Jin already had a refined iron spear, so he planned to buy a piece of armor. Opening the armor page, hundreds of items were listed, ranging from cheap ones at over 100 blue star coins to expensive ones costing hundreds of thousands. All one-star equipment, but the price gap is huge. As a public shopping site, Taobei.com had strict limits on martial artist gear, selling only up to one-star items. 2-star and above were prohibited. After careful selection, Yang Jin settled on an alloy soft silk armor. The armor consisted of 3 pieces: a hat, a top, and pants. The hat was styled like a balaclava, the top was a long-sleeved t-shirt, and the pants were knee-length shorts. The full set of armor cost 800, which was mid-range for 1-star equipment. He'll take this one in gray. The purchase was successful, leaving him with a little over 2100 in his card. He'll buy 2 short blades. With his current telekinetic power, Yang Jin could simultaneously control 2 flying knives, making them an excellent tool for surprise attacks. It was essential to choose good ones. Soon he spotted a short blade called the Tiger Fong blade, forged entirely from titanium steel, priced at 100 each. Taobei's delivery was swift. An hour later, the delivery truck arrived at the entrance of the neighborhood. The delivery man looked at Yang Jin, who had come to sign for the package, with surprise. He couldn't believe that a boy from the slums could afford such expensive goods. Back home, he opened the outer packaging to reveal an exquisitely designed equipment case. After verifying his fingerprint, the case opened to reveal a set of gray clothing and 2 short blades. He put on the alloy soft silk armor. It felt cool and clung to his body. The hat was folded around the edges, fitting on his head like a skull cap. Pulled down, it covered his head and neck, leaving only his eyes exposed, much like the terrorist masks commonly seen in movies. Swish! With a thought from Yang Jin, the 2 Tiger Fong blades levitated and darted around him. Moving too fast, they left trails of black afterimages weaving into a dense black net. With a sharp sound, a Tiger Fong blade grazed a poster on the wall. Though the blade didn't touch it, the sheer force of the wind tore a gash in the paper, revealing its sharpness. Return. The Tiger Fong blades halted, then vanished from sight, stored within the Divine Insect space inside his body. Around 5 in the afternoon, he received a call from Zhang Tongwei instructing him to assemble at a designated location at 7 in the evening for the formal operation. Zhang Tongwei also told Yang Jin to choose a code name to conceal his identity. After thinking it over, Yang Jin replied hurtling. After hanging up, he sent a text message to his uncle and aunt saying he had a class dinner and would be home late. Then he left the house. In Furong District on Wuji Road alley stood a shabby house. This was the temporary gathering point for Zhang Tongwei's special task force. Inside sat 8 people: Zhang Tongwei and 7 other men clad in black tactical uniforms. The 7 men wore solemn expressions, each silently wiping down their firearms and combat knives. "Captain Zhang, it's past 6. When will the 2 external reinforcements you found arrive?" "Yeah, I heard one of them is an 18-year-old high school student. Is he reliable? This operation of ours is bound to draw blood. Bringing 2 outsiders along might scare them. Solving a case isn't child's play where anyone can just have a go." The 7 men spoke one after another, showing little genuine respect for Zhang Tongwei. Zhang Tongwei's mouth twitched as he revealed a helpless smile. Although he was the specific operations leader of the task force, his subordinates were all elite public security officers transferred from various districts. Having only worked together for a short time, they didn't fully respect him. 3 knocks sounded at the door. A special operations officer sprang to his feet. "Who is it?" The person outside replied, "Looking for a fishing buddy to go night fishing." "That's our code. Open the door." The door opened, and a short, stocky man walked in. "Brother, you're finally here." Zhang Tongwei was overjoyed. "Everyone, let me introduce you. Codename Chenglong, a reserve martial artist." "A reserve martial artist." The 7 special operations officers showed slight surprise. The life force of the 7 officers was around 1.8, still short of 2.0, and not yet passing the martial artist physical fitness test. Even so, they were proficient with firearms, and their combat ability was no less than that of a reserve martial artist. The 7 men sized up Chenglong and nodded, indicating their acceptance. A few minutes later, another knock sounded. After verifying the code, the door opened, and Yang Jin walked in carrying a gun case on his back. Seeing the room full of people, he scratched his head. Sorry, the bus was a bit crowded. I kept everyone waiting. A special operations officer glanced at Yang Jin, displeased. For something this important, you took the bus. You're treating it like a joke. Yang Jin's expression shifted slightly as he looked at Zhang Tongwei. Zhang Tongwei gave him an apologetic look and patted him on the shoulder. Everyone, the young man beside me is codenamed Erlang, a reserve martial artist. An expression of disbelief appeared on the faces of the 7 officers, especially the one who had spoken harshly, whose eyes darted away. An 18-year-old reserve martial artist was not someone to be underestimated. Through Zhang Tongwei's introduction, the 7 officers each had codenames ranging from number 1 to number 7. Zhang Tongwei said, "We are now a team and must trust each other. I don't want to hear any discordant voices. Now that everyone is here, I'll assign the tasks." According to reliable intelligence, the 5 Tigers of Dongshan are having a banquet at the Hao Di Club tonight. After the meal, they'll likely disperse for some fun. We'll get close and execute the arrest. Number 1 and number 2 drive the vehicles and provide backup on the perimeter of the club. Number 3 and number 4, once inside the club, act as mobile support. Lu Shanpao, the leader of the 5 Tigers of Dongshan, was already a reserve martial artist 3 years ago and is quite formidable. He'll team up with number 5 to take him on. Chun, who is number 6's responsibility. Peng Zhun is number 7's responsibility. Number 7 was the officer who had spoken critically to Yang Jin. Hearing Zhang Tongwei's arrangement, number 7 grumbled, "Captain Zhang, why am I assigned to deal with a woman? It's a waste of my talents." Number 7, this woman earned her reputation among the 5 Tigers of Dongshan. She's no ordinary person. To my knowledge, she has at least 2 lives on her hands. Zhang Tongwei paused, his tone noticeably firmer. "Number 7, if you think you're not up to it, I can switch your target." Number 7 said coldly, "No, I'll take her." Zhang Tongwei continued, "Zheng Wenchao is Chenglong's responsibility. Jin Rongfa is Erlang's responsibility." Zhang Tongwei then looked at Yang Jin and warned him, "Erlang, Jin Rongfa is a sniper. He's not strong in close combat, but he's definitely carrying a pistol. Be careful." Yang Jin nodded. After the deployment was complete, everyone sat quietly. Zhang Tongwei occasionally glanced at his electronic wristband, a look of anxiety on his face. A little past 8 in the evening, Zhang Tongwei received a message and his spirits lifted immediately. The 5 Tigers of Dongshan have finished their meal. They're all staying at the Hao Di Club for some fun. Let's move out now. Yes, sir. Half an hour later, 2 off-road vehicles arrived at the perimeter of the Hao Di Club. Located in the slums, the club offered a full range of dining and entertainment services. It even had some unmentionable programs, attracting a large number of energetic men to come and spend. At the main entrance of the club stood 2 fierce-looking giants on each side, their eyes scanning the entering and exiting crowd. Yang Jin got out of the car on the street. He wore a loose tracksuit over his alloy soft silk armor. The gun case was too conspicuous, so he left it in the car without bringing it. The giant at the door paused his gaze on Yang Jin for a moment, but seeing how young and harmless he looked, he paid him no further mind. "Brother Zhang, am inside the club. Erlang, first locate the target. Await the command for unified action." Yang Jin's target was Jin Rongfa, one of the 5 Tigers of East Mountain. According to the intelligence, this man was lecherous and greedy, and after dinner, he would likely head to the seafood area for relaxation. The seafood area was on the 2nd floor of the club with a large public dance floor on the periphery. The lights interwove into a colorful net as the rhythmically intense music echoed, and the frenzied men and women writhed on the dance floor. He squeezed through the crowd and arrived at a dimly lit area. On either side of the corridor were small private rooms. Yang Jin spread out his spiritual sense, and after a brief scan, he was utterly stunned. As a high school student, he had secretly watched short videos online out of curiosity, but he had never witnessed such a thrilling real-life scene. Having never even had a girlfriend, he couldn't help but blush. "I'm on official business. It's all for the job." Yang Jin could only console himself. He quickened his pace, sweeping his divine sense over the people sweating and toiling in the private rooms one by one until he finally discovered Jin Rongfa's whereabouts. "Brother Zhang, target located. Please advise. Erlang, the other members haven't arrived yet. Hold on a moment. Stay hidden and don't alert the enemy." Yang Jin leaned against the wall outside the private room, observing the fierce battle inside. After about 5 minutes, Jin Rongfa lit a cigarette and lay back on the bed in contentment. "Brother Jin, take your time." The collaborating woman let out a soft, flirtatious laugh. "You may go." Jin Rongfa tossed out an envelope. The woman took it and giggling left the private room. Seeing Yang Jin standing outside the private room, the woman said, with a seductive smile, "Handsome, what's the fun in just listening from here? How about you come with me to a room for some real action?" Yang Jin replied expressionlessly, "Go wash up first." TCH. The woman rolled her eyes and swayed her hips as she left. Yang Jin pulled his hat down to cover his face and slipped into the private room. Inside the dimly lit private room, the air was thick with smoke. Jin Rongfa exhaled a smoke ring and looked up to see a figure approaching. Panicked, he fumbled for the pistol under his pillow. With a whoosh, a black flash streaked by. The tiger fang blade pierced through Jin Rongfa's wrist, pinning it to the... An excruciating pain lanced through Jin Rongfa's soul. He opened his mouth to scream, but a foul-smelling towel was stuffed into his mouth, muffling his cries. Jin Rongfa was terrified to the point of death, letting out muffled sounds that vaguely resembled pleas for mercy. Yang Jin nonchalantly tossed another tiger fang blade in his hand, unhurried. I ask you answer. If I'm satisfied, I'll spare your miserable life. Jin Rongfa nodded frantically, indicating his compliance. Yang Jin asked, how much savings do you have? With his right hand pinned, Jin Rongfa could only raise his left hand and hold up 3 fingers. 300,000. Yang Jin was delighted. Jin Rongfa continued nodding. Good. Transfer it to this card. Yang Jin reached into his pocket, and the bank card from the spirit insect space materialized in his hand. The account holder of this card was not himself, but the scar-faced man he had killed. Nowadays, opening a bank card was very convenient. One could do it online. So Yang Jin borrowed the scar-faced man's head, used his spiritual sense to control its blinking and mouth movements, successfully passed the video verification, and opened a new card. With this card, he could handle all kinds of shady transactions without fear of official investigation. Jin Rongfa dared not resist, and the transfer was successful. Yang Jin had his 300,000. Just then, his electronic wristband received a message. All members, the big fish are all hooked. Close the net. Yang Jin looked at Jin Rongfa, reached up, and pulled off his hood, revealing a set of gleaming white teeth. Sniper, do you recognize me? Jin Rongfa's eyes bulged in terror, his face shrouded in despair, and fear, his body trembling like a leaf in a storm. I said if I'm satisfied, I'll spare your life. But Yang Jin's cold gaze held no emotion. I am not satisfied with you. The moment the word satisfied fell, the tiger fang blade stabbed into Jin Rongfa's temple, then twisted. His brain turned into a mushy pulp. Jin Rongfa didn't even let out a groan before he was dead. The 2 tiger fang blades hovered and trembled, the bloodstains on their blades falling off before they vanished back into the spirit insect space within his body. He sent a message. Brother Zhang, the goldfish, struggled and nearly got off the hook. I accidentally killed him. There was no reply. Suddenly, a sharp commotion erupted in the hall. Damn it, Brother Zhang and the others. Yang Jin couldn't be bothered with Jin Rongfa's corpse. He dashed out only to find the dance floor already in chaos. The lighting was dim to begin with, and the crowd was colliding like headless flies, pushing and shoving. Several people were knocked down and trampled by those around them, letting out agonized screams. Everyone freeze. Get down. Yang Jin's voice boomed like a spring thunderclap, the air rippling in visible waves. The crowd, startled by the sound, as if enchanted, all crouched down with their hands over their heads. A stampede was about to occur, but his single roar dissipated it into nothingness. All members, Lu Shanpeo's strength exceeded estimates. He's broken free. Any team member who has completed their mission provide immediate support. The electronic wristband carried Zhang Tongwei's urgent voice. In the first floor hall, 3 people were locked in a fierce battle. On one side were Zhang Tongwei and the operative codenamed Number 5, and on the other was a burly man wielding a steel arm. Captain Zhang, I'm here to help. Operative Number 7 arrived in the hall, military saber in hand, and leaped toward the iron-armed man Lu Shanpao. Lu Shanpeo's left arm was forged from high-strength alloy attached to his shoulder with a wearable mount. The entire arm was hollow, designed to reduce weight without compromising functionality. Seeing Operative Number 7 charging, Lu Shanpao raised his arm to block. The military saber struck true, wedging into the gaps of the iron arm. Operative Number 7 tried to pull the saber back, but it was stuck fast among the alloy bones, immovable. Is that all you've got? Lu Shanpao sneered, lifting his right foot and kicking Operative Number 7 in the stomach, sending him flying. Then Lu Shanpao swung his arm, shattering the glass door with a bang. He pushed off the ground and charged out of the hall. When Yang Jin chased out of the club, Zhang Tongwei was already deploying. Car 1, follow me. Pursue Lu Shanpao. The remaining members escort the captured suspects and return to base first. Operative Number 7 clutched his stomach, his face full of resentment. Captain Zhang, let me go with you. He considered being kicked away by Lu Shanpao a great humiliation and was determined to personally capture Lu Shanpao to restore his honor. Zhang Tongwei was getting impatient. The hell you are? If you had taken care of that female prisoner in time and not let her send out a signal, Lu Shanpao wouldn't have been alerted. Operative Number 7 was scolded until his face was bright red, standing there dumbfounded and speechless. Number 5, Chenglong, you're with me. Zhang Tongwei waved his hand, then saw Yang Jin. Hurtling, you come too. The off-road vehicle's driver floored the accelerator and the car shot forward. Inside the car, Yang Jin asked Brother Zhang, what's the current tally? Chun Hu and Zheng Wenchao were captured smoothly. The woman had a small hiccup, but we got her in the end. Zhang Tongwei glanced at Yang Jin as he spoke. As for you, you accidentally killed Jean Rongfa. Hehe, Yang Jean chuckled awkwardly. He had killed Jean Rongfa on purpose, though he wouldn't say that out loud.